The fifth meeting between these two, and we hope that you'll stick around with us here tonight. We appreciate you being with us on the Cherokee County Game of the Week. We'll take a 2-minute break, and then Will and Art will welcome you inside the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Cherokee pregame show. All that and much more. You're listening to the Cherokee County Game of the Week here on North Georgia's 101.1 FM WLJA.
Welcome to Perk Up. What can I get you?
Can I have a large, skinny, non-fat macchiato with
My 15-year-old has the taste buds of a middle-aged woman, but she's no adult. That's why we took her to Children's for her scoliosis. Their pediatric orthopedic program is nationally ranked. Their specialists understand growing bones and how to treat them. My kid ordering an adult-style coffee? Okay. Going to an adult doctor? Not so much.
Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Orthopedics. Where you take them matters. Learn more at choa.org/ortho.
Game on! Football's back, and we're celebrating at the all-new Sutherland Nissan Cherokee County. Get game-winning offers right now. Drive the best-selling 2020 Nissan Rogue, or check out the redesigned 2020 Sentra. If you try it, you'll buy it. They're that good, fun, and affordable. Catch the savings now before they're gone. Only at the all-new Sutherland Nissan Cherokee County, across from the Holly Springs Walmart. Online at NissanNorthAtlanta.com. Remember, if it doesn't say Sutherland, you paid too much.
Hi, I'm Dave Garner.
And I'm Janet Mueller.
And we're your local Woodman Life representatives.
You know, Dave, it must be tough announcing games and still providing financial security through life insurance, retirement, and member benefits.
Well, Janet, it's an honor, but it means that I have a great partner when it comes to protecting families from financial hardship.
So come see us.
Or call us at 706-273-9347.
Or 770-894-7898.
And find out how Woodman Life can help you leave memories, not expenses. Woodman Life, standing strong for generations.
As an athlete, you put it all on the line each and every day. Training, skill, and dedication. It's with these same characteristics that Pinnacle Orthopedics puts it all on the line for you, ensuring that you continue to play the game you love. With 5 locations and 16 physicians and surgeons, Pinnacle Orthopedics is the team physician for Kennesaw State University, as well as for many other schools and teams. Using only the latest technologies, Pinnacle Orthopedics is dedicated to keeping you at the top of your game.
Welcome into the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Cherokee pregame show. I am your host, Will Cooper, joined alongside a new friend of the broadcast. It's not Von Brown, but we have somebody that's equally as important and maybe even slightly more informed, and that's Arthur Mosley. Art, thank you for being with us, partner.
Will, thanks so much for the invite to sit in for Von Touchdown Brown, First Down Brown, Third Down, whatever you call it.
It depends on how he's doing in the game. You know, recently, that first game we were really excited. He was Touchdown Brown, calling all these fake punts and stuff. He's trailed off. We're gonna give him a second down.
Okay.
Second and manageable for him right now, but we'll have to determine that later on in the broadcast. So for folks that weren't able to listen, we are here at Creekview as they are hosting the Cherokee Warriors, 2 of the 3 unbeatens here in the county. Of course, the other one being River Ridge, as they are 3-0. The Warriors here are 3-0, and Creekview is 2-0 with wins against Etowah and Woodstock. But we'll jump into that later in the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta pregame show. We want to jump into our other area games, and we'll start off with North Forsyth at Etowah. So Etowah will host North Forsyth. Etowah's 0-2 coming in with losses to Creekview and River Ridge. That River Ridge loss was a tough one. The Creekview one, they only lost by a point. Now, that was the first game of the season for those 2 programs, so a little bit of learning going on. North Forsyth's a tough customer, coming in at 3-0 with wins over Harrison, Hapville Charter, and Alcovy. Never heard of that one before. Must be way out there. North Forsyth is a 15-point favorite to Cal Preps, and you picked them at a +10 stint right there. So there you go. I do include your notes right there in my notes as well. And the series is tied at 2-2. And Kemper, a little bit of a side note, is 2-0 against North Forsyth all-time in his coaching career, which spans a good 20 years. So, Art, what are you looking for in that game, and what are you excited to see?
Excited to see the quarterback over at North Forsyth, really, Brady Metz, senior starter. He's thrown for 3 touchdown passes, run for 3 touchdown passes. North Forsyth historically has been a run-first team. It'll be interesting to see if Etowah can slow that run down. We've known that Etowah is a physical defense. We've known that from Savela. We've come to expect that even with Coach Kemper's team at Roswell. So we expect for Etowah to put up somewhat of a fight. I just think that North Forsyth, a little bit more leadership, senior leadership on that team. I think Etowah has a lot of pieces. Last week they got behind the sticks early, a couple drops, a couple penalties, and then you look up and it's 24-0, right?
Yeah, that Etowah River Ridge game was our Cherokee County game of the week last week, and it was really an eye-opener for us. River Ridge, of course, gets the week off after starting 3-0, so they'll have some stuff to work on. Not sure what after that victory against Etowah. Really, the only thing that you could give them a blemish was the fumble by Amir Morrison, but he came back with a vengeance and ran really well in the second half. Looking over to the other game in the county, Campbell is taking the voyage over to Woodstock, so you'll have two games going on with about 2 miles of each other. Campbell comes in 1-2. Their win is against Berkmar, and their losses are against Lambert and East Paulding. Woodstock comes in with a win against Sequoia, a crazy one over there, and, of course, their 2 losses to River Ridge and Creekview as well. So these two have seen 2 common opponents, and they both lost to River Ridge and Creekview, so a little bit of an interesting trivia there. Woodstock is a 3-point favorite according to you and a 17-point favorite according to CalPreps. Their first meeting of those 2 programs. What are you looking for in that one, Art?
I'm really looking to see if Woodstock can get some consistency in the pass game. We know that Deontay Hampton, I believe, has rushed for about 142 yards, on the season. But I'm really interested to see that young quarterback, Preston Lawrence, to see him get a rhythm. They've got plenty of playmakers, but don't discount Campbell. I know this is their first win last week, I think, since 2018, if I'm not mistaken. So it's got to be a great momentum for them. Don't discount them. They've got a returning quarterback. They've got a lot of young pieces over there down in Smyrna that they're going to bring over to Woodstock today. And it'll be interesting to see if David Daniel and that defense can slow down Campbell, first of all, and then that offense can put some points on the board because they were blank last week.
Yeah, that's the big thing that that surprised me about Woodstock is that they have incorporated David Daniel into all 3 phases of the game. We saw that really against Sequoia when he had the punt block, when he had the return, and then he also was in the passing game just a little bit, and then the rushing game slightly as well. But he also played his safety position, which is what he's been recruited for, 4-star, headed over to Georgia. So if you haven't heard of the name, now's a good time to get familiar with him. His senior year coming in here, one of the top prospects in all of the county, not just for this year, but pretty much for the entire time in Cherokee County history. Of course, we hope it pans out for that young man over in Athens. But you're right. I think Woodstock has a lot of talent. We say this every year. It seems like Woodstock's a talented team that's just looking to get over the hump. Right now they have a new quarterback. That's the one thing that's going to be interesting about tonight's matchup is that Creekview and Cherokee both were really the only teams that we knew the quarterback situation going in. Now, of course, Carson Latham has panned out to be pure gold for River Ridge. Weren't exactly sure of that. When we did the preseason show where you were at with us, we got a chance to talk to Coach Mike Collins, or as good old Dave calls him, Mike. But when we got a chance to talk to him, he was really excited about Carson. Said, if you're not familiar with the name, it's a good idea to go ahead and start saying it because you're going to say it a lot. And he proved it last week, so we don't want to harp on River Ridge too much. We're just really excited about them. And also a quick shout-out. Your stats man sitting right to the right here, and that's Patrick O'Shea.
Absolutely. Patrick O'Shea, the man, the brains behind the outfit with the statistics in Cherokee County, keeping everyone informed. So we just want to say great shout-out to Patrick O'Shea. He posts these stats to Twitter, make them available to everybody, and he does it. Not only are his stats great, but his stories. I mean, if you're not subscribed and reading his stories in the Cherokee Tribune, man, you guys got to check him out.
Absolutely. We get the paper delivered. We get the old-fashioned paper delivered because we love his stories so much, and they help our prep work so much. When you get that tweet came out on Wednesday, and I was like, all right, I can finally finish my prep work because between you and him, that's where I get most of my prep because I like your predictions and I like your players to watch, and I build my notes off of that, and then I get the stats to fill out the rest of my scorecard for that one. So between you guys, I feel like I'm sitting between living legends. Of course, the only guy that we're missing here in the Cherokee County sphere is Vaughn, and Vaughn's about 15,000 feet in the air right now on a plane. He's flying back from Dallas, so we wish him safe travels. He told us that he'll be listening in as soon as he lands. So he sent us all a text letting us know that he had taken off earlier. So Dave stepped out to get a few more cheeseburgers. God knows he needs them. But we're going to take a look at the other 2 area games. So, and Vaughn actually sending us a message over there. So there you go. So our other 4 games that we have, other week 4 games, Coosa and Pickens. Pickens comes in 1-2. Coosa comes in 2-0. Pickens is a 3-point favorite. That series is tied 2-2. They did not play last year, so, of course, that was Coach Nelson's first year over there. So we'll have to see what he's able to do against Coosa.
And I'll tell you, just the thing to watch for Pickens, I won't go into too much detail. They've got a young quarterback by the last name of Stryker, okay? Folks in Pickens County know that name because his older brother was a quarterback and a pretty good one up there. I don't know if he's quite ready to take the reins like his brother did, but a lot of excitement up there in Jasper and Pickens County around the young Stryker at quarterback.
And a lot of people were surprised because CJ was the quarterback in that 2018 team where they had that historic run, and Chris Parker was the head coach over there. It was kind of funny because, Creekview and Pickens have this quasi-rivalry because Creekview is the northernmost of the Cherokee County, and Pickens is obviously the closest over there. When Creekview was a young team, they played a lot. And matter of fact, I think Creekview's beaten them all 8 times that they faced each other, if my memory serves correctly. But, with that kind of dynamic, it was interesting that they both went 10-0 and won the region, and they both had their first undefeated seasons. And, there was a lot of talk between counties that, well, if we could get up there to play you guys, we would beat you. And there was a lot of talk about who would win, Pickens or Creekview. Obviously, both those ended with some good playoff runs and a lot of history being made in 2018. A little bit of a down year from 2019. Both programs welcomed in new coaches. But Coach Nelson, listen, we get to do the Pickens show with him every week. Really impressed with the team he's got up there, but you're exactly right. Young striker over there, true freshman starting out over there. Watch some of his tape. He's definitely a freshman, you can tell, but he has got the ability to be just like CJ. And, we were surprised that CJ didn't end up going to a college to play ball. He went to UGA just to be a student. But we were kind of figuring he might pick a D2. He had a few offers out there, especially given his 4,000-yard passing game in 2018. But, with that being said, Pickens is still a strong team. Looking forward to see what they can do against Coosa tonight, especially considering how close that one is to be projected. But even closer is Gilmer and East Jackson. So Gilmer comes in 1-1. I'll say that again, 1-1. They are not 2-1. So Fannin County, you're welcome. It's 1-1. Their win last week was against Murray County, a really close one over there. Did a good job. Didn't get a chance to talk to Coach Saunders this week. My apologies about that. It is fall break here in Cherokee County, and we took advantage of that and headed on down to the beach. But East Jackson comes in 1-0, and Cal Preps only has East Jackson as a 1-point favorite, so that's going to be a close game if you believe in the Cal Preps rankings. And once again, the first meeting between those two programs coming up there. So the Bobcats will take on East Jackson, and that game is at East Jackson. I can't remember where that is off the top of my head.
That is north, a little bit north and west of on
Chambly?
85, I believe. That's going up towards Chambly.
Chambly.
No, that's going up to on the South Carolina border, Jackson County up that way, I believe,
that's
if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, all right. Well, Gilmer has a long road trip. That's the one thing that Gilmer was looking forward to about getting out. They dropped from 4A to 3A, and they were looking forward to getting out of that region where they had to go to Ridgeland, which was an hour-and-a-half drive, Heritage, which was a 2-hour drive. It was kind of similar to the Creekview and the Sequoia River Ridge 6A, where they would have to travel to Dalton, which you don't think about, but Dalton's an hour-and-a-half away, and that's a long time to get the kids on the bus and get everybody settled and all that good stuff. So, it's really exciting. Not only, we talked about this at the preseason show, we're glad that the out-of-region games get to include a lot of this inter-county matchups just for our sake, but also, it's nice to know that Cherokee got on the bus and drove 20 minutes and came here.
Exactly.
So
it's never fun to get on that bus to go to Dalton. I've had to do it several times with the basketball team, and it makes for a late night, and that's a. I know we're glad that Dalton's out of our region, but those guys give us a lot of headaches when we go up there to play them.
We're glad they're out. We're glad Harrison's out, although Harrison's had a little bit of a slide this year so far. But, listen, that's part of the growing pains. They were one of the teams that moved up to 7A, so they're finally in with the big dogs. Like I said, I kind of felt that way about Decula. I feel like Decula cheated the system by being in 6A. It's like, get on up to 7A. We don't want you in here anymore. Let somebody else deal with that. But, Art, I'm going to put you on the spot here for a minute.
Okay.
You do a top 10 rankings for each classification.
I do.
What is it going to take, first of all, to put River Ridge in your top 10 on the 6A? Since Georgia Preps did theirs and they were number 6.
Okay.
And number 2, what's it going to take for Cherokee to be in your top 10 on 7A?
I tell you, I think it's a lot tougher for Cherokee. When we take a look at those rankings, we take a look at teams across the entire classification. You can't forget about the powerhouses of South Georgia, first of all, in Lowndes and Colquitt County. All right, those are almost perennial. And I tell you, the football that's played in Gwinnett, I feel like Cherokee is getting there, but it's just a couple of notches above what we have to deal with most of all. Coach Shaw going out and getting a game against Rome, I think, is a big improvement. Hey, they turn around and play Cartersville next week. That's going to be a phenomenal football game. But you've got a lot of teams in Gwinnett County, and that's such the largest county school population in the state. And then you've got the Cobb County schools as well. I think Cherokee is right there in the conversation with the top Cobb schools. I just don't know if they're
South Georgia ready.
Yeah.
And we talk about that a lot. Creekview, as we mentioned, going 12-0. They were able to beat Habersham Central, put up 60 points on them, and then they played Pope as well. And, we came back and said, well, they're going to play Lee County, and we saw that it's a different style of football in South Georgia.
Sure. And then you talk about Creekview. I think we've seen a lot from their defense. I think they have a top 10 defense. Offensively, I still feel like they're searching for that rhythm in the passing game. I think they found a couple of things. We'll talk about this a little bit more in a minute when we talk about this game, but defense has been lights out. And like I said, the top 10 defense but I still think there's a lot more schools kind of jumbled up in 6A. And I said Creekview. I meant River Ridge, excuse me.
No, you're good.
They're playing lights out. They will have a big test when they come back from break, and I'll tell you, that will be a big, let us know exactly where River Ridge stands. As they open up region play next week.
Yeah, that's the thing is that, it'll be an interesting dynamic because for Cherokee and Etowah and Woodstock in that 5-7A region, once again, the region's realigned this year. So if you're familiar with the old region, basically all that changed in 7A was that we got rid of Walton, added Milton, and we got rid of Lassiter and added Alpharetta. So sledding did not get any easier by any stretch of the imagination. We kept Roswell and then our 3 teams. So it is still the same 6-region team. So, that does mean that we're guaranteed a spot, luckily.
Right.
But the tough part of that is that when you know that late in the season you're going to have to play Milton and you're going to have to play Alpharetta, those 2 teams are greatly improved. And Roswell's always going to be tough to beat, that you kind of have some tough sledding to go on. And then the other side of that coin is you now have Region 7 6A, so instead of 6 6A. And that is a completely different region. The only thing that's remained the same is our 3 teams that have made the jump. And we're talking about teams like Riverwood. We're talking about teams like Chattahoochee. Actually, one of Creekview's favorite teams to play is Cambridge.
The Bears, yeah.
Yeah, so, that's an interesting one that will now be a region game because Creekview and Cambridge have a pretty long history when you look back at it. So it'll be interesting to see as they come into a region together. But the style of football is expected to change a lot as well. You're going to go from so much more of the ground and pound that you had last year in Region 6 6A that now Region 7 6A is probably going to be a lot more of a spread option.
Sure, and you've seen that. I don't know if you saw stats, but Chattahoochee put up some ridiculous numbers stat-wise last week. I think they had a quarterback through for almost 375, something like that, yards. A couple of receivers with big days over there. You had, now I will say Cambridge probably sticking to the ground game. Philip Michael Thomas with 3 touchdowns last week. I think they had five or six touchdowns on the ground last week. But to your point, you've got some teams that are putting up big numbers and some teams that are going to spread you out a little bit more, similar to what Cherokee is going to do to Creekview tonight.
Yeah, that's the thing is that when we talk about the difference between these 2 teams, Creekview is one that you're going to have to be looking forward to. And you're going to have to, kind of see how they're able to control these receivers out on the perimeter because they do have some size advantages. And, of course, as we talked to Coach Shaw earlier in the week, Darius Harshaw is one of those kids you're going to have to watch. Keith Adams Jr. as well. And, of course, Keith Adams played defensive end even a little bit against Rome. But the other side of that coin is, A.J. Swan, the 3-star over there. A lot of talent all over the place with those kind of talents that you have. And then on the defensive side, they're not losing anything over there. Brayson Parker returns for his senior year after 168 tackles for his junior campaign, a new school record. And then also on the other side, Toby Thompson coming up big on the defensive end side over there. And the corners are really impressive with me. Austin Trimble had that big coverage against Rome in the last first half against Rome. So it was exciting to see them. And we'll have a chance to look at them a little bit deeper as we get into the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta pregame show. We're going to take our first break, and we'll be back in 2 minutes. You're listening to the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta pregame show on WLJA 101.1 FM.
When you are the official sponsor of the comeback, adding a few feet to a drive matters.
First down.
So does shaving a 1/10 of a second off a lap. Top-rated surgery, physical therapy, and motion analysis by the sports medicine team at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta helps young athletes not only prevent injuries, but heal faster and return stronger, ready to win. Our more than 25 orthopedic and sports medicine locations are ready to assist your athlete's comeback. To learn more, visit choa.org/sportsmed.
At Foundation Financial Insurance and Wealth Management, we believe that your insurance protection and wealth management plan go hand in hand. We start by shopping your insurance with highly rated companies to find you the best combination of price and protection. With that plan in place, we can then work with you to develop a tailored financial plan. Whether you need to save money on insurance or you need a full financial plan, call us at 678-880-9571 or come by 670 East Main Street in Canton for a no-obligation consultation today. Securities and advisory services offered through Packerland Brokerage Services Incorporated, an unaffiliated entity, member FNIRA and SIPC.
Not every road is worthy of a postcard, but don't tell that to the new Michelin Cross Climate 2 tires. Where you see 8 hours of road trip torment with stop-and-go traffic, the Michelin Cross Climate 2 with a 60,000-mile warranty sees a sun-filled family safe drive.
The Michelin Cross Climate 2 tire is safer for longer than leading competitors. Discover more at Michelin.com.
Turn to the experts and get a premium tire with premium service. Only at Canton Tire and Wheel in Canton.
Based on resistance to gravel and severe wear testing, compared to Michelin LTX MS, the 70,000-mile warranty only applies to e-metric sizes.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's Victoria speaking for Woodstock Furniture Outlet and Woodstock Mattress Stores.
Hey y'all, it's Victoria at Woodstock Furniture and Mattress Outlet. Now we know during post-COVID everybody's raising their prices, not us. And at Woodstock Furniture and Mattress Outlet we have the best 0% interest-free financing available. Come and see us at the furniture store in Akron, Hiram, and Rome, and come and see our mattress-only stores in Canton, Kennesaw, and Douglasville, and get the best savings.
Welcome back to the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta pregame show. My name is Will Cooper, joined alongside Arthur Mosley. Art, we were talking about coming into the break. We were finally getting into the Creekview Cherokee game. Let's go ahead and jump right on into it, partner. What are you expecting from this game? What are you looking for? How excited are you to see these teams square off?
I'm excited because I think these are the two most physical football teams right now, at least on paper. We've got a physical offensive line of Creekview that probably doesn't have the name recognition of those big D1 stars that they had the last few years, but led by Hartley and Dorr up there up front. Those guys are going to be tough for that defensive line. On the other side, you mentioned Toby Thompson, and you also mentioned Keith Adams Jr. getting that rush in there, and you got Brazen Parker. Man, I'm excited to see the battle of the offense, both offensive lines, both versus both defensive lines. Because you flip the script, you look at Creekview, and you've got two of the best linebackers in the county, not named Brazen Parker, and Isaac Hubert, and then Mr. Anderson over here as well. So I'm excited to see how these coaches game plan. We had a chance to talk to them earlier this week, and man, they were very complimentary of one another. So that no one will be taking anyone for granted, that's for sure.
Yeah, if you guys haven't had the chance, you should check out Friday Nights at the Tavern. Is that right?
That's right.
All right. So that's the podcast over there. Make sure you follow our good friend Art on Twitter because that's where he posts it up. You can watch over there on Podbean. Man, I tell you, it's some of the best information. You know, Vaughn's long-winded. We know that. So just kind of, if you're listening to Vaughn, just go ahead and skip it just a little bit because I like hearing Art talk. Vaughn, oh my gosh, we got it. But yeah, looking at these teams separately, Cherokee comes in 3-0. This is their first game away, so something to note there. Maybe a little bit of different scenery. They won against Carver in the Corky Kell 38-12. Beat Sequoia for our Cherokee County game of the week a couple of weeks ago, 41-20. And that is not as close of a score as it was in the first half, let me tell you that. And then they beat Rome last week, 21-15. Some really big plays coming up by the defense. This is Josh Shaw's ninth season as head coach, 40-49 all time with a 4.49 win percentage. Shaw is 1-3 against Creekview, but this is the first time he will see Coach Williams on the Creekview sideline. Moving over to the Grizzlies, they are 2-0. Their first home game is today. 2-0. Their wins are against Etowah and Woodstock. They beat Etowah by 1 point on the last drive of the game with about 6 seconds left. Woodstock, they shut them out defensively. They did get a holding call in the end zone to make the safety 16-2. This is Coach Williams' second year. He is 8-4 all time with a .667 winning percentage over there. His first game against Cherokee, and Creekview is 3-1 all time against the Warriors on the other side there. So a lot to be excited about. You mentioned the offensive line. Anthony Dorr coming in at left tackle, 6'3", 255 pounds. Cooper Saladin at left guard, 6'3", 217. Center Braden DeBroa, 6'1", 250. Right guard Francisco Perez, 5'11", 245. And right tackle senior Sam Hartley over there for the Grizzlies. And they will be matching up against a tough defensive line. And Toby Thompson, 4 tackles for loss and 2 sacks. Tanner Dollyhigh, defensive tackle, nose guard for 4 tackles for loss, and Jared Sperling, 2 tackles for loss over on the other defensive side. But we would be remiss if we did not mention Brazen Parker with a county-leading 43 tackles and 2 tackles for loss so far on the season, surrounded by a great supporting cast in the secondary. And over on the other side, the Cherokee Warriors and their offensive line will be led by left tackle Nathan Simmons, 6'4", 290. A quick shout-out to O'Shea over there for the Cherokee Tribune. If you have not read his story, Nathan Simmons, I recommend you go Google it and read it because it is one of the coolest stories about an individual athlete I've seen in Cherokee County in a long time. Lapping up the offensive line, Ryan Shanley, 6'2", 260. Center, Ben Rice, 6'2", 235. Right guard, Steve Hardison, 6', 270. And right tackle, Derek Battle at 6', 270 pounds. Surrounded by a supporting cast of Keith Adams Jr. and A.J. Swan. We're excited to get this one started for you, folks. That'll end our Children's Healthcare of Atlanta pregame show. For Will Cooper, Arthur Mosley, we'll see you all back for the Foundation Financial halftime show. Coming up next, we'll return Dave Garner as he will help me bring you the action for this game. You're listening to WLJA 101.1 FM.
Welcome to Perk Up. What can I get you?
Can I have a large, skinny, non-fat macchiato with
My 15-year-old has the taste buds of a middle-aged woman, but she's no adult. That's why we took her to Children's for her scoliosis. Their pediatric orthopedic program is nationally ranked. Their specialists understand growing bones and how to treat them. My kid ordering an adult-style coffee? Okay. Going to an adult doctor? Not so much.
Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Orthopedics. Where you take them matters. Learn more at choa.org/ortho.
There's been so much talk about distracted driving, you're probably sick of hearing about it. Well, we'd rather you be sick of hearing about it than lose your life doing it. The caring staff with Sosby Funeral Home in Canton reminds you that we all have to go sometime, but don't rush it. Wait your turn and don't drive distracted. Keep your hands on the wheel, your eyes on the road, and make sure you stay alert and arrive alive. Drive safely and help us protect our teens. They're the only future we've got. Brought to you by Sosby Funeral Home, honoring life from 191 Jarvis Street in Canton.
Hi, it's Dave Garner, voice of the Cherokee County Game of the Week. But did you know I'm also your local Woodman Life representative and poverty prevention specialist? For over 130 years, Woodman Life has protected families with life insurance and retirement products. And as your local agent, I want to make sure that your money outlives you and that you don't outlive your money. Call or text me at 706-273-9347 or visit my Facebook page at Dave Garner Woodman Life to learn how I can help you or your loved ones today. Insurance protection, financial security, Woodman Life, standing strong for generations.
The #1 magazine to read is Enjoy Cherokee. This beautiful full-color seasonal publication keeps you in the know with articles about interesting people, fun events, hot restaurants, and cool ideas. Enjoy Cherokee is for busy people who enjoy a lifestyle magazine worth reading and keeping. You'll find Enjoy Cherokee available at most high-traffic locations and mailed free to homes throughout Cherokee County. Join the thousands who don't miss a single issue. Follow us on Facebook and find issues on enjoycherokee.com. Ask for a free publication and enjoy.
Welcome back to WLJA 101.1 FM. I am Will Cooper, joined alongside Diamond Dave Garner, the golden voice of the broadcast, and Arthur Mosley will be joining us as well, filling in for Vaughn, doing better than Vaughn could ever dream. Just kidding, Vaughn. We love you to death. We hope that you're great. We're glad that you landed safely, glad that you're tuning in. We're glad to have you. And a quick shout-out to all my family out there in Myrtle Beach. We're glad that you guys are safe and sound. Hope you guys are enjoying the last end of your vacation. Looking forward to seeing you next week. And anybody out there tuning in, we are thanking you for listening. Dave, this should be a good one, my friend.
No doubt. I mean, fifth meeting all time between these two. Creekview has had the upper hand. They lead it 3-1 here. The Warriors looking to make it up. Things did, last time these two played back in 17, Creekview 30-0. But as we know, these two teams are a lot different, especially the Cherokee Warriors, and what they've done this year have just been absolutely impressive. You guys have talked about, A.J. Swan and Keith Adams, but I've really been impressed with that defense and what they've been able to do. To shut down Rome the way they did last week was absolutely impressive. And as we said before that, a week before, we said if Cherokee beat Rome, that would be an eye-opener, and indeed it was. It was a big eye-opener, I think, for a lot of folks around the state. And I'm excited to see these two undefeateds clash here tonight.
Right you are. It'll be Joel Stahl doing the kicking over here for the Cherokee Warriors. They have set to kick off here, and it looks like the two deep men are set for the Grizzlies back at about the 5-yard line. Joel Stahl coming in, replacing Luis Miongo, still on the roster. Just looks like that he will be doing the kickoff duties here. And toe meets leather, and we're underway here in Canton, Georgia. And that'll be a touchback fielded, and they will bring it out to the 20-yard line where the Creekview Grizzlies offense will take over, led by Brody Rhodes. A point of note, wide receiver Andrew Cloy suffered a collarbone injury. He will be out for this game and for a few games after this as well. The only other wide receiver that we have with any stats for the year, Dawson Curry, has 5 receptions for 64 yards. We expect Chase Wright to line up on the other side of him, but we'll have to see if they can get this passing game going that has been struggling the last 2 games.
Yeah, the big thing, I think they're going to have to get the run game established as well to take some of the pressure off of Brody Rhodes. So look for Tyler Stevens to get the workload of the share tonight.
I formation, 1 wide receiver to the top. Rhodes turns around, hands it right off. Still fighting for a couple of yards. He's going to be a gain of about 2. I believe that was Tyler Stevens on the carry. Tyler Stevens coming into the game with 49 carries, 255 yards, 1 touchdown.
Yeah, and as we talked about, they're going to need a big night out of him, certainly. It's going to be hard to run against this Warrior defense. It's been so solid, allowing just 15.5 points a game through 3 ball games. We talked a lot about those guys up front, the size that they have here. It'll be interesting to see how this smaller Creekview offensive line tries to move these guys around.
Right you are. As we mentioned, Toby Thompson on one end, Tanner Dollyhigh the tackle. This time it's a shotgun formation, 2 wide receivers to the top, tight end and running back. They spin Stevens out in motion. It's a draw all the way. Rhodes is going to keep it. And he's brought down by a group of Cherokee Warriors. Looked like Toby Thompson was in there on the tackle as well as the number 14, Tyler Goddard. 31 tackles, 2 tackles for loss coming into this game, 5'10", 170-pound junior.
Yeah, Will Ross also stuck his hat up in there, too, as one of the initial hitters. And that's what this Warrior defense does. I mean, they swarm. They get 11 hats to the football as much as they can. We know they move well in the back end of this defense. Up front, they do a great job stopping the run. And I think it goes without saying that these backers, particularly Brazen Parker, I mean, they move sideline to sideline.
Yeah, doing a really good job. Brayson coming in, leading the county in tackles at 43 coming into this game. We expect to call his name quite a bit as this game progresses. Pistol formation. Rhodes snaps, but checks back to the sideline. Getting a call here, sends a man in motion. That's A.J. Vaccaro lined up from the left to the right-hand side now. Turn around, it's a handoff to Stevens again. Makes a few men miss and gets just a couple of yards, and it'll be short. Bring up about 4th and 2 here from their own 28-yard line.
Yeah, Jared Sperling, nice job off the edge there to squeeze back in and make the tackle on Stevens to keep that a minimal gain, Will. And the thing about it is Cherokee's really daring this Creekview offense here on this first series to throw the football. The deepest man is, the safety about 8 yards back. Other than that, everyone else is in the box, and so they're trying to really force Creekview's hand. Creekview a little bit, conservative, didn't throw the ball on that first series, 3 and out.
The punter is Dawson Curry, averaging about 36 yards per punt. Late substitution for the Grizzlies. Sends a few people in motion, just extra gunners, I suppose. 15 yards back. Rugby-style kick, end over end, good kick. And it's fielded cleanly. It's Muff now, and I believe he fell back on it. Let's see the signal here, and it is still Warriors ball. So a missed opportunity there for the Grizzlies. It was number 14 there. Tyler Goddard, once again, as we called earlier, doing the kicking duties there.
Yeah, very fortunate for Cherokee. They were able to hang on to that football. I mean, it's wet. I mean, here's the thing. Right when we got into the pregame, there was a little bit of a shower that came in, and it's kind of been on and off. It wasn't really expected to rain that much, but we've had a few showers pop up, so things are a little bit slick here at the onset of this game, so it'll make the kicking game particularly an adventure.
Well, here we go. The offense of the Cherokee Warriors coming out. A.J. Swan, Keith Adams Jr., Adarius Harshaw. You've heard us talk about them all. Time to see what they can do against this stout Grizzlies defense. Swan claps his hands. It's a pass. A little bit of a wide receiver screen set up on the outside. Makes a couple people miss. Grant Anderson in on the tackle. A gain of about 3. It'll bring up 2nd and 7 for the Warriors.
Yeah, one thing they really want to do tonight, Will, Cherokee's offense, they want to get Adarius Harshaw in space. Trying to throw it out quickly here, trying to run some screens and some different things here. Now, that time they went back to the other side, and that was looked like McNeil was the guy that grabbed that one. So they're trying to work this ball around. Creekview going to stick an extra hat in the box tonight, try to force this Warrior team. They want to really slow them down in the run game.
Owen Mello one-on-one with Adarius Harshaw out in the corner. Sends a man in motion. Swan claps his hands. Once again, 2nd and 8, working from left to right on your radio dial. Slung over the middle, and good pass breakup out there on the outside. Looks like number 19 came up with the stop there. Ty Hubert, 5'11", 175-pound junior. The last name Hubert might sound familiar because his brother Isaac Hubert is the sophomore, 6'1", 195-pound quasi-defensive end, quasi-linebacker. Line him up where they need him.
Yeah, and Cale Williams actually broke over there in the flat as well and broke in front of that one. Hubert was in his pocket, but Williams, if he'd gotten a step sooner, he might have picked that ball off and went the other way with it. It's a nice job there by the DB to break on that one and come from the safety spot to read that slant.
3 wide receivers to the near side of the field. 1 lone receiver at the top. Keith Adams Jr. in the backfield with A.J. Swan. Sends a man in motion. Claps his hands, surveys the field. Claps his hands once again. The snap's back. Good pass rush by the Grizzlies, rolling him out of the pocket. He's throwing off his back foot, and it was attempted for Harshaw, but incomplete. Not a chance for a catch, and the Grizzlies defense comes up big and forces a 4-out game.
Isaac Hubert off the edge that time, Will, from the backside, and Swan got rid of that ball a little bit quicker than he wanted to. Had a receiver over here on the near sideline about 20 yards downfield, but had to get rid of that ball a little bit quicker, so it sailed out of bounds.
Brady Botcherer is the punter. 8 punts, 38-yard average, 53-yard long on the season. And it looks like back they'll have 2 Creekview defenders back for the return on the kick. Once again, another semi-strange formation for the punt, but the kick is up. A good kick, end over end. Signaled for a fair catch right at the 20, but he'll be bounced back to the 18, and they'll mark him at the 18-yard line. So that's where the Grizzlies will set up shop, 2 yards back from where they had the first possession.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys, so far both defenses looking very, very stout as we expected. Offense is not having a whole lot of success. Be interesting to see what Coach Williams dials up in the second drive here for Creekview.
Yeah, 2, 3 and outs, basically here to start the ball game. Tells me these teams are kind of feeling each other out just a little bit right here. But, with it being a little bit rainy, it's going to be a little bit tricky tonight in the passing game. But I think both teams are definitely going to have to open it up, particularly Creekview. They're going to have to find a little bit of a passing game here tonight.
They've really struggled with that. Rhodes has only 12 completed passes on 37 attempts, 162 yards, 2 times in the end zone, and 1 interception. Ran a little bit more last week. This is a pass, and it's out in the flat, attempted. And it's caught. He's got a couple of yards. Runs a man over. Wow, what a power move by number 4 out there. Hayden Thompson, the 6'1", 235-pound senior, lowered the boom on Tyler Goddard again, giving a lot of calls to that young man. That one not going his way. And the Grizzlies are set up. Move those chains, and it'll be set up at about the 35-yard line.
Yeah, the senior Hayden Thompson, tight end, just flared out there. Rhodes was looking deep down the seam, but nothing was open. But they found, of course, Thompson was sort of the safety valve there on that play and just bulldozed the guy over at the 35.
Thompson comes in at tight end once again. 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, 1 running back. It's a draw by Rhodes. He bounces it outside, makes a couple people miss, and it'll be a good gain of about 7 to 8 yards. And they'll stop right at the 7. So Rhodes coming into the game had 23 rushes for 98 yards. They really wanted to make him not be the leading rusher of this team, and that's what they've done with Tyler Stevens, balancing him and Tyler Stevens and Brody Rhodes out well.
Well, it's hard when you're averaging over 4.5 a carry, and that's what Brody Rhodes is doing. He's over 100 yards now for the season after that last run. And when you got a guy that's athletic like that, I understand that the mindset is that you don't want to get a guy like that banged up. But when the opportunity is there to pull that football down and run, you got to let him do his thing.
So here we go. Shotgun formation here. 2 backs, now 2 tight ends. 1 measures up. Hayden Thompson in motion from the left to the right side, near side for us. This time it's a fake handoff to Stevens, a float out to A.J. Vaccaro, and he's going nowhere. Was dropped, and that was a good play by number 31 out there, Will Ross, 6'1", 170-pound senior, coming in with 25 tackles and 2 tackles for loss. Give him a pass break up there as he hit Vaccaro before the pass even got there.
Well, it was a great idea. It was a great play call. You had the guard and the tackle pulling to the right side, to the far side over there, as if they were going to set up a screen. They threw it back to Vaccaro near side, but it was an even better read by this Warrior defense. Came up, made the play there, and knocked that ball away right as his hands touched it.
Good crowd filing in here at the Grizzly Den this afternoon. Expected capacity, especially given the history between these 2 teams and the success recently. 4 wide receivers to the top of the formation, only 1 running back. Handoff this time, and it's a straight head to Stevens. Stevens is out for enough. That's a first down, and he's all the way across to the 50-yard line. Move those chains, and the Grizzlies have something working this afternoon.
Well, great play call there by Jake Martin, the offensive coordinator for Creekview. They only rushed 3. The Warriors did 3 down linemen that time. They were respecting and expecting the pass there. They had 4 backers, and everyone else was in the back end. There is a penalty marker down, though, but they run the draw play there. They pick up the first down, but it looks like the penalty is going to negate it.
Yeah, illegal formation there. 4 wide receivers to the top of a formation. Don't think you can do that in high school. I think you can only have 3 to one side. It's too much of a load. So there you go. That'll negate that play. Make it a 3rd and 8 here. So went from 3rd and manageable to 3rd and 8, something we saw Etowah do a lot last week. A lot of those pre-snap penalties really hurting them, as well as an eligible lineman downfield. So we will have to see what can go on from here. So you're going to have a stack to the top of the formation, 1 wide receiver to the bottom. Rhodes and Stevens in the backfield. Cherokee crowding the line, gets the snap. Good pass rush. It's attempted out to Stevens. He's got the catch, makes a man miss, still on his feet, and he's rumbling forward, and he gets close to the first down, but he'll be short by about 2 or 3 yards, and it'll bring up a questionable decision for the Grizzlies.
Well, Austin Trimble, he didn't make the tackle. He had a clean shot at him there, but he did force Stevens back inside there and ran him into traffic, and nice job, good second effort there to get up across the the 43, but still 2 or 3 yards shy of a first down right here. And if you're Coach Williams, you know this is a Cherokee Warrior team that can put up a lot of points in the hurry, and you don't want to give the ball back to him any more than you have to. So we may very well see Coach Williams, be a riverboat gambler here tonight and roll the dice a couple of times.
Let's see.
Watch the hard count.
Watch the ADO, as Coach Larry Prather would say. Larry, we hope you're doing good. We miss you, partner. It is a snap, and it's a quasi-punt by Rhodes, and a good one. And it'll roll all the way to the 15, still bouncing in favor of Creekview, and it'll die right at the 15-yard line. So a very good punt by Brody Rhodes out of the semi-shotgun formation, and Cherokee is pinned back at their own 15.
Yeah, they call that a quick kick right there, and Rhodes does handle some of the punting duties for this Creekview team. Curry, of course, is the traditional starter, if you will, but Rhodes can put his foot into it. That's a good field flipper right there. You line up like you're going to run it. Cherokee obviously doesn't have anybody back deep in that situation, so it allows that ball to roll on this turf, which it did.
So here we go. A.J. Swan will get his second attempt. He comes in 41 of 62 with 707 yards, 7 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. Have to see if they go to the run a little bit more. Keith Adams, 48 carries, 347 yards, and 4 touchdowns for that young man, and that's what they do. Handoff out of the shotgun, makes a man miss, and he's tripped up out there on the outside. Good tackle by number 1, Cale Williams, the senior.
Boy, I tell you what, Adams was a step away right there. He bounced up off the turf there like, man, just one more inch, and he might have been off to the races. But as you said, a great open field tackle right there by Cale Williams, who brought him down for just a 4-yard gain. It could have been a whole lot more.
2nd and 6. The Warriors are more of a spread team. They'll look over to the sideline and get their formations. The Grizzlies have kind of adopted a more pro style of offense here. So A.J. Swan will have 4 wide receivers split out. Keith Adams Jr. moving from his left side to his right side. Slaps his hands, and it's a keeper by A.J. Swan. Makes a couple people miss, but he's going to be wrapped up by a group of Grizzlies out there. First in on the stop, number 37, Cole Hasty, the middle linebacker. 7 tackles coming into the game.
You don't see A.J., do a lot with his legs, but he can run. He's a big athletic kid, and that time they faked to Adams over the right side there, a little keeper by Swan, and this offense is going to try to really pick up the pace here tonight.
3rd and 3. Swan is 6'3", 190 pounds for those wondering, so he's very big compared to most of your Cherokee County athletes. Checks the sidelines here. Formation right now has 4 wide receivers and once again another lone running back. Keith Adams Jr. moves from the left side to the right side. And is a handoff to Adams off the left-hand side. And he breaks the tackle. He's still on his feet. Look out. Makes a couple people miss, and he's finally drugged down at the 40-yard line. Move those chains. Peyton Parker out there on the outside. 5'10", 180-pound senior made the tackle. And extra whistles coming in here. I don't see a penalty flag on the ground. Dave, do you?
No, I don't see one, but I think there was one over there on the far sideline. I think it's just a sideline warning on
Creekview.
Creekview, yeah.
All right.
So just a warning this time. The next one gets him 15. But, yeah, just a great run there by Adams off tackle. This offensive line, as we know, has done real well. Rice, Chandley, Hardison, Simmons battle. Those bookend tackles are big, and they like to move folks out of the way. And that time they just cleared a lane. Adams broke a tackle and hit up the sideline.
Well, there you go. 4 wide receivers, sends a man in motion to the near side of the field. Once again, Cherokee working from left to right on your radio dial. Fake the handoff, play action pass, and it was going nowhere. It kind of threw it out in the middle of the flats, and everybody turned around looking for the screen, but it was way over everybody's head. I guess attempted for Harshaw if you want to give it a intended target.
Yeah, it looked like Jonah Durham, the freshman out there, DB, was kind of stacked up. They had trips to the near side. They tried to run a little bubble screen underneath there, but Creekview never backed off of that play. They were manned up that time. This is a Creekview secondary that will play a lot of man coverage here tonight, so some opportunities for some big plays in the passing game, but the back end of this Creekview defense really at all 3 levels is very solid. They like to put an extra hat in the box, and they really go downhill at you.
That last name Durham should ring some ears to Creekview fans around, and yes, it's exactly what you think it is. A.J. Swan rolls out to the right-hand side, a bootleg pass, and it's intercepted.
Oh, it dropped.
Oh, he dropped it.
Wow, he had it.
Oh, man. That was, let's see, Owen Mello, 6'2", 165-pound senior. Once again, second time we've called his name tonight. Had it in the breadbasket, laid out to catch it, and the ground caused the incompletion. So that'll bring up a 3rd and 10 still, so a good defensive play by the Grizzlies. As you mentioned, they do like to play man coverage. Nick Stewart, 5'11", 170-pound corner. Ty Hubert, free safety, 5'11", 175-pound junior. Cale Williams, 6', 190-pound senior, and Owen Mello out there on corner on the other side, 6'2", 165-pound senior. So a lot of size for the secondary of this Creekview team.
Absolutely. The big 3rd down and 10 right here. If you're the Creekview defense, you got to get off the field right here. You don't want to give up that first down after a near INT.
5 minutes left to go here in the first. Swan's dropped, and he's going deep, and did he catch that ball? He caught it. Wow, what an interception for the Grizzlies. I believe that was number, Dave, you got a number?
It was Mello, yeah, it was Owen Mello.
Wow, he was hand fighting all the way, going one-on-one with Darius Harshaw and beats him. And Owen Mello returns the favor. Interception for the Grizzlies, and they are set up shop. So a good play defensively. Wow, what an interception.
Swan rolling to his right, just threw that ball down the sideline. And when you got Harshaw one-on-one, you like your odds, but Mello did a great job of getting his head turned back around to the football. Both of them went up, and it was just a wrestle. And he caught that ball up against the sideline on his shoulder. Somehow or another was able to maintain possession of that ball as it bobbled around and was able to have the awareness to keep his feet in bounds.
Once again, graduated with his older brother Kyle Mello, so a lot of similar names here in Creekview. Rhodes back. He's got a deep man open, and it was intended for Dawson Curry out there. Austin Trimble one-on-one in coverage, and just too far for Dawson Curry, so they try to take the top off there, but it'll fall harmlessly to the turf and bring up 2nd and 10 for the Grizzlies.
Yeah. Art, what about that interception? I mean, that was quite a play there up against the sideline.
I tell you what, it was the third time as a charm. I think that's the third time a Creekview defensive back has had an opportunity at an interception and a magical catch, a great athletic play on the sideline to make that interception.
11. So here we're set up. Once again, Rhodes and Stevens in the backfield. Stevens 4th in the county in rushing. It's a fake off to him, and Rhodes will keep it. Makes a couple men miss, and he's brought down hard by a couple. And it looks like that it was the defensive tackle, Tanner Dollyhide, who came back in, was able to wrap him up on the inside.
Yeah, Kyan Simmons grabbed him as well, the 6', 190-pound sophomore. And tell you what, these guys, like we talked about, man, they fly around defensively, so a big 3rd and 5 right here. And, you know, the thing for Creekview is they got the interception, but it's such a long pass, it was almost as good as a punt, you know, for Cherokee. So big play right here to try to extend the drive for Creekview. Cherokee trying to go another 3 and out here defensively.
3rd and 5. Rhodes barking out orders. Trips to the top. One lone receiver to the bottom. Gets the snap. Rolls out to his left-hand side. Pump fakes. And he's looking deep, and he's got a receiver if he caught it, and he did. Wow, what a completion out there on the outside. That was intended to number 8, Tristan Summers, the junior. We got a chance to speak to Coach Williams before. I guess it was incomplete. Well, sorry about that, folks.
Yeah, he must have bobbled that ball because he went up for it. Yeah, it was a bootleg to the right. Again, Brody Rhodes just rolled to his right, threw that ball over the top of a couple guys, and had Summers up against the sideline. It looked like he made the grab above his shoulder pads there and got both feet down, but he may have bobbled that ball there right at the end as he was trying to drag that second foot.
I suppose it seemed pretty sure from the Cherokee sideline and the Creekview stands. Now, of course, those may be a little slanted, so just keep that in mind. So once again, Curry on to punt. Couple of motions in order. Now he gets the kick, and it's blocked. Wow! And it's gets fumbled by a few Cherokee Warriors. Now it's picked up, and it'll be a scoop and score. So the first score of the game, we got extra whistles coming in, but it looks like number 10 for the Cherokee Warriors was in there to get that. It's certainly not A.J. Swan. Brady Gillum, 6'2", 165-pound defensive lineman. It was kicked right in his face mask, and then he was picked up for the scoop and score. So give that touchdown to the Cherokee Warriors at 6-0, pinning the extra point on the Sutherland Nissan scoreboard update.
Yeah, that was Chase Goddard that scooped that ball up and took it in for a touchdown. How about that? Now, let me tell you, they may get credit for a block, but that was not a good kick. That ball was kicked straight ahead, and I'm not sure he would have got that over the line anyway. It did appear to be a block there, but he hit that ball straight forward right into the line, and with a big rush coming there, and then Goddard, the second or third guy back there, was able to finally pick it up, and there were no Grizzlies in the area.
The extra point is up and good by Joel Stahl, making him 14 on the season. So 7-0 on our Sutherland Nissan scoreboard update. We're going to take a 30-second break, and we'll be back. You're listening to the WLJA Game of the Week on 101.1 FM WLJA.
As an athlete, you put it all on the line each and every day. Training, skill, and dedication. It's with these same characteristics that Pinnacle Orthopedics puts it all on the line for you, ensuring that you continue to play the game you love. With 5 locations and 16 physicians and surgeons, Pinnacle Orthopedics is the team physician for Kennesaw State University, as well as for many other schools and teams. Using only the latest technologies, Pinnacle Orthopedics is dedicated to keeping you at the top of your game.
What's that? Was it?
Welcome back to the the Cherokee County Game of the Week. We're not in the pregame anymore. We've already got the score. It's 7-0 on the Sutherland Nissan scoreboard update. The Cherokee Warriors blocked a punt from Dawson Curry and a scoop and score out there. And a good start for the Cherokee Warriors. You know, it was a good start really by the Grizzlies so far. They were able to move the ball, and then a penalty caused them to push them back, and then a questionable call out there on the sideline. Guys, we were talking about it in the break. Not sure what they saw, but obviously they're a lot closer than we are.
Yeah, and in the punt, you know, Dawson Curry, I think he saw the rush coming and may have just taken his eye off the ball a split second because he hit that ball right off the end of his foot, and it went straight forward. So, you know, obviously the Warriors will get credit for the block punt, but that ball wouldn't have got much higher than the lineman there in front of him anyway, and the Warriors benefit from a special teams play right here to go up 7-0 early.
So here we go. Toe meets leather once again, a kick deep, and that'll be deep enough for a touchback once again. So the Grizzlies are going to set up shop at the 20-yard line. Let's see what Rhodes and company can do, trying to regain a little bit of confidence and momentum in this one down by a touchdown.
Yeah, as you talked about, Will, last week, Creekview 16-2 over Woodstock. No defensive points allowed. Of course, Woodstock, their lone points coming off of a safety earlier in that ball game. Brody Rhodes solid, 140 yards through the air and a touchdown, 213 combined yards. But this Warrior defense, as we know coming in, they had a lot of fourth down stops last week. Trimble had the big interception there. So this is a defense very stingy. You've got to earn every yard you get against this unit.
Right you are, and punts are not always guaranteed. I formation here for the Grizzlies. 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end. Hand off to Stevens. Makes a couple of men miss, but and they're on the tackle. Brayson Parker, the senior leading tackler for the Cherokee Warriors and all of the county coming in to this game. So good stop out there in the middle. Also joined by number 44, and that is, Cody Butler out there as well. So Brayson Parker, number 44, Cody Butler on the tackle there.
I think Creekview's their biggest opportunity for success tonight is going to be some bootleg type stuff to get Brody Rhodes in space, because right now these ends are really crashing down for Cherokee on Tyler Stevens. Anything in between the tackles right now, they're really pinching the gap. So, again, look for Creekview maybe here to open it up.
So this time it's kind of a draw, and he's going to keep fighting for yards. A.J. Vaccaro on the carry that time, a really hard, stiff-nosed run. And it'll be a gain of about 6, so it's going to be close. They finally moved it another yard, so a gain of 7, and it'll bring up 3rd and 1.
We talk about these coordinators. Of course, Jake Martin, the assistant head coach and offensive coordinator for Creekview, and you got Davis Harvey, the defensive coordinator for Cherokee. And a great matchup here tonight, between those guys and the battle of the minds here. And so it's definitely going to be a chess match with a couple of guys that are familiar with each other in the play calling.
Creekview breaks the huddle here. Cherokee bringing quite a few into the box. Even the safety's creeping up here. So Creekview in a bunch formation, power formation. Student section chanting here. First home game for the Grizzlies, first away game for the Warriors. It's a run on the outside, and Stevens is going to be close to a first down and move those chains, enough for a first down, and the Grizzlies have something rolling with 3 straight runs.
Yeah, we talked about establishing the run early in this ball game for Creekview. Tyler Stevens, 167 yards rushing and a touchdown, as you talked about last week, Will. They're going to have to continue to just pound with him. Not a lot of room between the tackles here tonight, but they're running off tackle a little bit. They've had some success.
A couple of score updates. North Forsyth up over Etowah 7-0. Woodstock up over Campbell 13-0, and Gilmer up over East Jackson 8-0. This time it's a delayed handoff. Flag comes in right in the middle. Expected to be a hold. Brayson Parker in on the tackle on that one, joined alongside his good friend Riley Lyons, who you might have remembered from the Corky Kell game as the backup quarterback, but also a good corner. 6'3", 170 pounds, has an interception on the season as well.
Yeah, Ryan O'Keefe in there as well. And there's been a lot of white shirts, around the football tonight, for this Cherokee team. Hadn't been a lot of room to run, and that time they tried to run it back into the middle there, and just not a lot of room. And then you add the penalty right here, and they may be working back there a little bit. I've been impressed. We've talked a little bit about the front for Cherokee and what they've been able to do. We've talked a little bit about Tanner Dolly High, has looked real good here tonight. He's works the zero technique, the free technique. He plays between the guards. You kind of move the big guy around a little bit. And some of those bigger bodies up there, they're hard to move. You just don't have a lot of running lanes. And, when you're Creekview and you do a lot of, zone and power blocking type stuff, it's hard to get some of those big guys out of there and create those lanes for guys like Stevens and Vaccaro to run through.
Easily. So it's 1st and 20 now, so the wide receivers stay out of the huddle on this one. A.J. Vaccaro looks like he'll line up at kind of a tight end position. Brody Rhodes will be on the backfield by himself. 2 wide receivers to each side of the formation. Pass this time. And it's passed out into the middle, 30-yard line. He's tripped up at the 35-yard line. Out attempted to Chase Wright, the senior we mentioned, who has not had a catch on the season, but that's his first. And the big chunk of yards lost on the holding call. As a matter of fact, they actually gained 2, so a gain of 12. So to bring up 2nd and 8 for the Warriors, for the Grizzlies.
Yeah, Cherokee playing off there a little bit, honoring that. Chase grabbing the catch there, as you said. Haven't been a lot of guys that have scratched the stat sheet in the passing game outside of Dawson Curry. And, of course, Creekview without Andrew Cloyd tonight, as you talked about, with the collarbone there. So some other guys definitely going to have to step up on this depth chart tonight for the Grizzly offense.
Trips wide receivers to the top, 1 lone wide receiver to the bottom. Rhodes joined alongside Tyler Stevens in the backfield. Warriors crowding the line, showing blitz, lay off. It's a pass out to Dawson Curry, and he's wrapped up and hit in a hurry. Wow. So a gain of about 2, but the story of that one is the tackle out on the side by Keegan Baker, 6'1", 190-pounder junior with 2 interceptions on the season, 13 tackles, wrapping up Dawson Curry, the 6', 185-pound senior for the Grizzlies.
Yeah, we talked about in the pregame here how much we miss, guys like Patrick Dolan. He was fun to talk to. You've interviewed him before, and obviously moving on to the next level. But what a job that Keegan Baker has done in the back end and replacing him there. And he's a guy that really flies up, makes a lot of tackles at the line of scrimmage, which is what you want from a safety.
3rd and 5 here. Probably be the last play of the first quarter as the clock is now winding within 10 seconds. 5 wide receivers. Rhodes gets the snap. It's a pass all the way. And it's a good catch out there on the middle. Had to go up and climb the ladder. That was once again Tristan Summers, his second catch of the game. Moved those chains enough for the first down, and it's at midfield, and that'll do it for the first quarter here on our Nissan Sutherland scoreboard. It is 7-0 in favor of the Warriors, but the Grizzlies rolling. We're going to take a 30-second break, and we'll be back. You're listening to the WLJA Game of the Week.
Not every road is worthy of a postcard, but don't tell that to the new Michelin Cross Climate 2 tires. Where you see 8 hours of road trip torment with stop-and-go traffic, the Michelin Cross Climate 2 with a 60,000-mile warranty sees a Sunfield family safe drive.
The Michelin Cross Climate 2 tire is safer for longer than leading competitors. Discover more at Michelin.com.
Turn to the experts and get a premium tire with premium service. Only at Canton Tire and Wheel in Canton.
Based on resistance to gravel and severe wear testing, compared to Michelin LTX MS, the 70,000-mile warranty only applies to E-metric sizes.
You're listening to WLJA FM 101.1 and WLJA HD1 LJ, Woodstock, Jasper, Canton, and all of North Georgia.
Welcome back to the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta pregame show. We are here at the Grizzly Den where they have a beautiful scoreboard. Did I say that?
Pregame show, yeah.
Wow.
You're still, man, hey. We done kicked it off now, man.
Second quarter.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. No, hey.
Dave, you might have been confused by me in the booth. It might have thrown him off a little bit.
Telling you,
in my defense,
it's the presence of greatness.
In my defense,
with Art Mosley here tonight.
I did leave Myrtle Beach this morning at 5:30. I drove through Atlanta. Actually, I didn't drive. I rode with my brother, which is just as stressful.
And you told me you drove this whole time. I felt sorry for you, man. I was feeling
he's
good.
Rubbing that Myrtle Beach trip in.
I know.
Isn't he, man?
Well, the problem for Dave is that he can't tan as well as I can, so that's another reason I look better than him now.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's what it's all about, right?
Don't worry. He'll go eat away his feelings here in just a moment. Rhodes here, 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, 1 running back. And it's a handoff, but a fake, and it's kept by Rhodes on the outside. Gains a couple of yards, and he's finally forced out of bounds, and that's going to be a late hit flag on number 22 for the Warriors. I don't know about that call, but it's all about player safety. So number 22, the guilty party, Ryan O'Keefe, as you called earlier, Dave.
Yeah, O'Keefe, 5'11", 185-pound junior DB, just got up against the sideline right there, and close call. I mean, it's one of those. It's a judgment call in a situation like that. And but again, the Grizzlies going to move into Warrior territory as they push it across the midfield stripe, and the penalty going to put him inside the 40, down to close to the 35 here. It looks like so. Big penalty right here to get the Warriors, who are already up 7-0 after that first quarter block punt return. And now you've got Creekview though that's on the move right here. And this is a big drive for them to try to tie this ball game back up.
Cherokee had 9 plays, 1 for 6 passing, 3 yards, 3 runs, 24 yards, only had the ball for 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Creekview had 19 plays, 5 of 6 passing, 48 yards, 8 rush, 32 yards with 9 minutes and 20 seconds of possession. Thank you to Ronnie on the spot over there for the statistics. Brody Rhodes here, handoff Tyler Stevens off the left-hand side, makes a couple of people miss, falls forward for a gain of about 3 yards. A good block out there on the end by Sam Hartley. Saw a body fly there at the end, and that was a great block on Jared Sperling out there to finish off that play. So second and long, a gain of just 2.
Yeah, Tyler Stevens came into the game, 255 rushing yards, but over 5 yards a touch and a touchdown. So they got to feed him. They got to continue to feed him. I'm looking for A.J. Vaccaro to get involved as well. He's a bigger back that can punish you a little bit there, particularly between the tackles. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys mix up here a little bit. But I like that this Creekview team is moving the football right here on this series.
Rhodes sends a few men in motion. A.J. Vaccaro's one that's split out as a receiver now. Looking deep. He's got Dawson Curry, and it's going to be incomplete. Was not able to get a foot in bounds. Austin Trimble on the coverage. It was also a little bit of a push-off, but he didn't catch it anyway, so no harm, no foul, 3rd and 8.
Well, he actually went up and made a great grab there, but, of course, he came down out of bounds, was able to establish a position right there. And, these Warrior defenders, they're in their hip pocket, but credit Brody Rhodes putting the ball right where it needs to go. That time, though, they just ran out of space over here up against the near sideline at the 10-yard line.
It's very rare to see these teams playing man coverage like this so often.
Yeah, both these defenses we've talked about like to be aggressive. Last week, the Grizzlies only allowed 6 first downs to Woodstock and only 107 total yards. So they feel like, both these coaches feel like defensively they're athletic enough in the secondaries that they can play a lot of one-on-one coverage and get away with it. And so, so far it's worked out for them. And you look at the results of what they've done this year.
So there was a penalty on that last play, and it's an ineligible man downfield for the Warriors, so they'll move it back. I believe it's 5 yards, and that took a long time. Okay, the penalty's declined, so it'll be 3rd and 8. Okay, so that was why the discussion was taking so long. So no harm, no foul on that one either. So it looks like that the Grizzlies will take over at the ball's marked at right about the 30-yard line. Of course, Tyler Stevens, the field goal kicker, has only attempted 1 field goal. It was 24 yards, so not sure about 4-down territory here, but you certainly don't want to do it on 4th and 8, so see if they can get a few yards here. Rhodes by himself in the backfield. It's a pass all the way. Surveys the field. He's trying deep again, and he's laid out, but uncatchable ball. The Creekview fans want a flag, but it looked like it was uncatchable. Intended target, Tristan Summers, the junior out there. His first game starting with the absence of Andrew Cloy. 4th and 8. Let's see what the Grizzlies do.
Yeah, Austin Trimble, I think their legs got together. I mean, they don't really necessarily look at uncatchable ball, in high school, college, it's kind of a pro thing. But I think the ball, they felt like that the legs kind of got tangled up there on the deep post because Trimble was looking back towards the ball there, at the end of that play. So, again, that's no harm, no foul there. It's incomplete, and it's 4th down, and looks like they're going to keep the offense on the field here, Will.
Let's see if they attempt an ADO. That's an attempt to draw off sides. Our good friend Larry Prather taught us that one. Hope you're doing well, buddy. 3 wide receivers to the top, 1 wide receiver to the bottom. Tyler Stevens will now be sent out as a wide receiver, and Rhodes talking to one of his receivers individually. That's A.J. Vaccaro he wanted to have a conversation with. Play clock down to 5. Surveys the field one more time. Gets the ball, and the Warriors took a timeout over there on the sideline. We'll take one with them. We'll take a 1-minute break, and we'll be back. You're listening to the WLJA Game of the Week.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's Victoria speaking for Woodstock Furniture Outlet and Woodstock Mattress Stores.
Hey, y'all, it's Victoria at Woodstock Furniture and Mattress Outlet. Now, we know during post-COVID, everybody's raising their prices, not us. And at Woodstock Furniture and Mattress Outlet, we have the best 0% interest-free financing available. Come and see us at the Furniture Store in Ackworth, Hiram, and Rome, and come and see our mattress-only stores in Canton, Kennesaw, and Douglasville, and get the best savings.
There's been so much talk about distracted driving, you're probably sick of hearing about it. Well, we'd rather you be sick of hearing about it than lose your life doing it. The caring staff with Sosby Funeral Home in Canton reminds you that we all have to go sometime, but don't rush it. Wait your turn and don't drive distracted. Keep your hands on the wheel, your eyes on the road, and make sure you stay alert and arrive alive. Drive safely and help us protect our teens. They're the only future we've got. Brought to you by Sosby Funeral Home, honoring life from 191 Jarvis Street in Canton.
To the WLJA Game of the Week. We're not in the pregame show anymore. I did it right, you guys. All right. I feel like Arthur because I wasn't able to get it right like Friday night at the tavern.
Well,
so, there you go. I got
there you go.
I got
there
the
you
pick
go.
on you. We broke the ice now.
There we go.
You're part of the group.
I appreciate that.
So,
hey, I'm a man of many flaws. That's my wife.
Oh, no. Well, you can ask Dave's wife, too. I love you, Dave. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, exactly.
People that don't know, we do have our own Sports Blitz. It's a podcast that we do on Mondays. So if you miss us over there, tune into WLJRadio.com. We'll do a little plug there.
I'll get him back. I don't want to hurt his confidence tonight, but I'll get him back on the Blitz. Y'all have to tune in next week.
Brother, you can't hurt me when it's something I don't already have. Brody Rhodes, 3 wide receivers to the top, 1 wide receiver to the bottom. Tight end, A.J. Vaccaro in the formation. Tight end to help block, rolls out to his left-hand side, has a wide receiver there all the way. That's Tristan Summers making up for the drop earlier. Move those chains enough for a first down at the 19-yard line. And the Grizzlies are in the red zone.
Wow, 11 yards on 4th down. Don't forget, that was 4th and 8 right there. And that time they just calmly rolled Brody Rhodes to his left. And a linebacker came shooting through there, was about to take a big hit on Rhodes, but he stood in there and was able to put that ball right on the money to Summers, who was right up against that far sideline and made the grab, drug both feet in just beyond the first down marker there, and a fresh set of downs inside the 20, as you said.
Here we go. Rhodes having a little bit of a passing game working today, something they haven't had quite well, but they did struggle in the red zone last week, so let's see if they can turn that around. Rhodes draw all the way. Follows his lead blockers up there. As we mentioned, this Creekview offensive line has done a really good job so far this season. Of course, Anthony Dorr at left tackle, Cooper Saladin, the junior, at left guard, Braden DeBrora at center, Francisco Perez, the senior, over there at right guard, and Samuel Hartley, 5'10", 230-pound senior on the other side. Not as big as what we're used to at Creekview. Of course, this is coming from the same school that had products like Nick Pendley, the Mississippi State Bulldog now, and John Williams, the big left tackle over there at Clemson as well. So you're missing a few pieces like that, but you can't replace those guys year in and year out. Hope they're doing well, and hope they're rooting on the Grizzlies this afternoon. Score 7-0 in favor of the Warriors. Rhodes surveys the field, switching positions now with Stevens. So trips to the bottom. A.J. Vaccaro sent in motion. Timeout called by Rhodes. Didn't see something he liked, and the play clock was winding down, so smart heads-up play by him. We'll take a timeout with him. We'll take 30 seconds, and we'll be back. You're listening to WLJA Game of the Week.
Game on! Football's back, and we're celebrating at the all-new Sutherland Nissan Cherokee County. Get game-winning offers right now. Drive the best-selling 2020 Nissan Rogue, or check out the redesigned 2020 Sentra. If you try it, you'll buy it. They're that good, fun, and affordable. Catch the savings now before they're gone. Only at the all-new Sutherland Nissan Cherokee County, across from the Holly Springs Walmart. Online at NissanNorthAtlanta.com. Remember, if it doesn't say Sutherland, you paid too much.
Welcome back to the Grizzly Den. Once again, we're here for the Cherokee County Game of the Week on WLJA. Thank you all so much for listening. I'm Will Cooper. Dave Garner, the Diamond Man, the golden voice of the broadcast. And we have a special guest with us, Arthur Mosley, the runner. What do you want to say? The executive director, producer, writer, editor?
Janitor, all of the above. All of the above.
To my left-hand side, good to have him with us. Of course, Von Brown, the Cedarwood Tavern. Oh, man, what can we call him that's not ugly? I'll just leave it at that. Mom said if I didn't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. Von Brown, he's not with us today. He flew out to Dallas, of course, as most people know. This is wrapping up the fall break for these Cherokee County kids, so glad to see them all out there. And also to my right-hand side, Ronnie on the spot, Ronnie Cooper doing the statistics for us, and Patrick O'Shea over on the other right-hand side. The same right-hand side, but further on the right-hand side. I don't have another right-hand side. Rhodes rolls out to his right-hand side. And he turns it upfield, makes a couple people miss, and he is finally forced out of bounds. Looks like it'll be a gain of about 4 yards, pushed out at about the 13-yard line. And it'll bring up third and manageable.
Yeah, big play right here upcoming. I mean, it's third down and it was 2nd and 7, and only got pushed out for a couple there. So this Cherokee defense, they've been on the field a long time. I mean, this has been a long drive that started, back in the last half of the first quarter and right here into the second quarter. And so Creekview has been able to convert third and even fourth down on this drive a couple of times. This Warrior defense has been unable to get the stop that they've needed in order to get off the field. So let's see what they dial up right here.
Rhodes, backfield. Once again, joined by Tyler Stevens, the running back. 3 wide receivers to the top of the field. It's another fake draw, but it's intended out to Dawson Curry. It looked like he almost dropped it, but he was able to regain possession. A gain of about 3. So to bring up 4th and short, and we'll have to see if the Grizzlies will settle for a field goal, and they're running out the field goal team now.
Yeah, and I think this is probably the good, this early, you still got 9.5 minutes before halftime. I mean, you don't want to leave points on the field this early in the ball game. You're certainly well within Ty Hubert field goal range here at this point. Now, it is a tricky angle. Ball right on the 20 at the far hash, so a 30-yard field goal. Not the easiest kick to make right here, Will, but certainly makeable. Let's see if the Warriors looks like they're bringing pressure off the edge.
He's got 1 field goal, 24-yarder. The kick is up, and it's good. Oh, excuse me,
left.
Not good. Wow.
Yeah, he missed it to the left. And I'm not sure. One of the Warriors may have got a tip on that ball. I'm not sure. You could kind of hear a little bit of a echo there off of that. But, again, just a low-line drive kick that sailed just left of the upright. As we said, that's a tough angle for a kicker to make. And so the Grizzlies just very tough to come away with no points after such a long, sustained drive.
I tell you what, guys, that's two things I'd like to say. Special teams play. Cherokee scores on a special teams play. Now Creekview doesn't convert on a special teams play. Maybe something that comes to haunt them later on in this ball game.
You're right about that. We always talk about special teams needing to be special in order to win games or upset opponents. Cherokee coming in as a favorite in this one. Only an 8-point favorite, though, according to Cal Preps. This time it's a handoff. Keith Adams Jr. makes a couple people miss. He's out in the secondary now, and a good open field tackle out there. Looked like that was Ty Hubert in on the tackle, and some whistles come in. We got a flag. It looks like it might be a holding based on the place of it. Of course, as we mentioned coming into this game with the results, it's quite a different story for both of these teams coming in. Cherokee coming in, having some struggles of late. 2017, they were 0-10. That was the last time when they faced Creekview. Creekview having a lot of success since then. 2018 region champs. 2019 had a little bit of a down year, and then Cherokee having a very successful season last year, and both teams are off to a scorching start. Undefeated. One of those has to change tonight. Can't leave here with 2 victors. So we're excited to see as this one plays out. Of course, our score here is 7-0 on the Nissan Sutherland scoreboard update.
Yeah, holding right there on Cherokee, going to back them up here. Keith Adams with a good run, came into the game 347 rushing yards, over 7 yards a touch and 4 touchdowns, and got to play a little defense last week too. But this holding penalty right here really puts them back in a hole inside their own 15.
1st and 18, and he's bottled up in the backfield, but makes a man miss, and he's finally drugged down by a group of Grizzlies. It looked like on first contact was Isaac Hubert, but he wasn't able to make the tackle, and Keith Adams Jr. proves why he is such a tough runner as he was finally brought down by a group of Grizzlies in the secondary.
Yeah, such a low center of gravity, for Keith Adams Jr. He's hard to bring down on first contact. He gets so low, and Hubert had a good shot at him, hit him 2 or 3 yards in the backfield, but Adams able to spin off of that. Was able to pick up about 8 yards or so, just shy of the original line of scrimmage.
8 minutes, counting down, in the second quarter. This time it's a handoff to Adams again on the left-hand side, seeing something they like, and he's finally brought down, wrapped up right around the legs. And it looks like that was Owen Mello out there, having a big game so far for him on the defensive side. And they move the chains just close enough. It looks like it'll be 3rd and 6.
Yeah, I think Justin Pierce, the offensive coordinator for Cherokee, said, hey, we're going to put the ball in the hands of our playmaker here. We're going to get Keith Adams Jr. more involved in this game. He was a little bit slowed last week against Rome, despite, what he's been able to do this year. Cherokee's big plays came in the passing game last week. They want to reestablish the run game with number 3 again this week.
Right you are. He's a huge part of the offense. 4 wide receivers, Keith Adams Jr., A.J. Swan. Grizzlies bringing pressure. They don't get there in time, and good defense out there. It's hard to see number 34. Wow, Peyton Parker, 5'10", 180-pound senior. Second time we've called his name tonight. A great defensive play out there. Ball falls incomplete, and the Warriors will be set up to punt. This Grizzlies defense is impressive.
Yeah, that was a big play right there. They were going to Hayden Shockley, who they like to line up all over the place. They list him as a fullback and a wide receiver. And, so, if you split the difference, you put him as a tight end as well because he lines up basically everywhere. But that time he just ran a slant. But nice job there, Creekview, back into that defense, right in the hip pocket, able to knock that ball away at the last second.
So Dawson Curry back deep to return. And it looks like they're not going to bring pressure. They'll set up a return here. Once again, Brady Bosher on the kick. And a good punt, end over end, and Curry will field it at the 30. Makes a couple men miss, 40, 45, 50, look out. And he's finally shoved out at about the 48-yard line. A flag comes in late, I believe.
Yep.
And it seemed like the Warriors thought he signaled for a fair catch, but he clearly did not. And we'll have to see what the penalty marker is, as it's out there near the sideline.
Well, I think that's, there were, I hate to bring it up, it almost looked like the onside kick play the Falcons had. You had 3 or 4 guys just kind of standing there looking at it. Warriors had 4 white shirts there, and I think they thought that Curry may have signaled for a fair catch because as soon as he caught that ball, they just kind of pulled up and stood there, and Curry just went right in between them and took off running and was able to pick up about 15 yards on the return. But the flag came flying in back around where he caught the ball, so this may be an invalid fair catch. I'm not sure. But no.
Illegal block in the back.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, I'm not sure, what happened there behind the play. I think there was definitely a little bit of confusion. So, special teams has maybe not necessarily been special, but it's been an adventure, if nothing else, here in this first half.
That's a great way to put that. Once again, Creekview shooting themselves in the foot with penalties. Anytime they've got something positive going, it seems like there's a hanky on the ground.
Here we go. So Creekview will be set up at about the 38-yard line here. Now moving from left to right. Once again, quarters change, teams flip. A.J. Vaccaro out there. Brody Rhodes, Tyler Stevens. Hayden Thompson had the big catch earlier in this game, and Dawson Curry. And on the other side, Chase Wright lined up as the lone receiver to the top of your formation. This time it's a handoff to Stevens, and he makes a couple people miss, and he's finally forced back in by a group of about 4 or 5 Warriors. And it looks like Brayson Parker was in there for the first tackle, as well as Cody Butler to help him wrap things up.
Yeah, Toby Thompson in there as well, and also Tyler Goddard, number 14, turned the play back in. He didn't really necessarily make the tackle, but he helped make the play there. And again, this Warrior defense, like we said, getting a lot of hats to the ball here tonight, keeping some of these big plays to minimal gains. Really closing down some of these running lanes and making it hard for guys like Tyler Stevens to find really any kind of open running room.
Rhodes, 2 wide receivers, tight end. It's a bootleg out to the left-hand side. And that's gone nowhere. Just kind of a bad pass out there. It was intended for Dawson Curry. Had a little bit of pressure coming in his face from Toby Thompson. Tyler Stevens tried to help him pick up the pressure.
Yeah, one hopper in there. He was looking downfield. That time they kept Stevens in to help block, and that allowed Brody Rhodes to, when you combine his name, that's what you get Rhodes. But Brody roll into his left that time and really just didn't have anybody open. I mean, I think that was the problem. I don't think he just intentionally threw that ball on the ground, but I just think he didn't want to risk the interception right there. That was almost more of a throwaway than it was anything, and just live to breathe another down right here, 3rd down and 8.
Well, we're having a conversation with Coach Williams. The white hat joined his umpire to have a conversation about something. He looks like he's turning back towards the stands, and he's sending somebody to go say something. I wonder what it is. Whatever it is, he's telling them to cut him out. I don't know if that's now Creekview has been known for their student section. Very rowdy, but they also have the noisemakers, and the fans also have the cowbells. So there is a lot of noise-making devices, but that's allowed in high school football. So, it's kind of odd that the referee will stop the game to tell the student section to stop something.
Unless there's a laser pointer or something like that. I mean, sometimes things like that make their way in.
5 wide receivers. Brody Rhodes. Broads, as some people will call him. 3rd and 8. It's a pass. Oh, boy. It was a pass intended for Dawson Curry. Number 14 out there, Tyler Goddard, almost had it. And if he had got it, he would be off to the races. And by the way, Keith Adams Jr. in to play defensive end on that 3rd down.
Yeah, I think they saw something they liked last week against Rome. They've got Adams in there bringing pressure off the edge. Empty backfield. We've seen some empty formation sets here tonight, really trying to throw a lot of looks at this Cherokee defense to try to confuse them early in this game. But that time, Goddard read Rhodes' eyes from the snap because he stared down his receiver in the flat, and that allowed Tyler Goddard to roll over, nearly get an interception. Curry nearly caught it on the tip there, but incomplete.
Looks like they're showing pressure against Dawson Curry, who's back to punt, and they bring about 10 guys, and he gets the punt off, a good punt this time, and it's fielded. So the Warriors will get it with no drama this time. Still our score is 7-0. A defensive battle here in Canton between Cherokee and Creekview, 2 of the 3 remaining unbeatens. Dave, how you feeling about the game so far, partner?
Well, 7-0 as we talked about on the Sutherland Nissan scoreboard. 6.5 to play here in this first half, Will. And, it's a situation where both teams have not really been able to land that big punch yet. I mean, the one exception, of course, being the block punt that was picked up and returned by Chase Goddard for a touchdown. But other than that, both these offenses, they've been able to move the football. They just haven't been able to sustain the long drives. And the one drive that was sustained by Creekview ended in a missed field goal. They came away with no points. So, again, a situation right here, a low-scoring ball game. I'm not sure anyone really would have thought. Now, both these defenses are awesome. Don't think it's a surprise that it's 7-0. I just think that a lot of folks probably would have thought they'd have seen more offense, at this point here in the first half.
Yeah, I'll tell you, and Art, I want to hear your thoughts on this. I'm really impressed with the Creekview secondary so far.
They've been doing a good job. Like we said, they've got hands on balls a couple of times. Also, I've been impressed with the defensive line of Creekview getting pressure on A.J. Swan and not giving the whole time. We've seen Brody Rose with a pretty clean pocket this game. Swan's been kind of running for his life. Last drive, we saw Cherokee go back to Keith Adams Jr. on the ground. Maybe that's a recipe going forward for this second quarter.
Yeah, and I tell you, you look at this team, Grant Anderson, 4 sacks, Sam Manazzi, 2 sacks. I mean, you look all around this place, there are just athletes all over the place. And the secondary, like I said, a lot of size difference in the secondary between the receivers between these 2 teams. So something to keep an eye on there, of course. People know I'm a cornerback guy. I absolutely love Austin Trimble. I think he's a fantastic corner. Would love to see him play somewhere at the next level. I think he'll get a lot of offers, especially having a game like he did against Rome, and he's really shut down Dawson Curry so far in this game.
Yeah, the 244s, Brazen Parker for Cherokee and Grant Anderson for Creekview. Definitely the studs on both sides of the ball. The guys to watch here tonight so far, they've both shined.
Retire 44. A.J. Swan, 3 wide receivers. Keith Adams Jr. in, and it's a handoff to Jr. up that right-hand side. And he makes a couple of people miss, stays on his feet, still in bounds, and he's finally drugged down by a group of Grizzlies. Out there on the tackle was, as you mentioned, Grant Anderson coming up to play, as well as Nick Stewart coming up to make the tackle.
Yeah, and I think...
And we got a penalty down, and number 8 is coming off.
Yeah.
So it looks like the Grizzlies may get an illegal hands to the face or something, because the helmet doesn't come off by itself. Let's see what we got here. suspense is killer.
Yeah, having a little discussion right here.
There's a lot of discussions, I assume, with him going to speak with Coach Shaw. It might be to determine if they want to decline or accept the penalty. And still can't see what he's doing. Holding his hand up to his collar. Now, most referees do have microphone. There we go. What is that?
Illegal participation?
Yeah.
I have.
Illegal participation.
Okay, yep. Hey, Arthur Mosley. That's why we got it, folks.
Yeah.
Illegal participation.
May have had an extra player out. They may have had 12 guys there defensively.
Wouldn't that just be 12 men on the field?
Still couldn't get, still couldn't get Keith Adams out of bounds. They had a shot to push him out up here. They shoved him, but he stayed in bounds. I mean, you got to put a body on Keith Adams Jr. You're not going to just be able to push him out of bounds. And definitely a teaching point right here for this Creekview defense. And that penalty, tack that penalty on there, and now all of a sudden the Warriors they've really shortened the field here on this series.
All right, Arthur, is that a 15-yard penalty?
It looks like a 15-yarder. You're right. It might have been just an extra guy break. Normally you see that with the extra guy break in the huddle, but they got the play off, and I don't know if the flag didn't come out.
Well, Ronnie on the spot over here said that it was most likely thrown because somebody on the sideline decided to do something, whether they just, did the old Mike Tomlin stand in the way of the punt return. I don't know. Either way, A.J. Swan sends a man in motion, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, Keith Adams Jr. back, and he carries the ball off to the right-hand side once again, makes a couple people miss, and he gets out to the second level, and he's finally brought down about a yard shy of the first down marker, so it'll be 2nd and 1, and the Warriors are rolling behind the big legs of Keith Adams Jr.
Yeah, that offensive line is getting a good push, too, and we talked about it. Adams is a guy, he doesn't shy away from contact. In fact, he invites it, and that time, he'll run around you. He's got the speed to do that, but he's also got the power to run over you as well, and chipping away right here on the ground.
Trevor Williams called Keith Adams Jr. the engine of this offense. You might have wondered where I got that. That was from Friday Nights at the Tavern. Good old podcast from Art Mosley and Von Brown. There's your plug. That's the second plug of the game.
Oh, man, you guys are doing great.
I can't wait till you get the bill for tonight. Here we go. A.J. Swan back in the backfield. Hand off to Keith Adams Jr. That one's going nowhere, but he bounces it outside, makes a couple people miss. How did he get out of that? My goodness. And he finally gets about a half a yard, and the Grizzlies come away with the football. But I don't know if they believe that one.
I think they're going to say he was down right there, but that ball came out late in that play there. But that's about the prettiest 1-yard run you'll ever see. I mean, he was hit 2 or 3 yards in the backfield. It looked like his momentum was going backwards, somehow broke out of the pile.
And it is Creekview's football.
Wow. How about
wow. So Grant Anderson with the strip and the recovery, and the Creekview Grizzlies ripping away from the Warriors before they can get anything rolling. My goodness, what a turn of events. With 5.5 minutes left on the Sutherland Nissan scoreboard, the Creekview Grizzlies will take back over on offense.
Yeah, and I guess maybe one too many moves there. I mean, Adams, they kind of stood him up. He was in a pile there, so it was a rugby scrum, so it was hard to tell exactly what was going on in there. I think Cherokee was trying to say that his forward momentum had stopped, but as he was being pushed back, someone was able to reach in there and pull that ball away from Adams, and the Grizzlies came out of the pile with it, but even the Creekview fans weren't buying into it yet because no one else was signaling that way. And after a long discussion by the referees, they signaled Creekview football.
There have been a lot of long discussions between the referees today. I mean, honestly, this has been one of the slowest games, not so much because of the defensive aspect, but because of we've had to stop a lot of times and let the referees decide what call they're going to make. But nonetheless, the Grizzlies will take back over on offense. I formation, a lot of weight on that front line, only 1 tight end. And it's a handoff to Stevens. He makes a couple people miss and gets out the second level, a gain of about 6. So that'll be good for a 2nd and 4 play here.
Well, the main thing, if you're Creekview, you've got to try to feed off of this momentum. You got to feed off the emotion of getting the turnover and try to turn this into something right here. Both teams, like we said, have been able to move the football in this first half. They just haven't been able to finish drives.
Here we go. Looks like they'll go back to the same I formation, except this time switch the tight end for a wide receiver. Dawson Curry to the bottom. He'll be one-on-one against Austin Trimble. Trimble gives him about 10 yards. This time it's a handoff to Stevens again to the left-hand side. And he's still rumbling forward, a gain of about 2, so to bring up 3rd and 1 for the Grizzlies.
Well, I tell you, I'm just so impressed by this Warrior defense. I mean, the top 3 tacklers in the county play for this Warrior defense. We talked a lot about Brayson Parker. Of course, Goddard, Thompson, those guys 2 and 3. You've got Butler in there, 3 tackles for a loss. Dolly High with 4 tackles on the backfield. Thompson with a great line this year and a couple sacks. So these guys, this front 7 particularly for this Cherokee Warrior team, tell you what, they don't make it easy on anyone. They'll be tested right here on this 3rd and 1.
And the Grizzlies trying to go right into the mouth of them. Grizzlies have one of the best offensive lines in the county, if not the best. Curry in motion, I formation once again. A lot of weight on that offensive line. Hand off to Stevens, and he'll fall forward for enough for the first down. A gain of about 2. Move those chains, and they are out across the 41-yard line. The Grizzlies rolling in the running game.
Well, we saw a formation right there we hadn't seen yet, and that's 2 tights. They brought in an extra tight end right there. No receiver set that time by Creekview. They brought in the hogs there, and needed a yard, got 2, picked up the first down.
Careful using hogs. Hogs get slaughtered, pigs get fed.
Another tribute to our friend Larry, and I do want to mention though too, Will, that Larry still is very much, for those listening, involved in our broadcast. He's doing a lot of the prep work behind the scenes, getting us ready for the games there. So again, he is still very much part of the crew and putting in that work every week.
We just appreciate all that he does for us and all that he's taught us over the years. And here we go, Rhodes in the I formation. He rolls out, and it looks like he was greeted by Keith Adams Jr. right in his face, but he made his way out, and he'll just sling this one to the sideline and get rid of it, and a flag comes in late. An eligible receiver downfield from the line judge there is what Arthur signaled. Probably a good idea, especially with the rollout. So we'll see what this happens on this first down play.
Yeah, and that's the call. Art was right on it, and it's a situation where scramble plays are hard like that because it's a situation where, as an offensive lineman, your back is turned to the action. You're looking downfield, and your quarterback takes off and starts running the football, and you think, okay, I need to get downfield and throw a block. That's your instinct. You're taught as a player, hey, find someone in another color jersey and go hit them. That's so. You have a tendency on those broken plays where the quarterback's scrambling around for your lineman to get downfield a little bit, and that time, it was one of those situations where once he threw that ball in the air, it brought out the penalty flag.
North Forsyth up 14-0 over Etowah. Woodstock up 20-0 over Campbell. No change in the score in Gilmer, 8-0, and the Pickens and Coosa score is still scoreless in the second over there. Our score here, 7-0, 3 minutes and 30 seconds left. Play clock winding down in a hurry, 5 seconds. They're going to have to get lined up quick. 3, 2, 1, and he just gets the ball off, but that's going to be a false start. So things are really falling apart here for the Grizzlies after that first down. So move them another 5 yards back. Yeah. And it'll bring up 1st and 20.
I think DeBrow didn't snap it. I think everybody was ready to go. They knew the clock was winding down there, but everybody kind of took off, and the ball hadn't been snapped yet. So that play was doomed from the start right there.
A lot of penalties in this game so far. Really the big one of note would be if you really want to give one big one, it'd be the illegal personal foul, I would say. I mean, illegal participation too, but I would say the personal foul. Mm-hmm. Thank you for helping me there. I'm drawing a blank. Glad to have you here, Art. I think you're going to be a full-time addition. Much better than Vaughn. Just kidding. We love you, Vaughn. Rhodes up the middle. It's a draw. Makes a couple of men miss, and he's brought down by, you might have guessed it, Brayson Parker, as well as a host of others. Tyler Goddard in on the stop. Cody Butler as well. Will Ross in the area as well.
Yep, got some of that yardage back there. We got an extra headset. So, Vaughn and Art, together, are you kidding me? This is like an all-star crew.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Is there enough oxygen for me and Vaughn in this booth? That's the question.
That's the question. That's what we got to figure out.
I'm pretty sure they have to pump oxygen when he gets in the airplane because he uses it all. 3 wide receivers at the bottom of the formation, 1 to the top. Arthur, glad you're with us. You make me feel better about making people mad. 1 running back. It's a play action, and it's attempted out to Dawson Curry, but that was going nowhere. Bad throw, really, to be quite honest with you. Falls to the turf, and it'll bring up 3rd and 12.
And speaking of Larry, he's they're listening from Hilton Head, as you said earlier, enjoying the game. So big shout out there to the Prathers. And, again, quarantining, staying away from everyone. South Carolina, well, you just came back from there earlier today. You got to wear a mask there.
That is correct. We just stayed about 6 days in North Myrtle Beach. Very cold to begin with, but it ended up being a nice trip. Of course, we want to spend a special shout-out to all the Coopers, McCalls, and Grosses listening over there. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate the support. You guys support me more than I could ever hope for. So special thank you to them. Of course, thank you to everybody listening to us, and we hope that we do you justice bringing you Cherokee County football. Rhodes, play action. Keith Adams Jr. comes off the end, forces him out of the pocket, and he's just going to have to eat this one. And it'll be a loss of about 1 on the play. So Keith Adams Jr. looks like he's getting a few starts at defensive end now.
Yeah, they may have found something right there. That time Rhodes, he was just looking for a straight drop back, but Adams flushed him out of the pocket, and he flushed him opposite of the way that the receivers were rolling. So, again, Rhodes really had no one to throw to, and he just had to run out of bounds on that 3rd and 12. So 4th down play. Once again, this Warrior defense makes a big stop and gets off the field right here. And, they've still got, I think Cherokee still has 2 timeouts.
Correct.
2:41 left here on the clock before the half, and so they'd love to stick another one on the board here.
Going to need a good punt from Dawson Curry to flip the field. Ball's placed at the 38-yard line right now. Good snap, good blocking, and it is a good punt, end over end, and it's fielded. And they're trying to set up a return, but a few Grizzlies get him, and a one absolutely levels him. Number 4. Wow.
Yeah, Hayden Thompson down there is a headhunter on that punt team, and Riley Lyons, making the grab there, trying to bring it up across the 30, and was hit hard there by number 4 down on special teams.
Wow, Hayden Thompson having a good game this year, or a good game today. I mean, it is this year. It's not wrong either. But this Grizzly defense is going to be put to the test one more time. 2 minutes, 34 seconds. Once again, A.J. Swan, joined by Keith Adams Jr., having a big game, not only at defensive end, but also at running back. You might not know that. Adarius Harshaw, Brady Bosherer, Hayden Shockley, the tight end. Adam Fullen also doing some receiving duties. But two wide receivers here, 1 tight end. And it's a handoff to Adams, and he bounces it outside, makes a couple people miss. Now he's in the open field, makes another man miss, still on his feet, and he's finally dropped out by number 12, Owen Mello, out there on the corner. Or Ty Hubert, excuse me.
Yeah, it was Ty Hubert who pushed him out and may have saved a touchdown. Looked like Adams was going to go out of bounds about 15 yards further back than when he did. He just tiptoed that sideline, and even though guys are trying to shove him out, I mean, he's a load. I mean, he stays on his feet, has great balance for a big guy. He's a power runner. We've seen Creekview just try to shove him out of bounds a couple times here tonight to no avail. You've got to get a hat on Adams if you're going to get him out of bounds there. A huge gain for the Warriors.
So clock stops with the first down. Also, he was out of bounds. That also helps. Keith Adams Jr. fake this time, looking deep. A.J. Swan is, and he's going to be dropped, and it's a fumble. And did the Grizzlies get back on it?
Cherokee did.
Looks
yeah,
like the
Warriors got
will
it back.
retain it. So that was Nathan Simmons laying on the ball. But a forced fumble, that's their second forced fumble of the game. That one did not go their way, but a loss of a few yards there.
Boy, Nathan Simmons, the big 6'4", 290-pound senior, getting down and dirty there to keep that ball in the possession of Cherokee. And, boy, I mean, Swan, that pocket just collapsed on him that time. Grizzlies brought heat, and as he was in the motion of throwing, someone was able to grab his arm, and that ball just came loose.
Here we go. Grizzlies lined up with 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers, and 5 defensive backs. And it's flipped out to Keith over the middle on a screen, and he's flat out running everybody. 20-yard line, 15-yard line, 20-yard line, and a block in the back, and the flag will come in there. Good call by Art and Ronnie on the spot, so bring this back. A good attempt by the Warriors, but the 2 eagle-eyed viewers here helping us maintain control, and this will be brought back.
Boy, that was a great play call, though, again by offensive coordinator Justin Pierce. Creekview really dialing up the blitz here, bringing the pressure, extra man to the box as we talked about, and they just lobbed it, let everyone through, set up a middle screen there to Adams. It was a great play call there, as well executed. It would have been a 1st and goal if the play would have stood, but as you guys said, blocking the back at around the 30-yard line, and unfortunate because it really wasn't necessary. I mean, Adams made a couple of great moves to get out of some tackles there and nearly took that one to the house.
Chase McNeil checks in. Defensive end also plays tight end sometimes. Steve will check out.
And those excuse me, Will, those hidden yardage plays, like this yardage right here is not going to show up in the stat book tomorrow, other than a penalty yard. But, you erase a 40-yard, 30, 40-yard gain right here. That's what doesn't show up in the stat book. And so these are penalties right here if your coaches will kill you.
And no doubt, Dave, just mistakes that you can't have. And like you mentioned, probably didn't need to block that guy in the back either. That was the play was beyond, the ball was beyond where the block occurred.
So 2nd down and 5 here. They had to go back to where the play started and mark the yardage off from there. It's the spot of the foul call as well. 1 tight end, 2 wide receivers, A.J. Swan, Keith Adams Jr. 1:46 left on the clock here in the first half. Keith Adams right up the right-hand side. Finally wasn't able to get to the second level. A gain of only about 1. And it'll bring up 3rd and short. Have to see what the Warriors draw up here. Keep in mind, they do have Joel Stahl, the kicker, if they do decide or the opportunity arises where they feel the need to kick it. He's 13-13 with 3 field goals, perfect on the season.
Yeah, I think right now you're in 4-down territory. I mean, only a minute and a half left here on the clock, and it's rolling. And the way your defense has been playing with the ball on the field where it's at, I think if they don't get it here, they'll line it up again.
A.J. Swan, handoff to Keith Adams Jr., and he's going to be real close to the first down. And it'll be about a yard short, so we'll see.
And I think that's exactly what they wanted to do right there on third down. I think they were well aware that they were going to go for it on fourth down anyway, wanted to set themselves up in a fourth and manageable situation, and that's what they have right now. And this goes without saying, obviously a big play for the Creekview defense.
Yeah. Personally, I don't know. Adarius Harshaw lined up one-on-one outside with Nicholas Stewart. A power formation. It's going to be fake the other way, and they got a whole bunch of room, and he's finally brought down. So a good tackle out in the space by number 1, Cale Williams, but that'll be enough for a first down.
Yeah, Brady Botcher, everyone in the building thought they were going to go to Keith Adams, and they rolled him to the right of the formation, but they brought Botcher back around the formation, handed it to him. A little misdirection, little reverse play there to the near side, and Botcher, not a big gain. They needed 2. He picked up about 4, and that extends the drive, but now the clock is rolling down to 30 seconds.
30 seconds, 2 timeouts for the Warriors. They have to run a guy off. That's Derek Battle sprinting. Swan claps his hands. It's a pass this time. He's got a man one-on-one out there, and good defense.
Wow.
Looked like that was Owen Mello once again out there on the outside.
Mello played that ball well, never turned his head around, but he read the eyes of the receiver one-on-one with Harshaw, who's been quiet here in the first half. Last week he was the star of the game against Rome offensively with 2 very long touchdown catches, but tonight Owen Mello, number 11, has been locked up against him one-on-one, and that time he just put his hand right up, knocked that ball away, read the eyes of Adarius Harshaw.
22nd second, 2nd and 10. Ball placed at the 22-yard line. Warriors led by A.J. Swan, 3-star quarterback. Got his name claimed to fame last year after leading the Warriors to their first playoff win in a couple years. Swan claps his hands, surveys the field. Keith Adams the valve, and he's hitting him out there, but he drops it. So that'll bring up a 3rd and 10 here with 18 seconds left.
I tell you what, I'm shocked, Dave. You just mentioned this. We haven't called Adarius Harshaw's name left. You got a 3rd and 10 here. 2 timeouts. They got plenty of time to get a ball across the middle. Let's see if they can get one of those other receivers besides Harshaw, maybe Bacher, running loose out here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Again, Creekview one-on-one. They're inviting that matchup.
Ball placed on the near hash. Harshaw and Bacher, they're going to give them space here. And a false start against the Warriors will hurt that even worse. A.J. Swan throws his hands up in frustration. Keith Adams Jr. takes a knee. And that'll back him up even further.
Derek Battle, the 6'2", 270-pound senior, just flinched out of that right tackle spot. So it'll make this 3rd down play just a little bit more, little tougher to convert here. But I think at this point, 18 seconds left. Sorry, well, I think it's definitely, you're wanting to get into that Joel Stahl field goal range as much as you can.
Yeah, that field goal didn't look so bad now.
Might be a perfect time for another screen play to Keith Adams Jr. Had success early. Let's see if they go back to it.
He is in the backfield. Quasi-pistol here. 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end. Slaps his hands. Keith Adams will help block, and he's got a block on Hubert. He's loading up over the middle, and just incomplete. Attempted for Adarius Harshaw. Double covered out there. Bad idea. And with 13 seconds left, and Keith Adams Jr. is down on the play. He was in to help block Isaac Hubert, so they will go out there and attend to him.
Yeah.
Let's see. He's able to get up on his own power now.
A little shaken up there. So. Good coverage in the back end, though, by that Creekview defense. They didn't leave it to chance. I think they heard us talking up here, guys, because they brought in Cale Williams, who was kind of playing up underneath, Owen over the top as they kind of bracketed Harshaw. It wasn't a bad throw, but, again, the coverage was a little bit better. And so now you're 4th and 15, and, ball at the 37 right here. And, obviously just 13 seconds left, so we'll see what they decide to do.
Official timeout, the Warriors will take a timeout. We'll take one with them. We'll take a 30-second timeout. We'll be back to bring you the second half. You're listening to the WLJA Game of the Week on 101.1 FM WLJA.
The #1 magazine to read is Enjoy Cherokee. This beautiful full-color seasonal publication keeps you in the know with articles about interesting people, fun events, hot restaurants, and cool ideas. Enjoy Cherokee is for busy people who enjoy a lifestyle magazine worth reading and keeping. You'll find Enjoy Cherokee available at most high-traffic locations and mailed free to homes throughout Cherokee County. Join the thousands who don't miss a single issue. Follow us on Facebook and find issues on EnjoyCherokee.com. Ask for a free publication and enjoy.
Welcome back to the Cherokee County Game of the Week on WLJA. I apologize. I'm speaking all over the place. We're not ready for the second half. We're not even done with the first half. We got 13 seconds left.
13 seconds left here. I think you're just outside of Joel Stahl range here, Will. So I think they're leaving the offense on the field right here on 4th and 15, knowing they're not going to leave Creekview time if they don't get it.
So the corners will play back deep now. Keith Adams back in the game, so good news for them. And that's just a horrible throw, just short. And it looks like that was attempted for Z Johnson, number 24, the backup running back. So that'll turn it over with 9 seconds left. We'll see if the Grizzlies want to try something deep or go to a knee.
Yeah, they had L.J. McNeil, 6'1", 175 senior that was lined up out there. Swan got rid of that ball maybe a little bit quicker than he wanted to and just threw it at the feet of his intended receiver, and it goes over. But as we said, they didn't want to take a chance on, they didn't want to do the missed field goal there. They felt like maybe hitting a sideline route, set up one more play to get them a little closer.
So here we go. We've got 3 wide receivers. Doesn't look like they're ready to take a knee just yet. So 4 wide receivers, 1 tight end. A.J. Vaccaro plays running back as well. Brody Rhodes, once again, 9 seconds, 2 timeouts for the Grizzlies. And Rhodes will just keep it. He's got a little bit of room. Dances forward. First down. Moore setting up some blocks. A.J. Vaccaro, 40, 35, and he steps out at the 35-yard line with 2 seconds left. The the Grizzlies are going to be set up to try something for the end zone.
Yeah, and I'm not sure Ty Hubert has the leg field goal-wise, but you're at least in a situation right here where maybe if Brody can get behind a throw here and sprint out and can set his feet underneath him, maybe you throw one here towards the end zone and see what happens.
So let's see what they decide to do. Ball is spotted right at the 35-yard line. And it'll be time for a Creekview timeout to talk this one over. Guys, let's debate. What are you going to do? Anybody?
All right, what do you think?
Well, I'm taking this ball and I'm throwing it in the end zone and hopefully getting a pass interference. You're looking at the ball spotted at the 35-yard line. It'd be a 52-yard field goal if my math is correct. They've already missed one. I think that might be a little bit too far to most kickers' range in high school. So, you got to take your chances. And Brody Rhodes, you saw what he can do with his legs just now. I mean, maybe he can get loose, and who knows what can happen.
You never know, and I agree with you. I think it's a little bit out of field goal range here at this point. Maybe you throw it down there. Crazier things have happened. I mean, we've seen some crazy plays here, even on this field. I go back to some of the games that we've seen. We saw Harrison, and some of these playoff, Habersham Central, and some of these crazy games that we've seen here that have always been crazy. And we had some plays like that. So again, see what happens right here. See if the main thing is to give him time. He's going to have time to let this play develop, which means this offensive line is going to have to do well, and probably going to have to keep Tyler Stevens in as well to help block here, because the Warriors they're going to bring pressure. They're not going to allow number 14 to just sit back there 3, 4, 5 seconds and just let this play develop.
So Cole Hasty will check in at running back, almost guaranteeing this will just be a chip. Tyler Stevens out at wide receiver. Dawson Curry out there as well. Cale Williams, the safety, out there at wide receiver on the other end. So a whole different formation here for this one. If you got athletes, use them. And it is a drop. And Cole Hasty is back. Rhodes rolling out, looking deep, loads up, fires, and it's just too far out of anybody's reach, falls harmlessly to the turf, and that is the end of the first half. Our score here is 7-0 on the Sutherland Nissan scoreboard update. When we come back, it'll be the Foundation Financial halftime show presented by Foundation Financial. You're listening to the WLJA Game of the Week on 101.1 FM, WLJA.
At Foundation Financial Insurance and Wealth Management, we believe that your insurance protection and wealth management plan go hand in hand. We start by shopping your insurance with highly rated companies to find you the best combination of price and protection. With that plan in place, we can then work with you to develop a tailored financial plan. Whether you need to save money on insurance or you need a full financial plan, call us at 678-880-9571 or come by 670 East Main Street in Canton for a no-obligation consultation today. Securities and advisory services offered through Packer Land Brokerage Services Incorporated, an unaffiliated entity, member FNIRA and SIPC.
In times of uncertainty, it's nice to know that there's still some things that are certain. Hi, I'm Dave Garner here, your local Woodman Life representative. I want to make sure that your family is protected with needs-based life insurance through Woodman Life. Life insurance has many benefits. It's not just something that's there when you pass. It's mortgage protection, family savings, debt relief, replacing lost income, and overall peace of mind. Some companies sell it because they have to. We sell it because it's what we do. Call for a free quote today or visit me online, and let's make certain that you're protected from today's uncertainty.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's Victoria speaking for Woodstock Furniture Outlet and Woodstock Mattress Stores.
Hey y'all, it's Victoria at Woodstock Furniture and Mattress Outlet. Now we know during post-COVID everybody's raising their prices, not us. And at Woodstock Furniture and Mattress Outlet we have the best 0% interest-free financing available. Come and see us at the Furniture Store in Akron, Higher Monroe, and come and see our mattress-only stores in Canton, Kennesaw, and Douglasville, and get the best savings.
Game on! Football's back, and we're celebrating at the all-new Sutherland Nissan Cherokee County. Get game-winning offers right now. Drive the best-selling 2020 Nissan Rogue, or check out the redesigned 2020 Sentra. If you try it, you'll buy it. They're that good, fun, and affordable. Catch the savings now before they're gone. Only at the all-new Sutherland Nissan Cherokee County, across from the Holly Springs Walmart. Online at NissanNorthAtlanta.com. Remember, if it doesn't say Sutherland, you paid too much.
Welcome back to the Foundation Financial Helpful Show. I'm sorry, excuse me, I'm hearing a reverb there. But Dave Garner over there working the soundboard and putting me on last. I see how it is. It's cool. My feelings aren't hurt. Welcome to the Foundation Financial Halftime Show. I'm your host, Will Cooper, joined alongside not Von Brown, but Arthur Mosley. Art, thank you for being back with us, partner.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. And, this is I'm starting to get comfortable. I won't get too comfortable. I know this seat belongs to Von. And then before that, when we get back to normal, I'm sure Larry will be back up here with you guys. But, man, it's been a great night of football if you love defense, for sure.
Well, I'm thinking we're going to open some open tryouts for that seat because, I'm not so sold on Von. I don't know about Dave over there, but I don't know. Let's go over some scores real quick.
You better be careful. That's all I got to say.
Here. You guys hear that? He's not the concession stand. That's a record. Let's see. So Gilmer up 8-0 at the half. Pickens up 7-0 at the half. Woodstock up 34-0 at the half over Campbell. And North Forsyth 21-0. That game is still in the second quarter. Our score here, 7-0 at half. We have an extended halftime because there is the senior day, so there will be an extended halftime for us, so about 20 minutes. So just bear with us. We'll do our best to keep you entertained throughout the duration of it. Of course, we want to thank our sponsors, Foundation Financial, for allowing us to have this opportunity to bring you these games. So, Art, let's talk about this game right now. What are you feeling about the game? What surprised you? What have you expected? And what are you looking for in the second half?
I'm surprised that A.J. Swan has not had as much success downfield as we thought he would. I think the Creekview secondary, they've been in the hip pockets of those receivers all evening long. And then I also think, getting Keith Adams involved will be important in the second half. But on the other end, Creekview has been able to move the ball with some success. But then, missed field goal, drive stalls, and then penalties kind of get in their way. So not being able to cash in. And you got to give credit for the Cherokee's defense too, kind of bend, don't break, and they've been doing that all season, and that's in their MO.
That's really the big thing with the Cherokee defense is that when you look at them, they're not so much of a keep teams from getting yards. They're just really good at stopping teams in the red zone, and the Grizzlies struggled last week in the red zone. And we had a chance to talk about Coach Williams, as you mentioned on Friday nights at the Tavern, and even as we showed up at the stadium, he happened to be leaning up against the fence, so I stopped to ask. And Coach Williams is one of those guys. He's a great guy, very difficult to get answers from. He's a great coach's answer kind of guy. I've tried to get him to open up. He told me one day in private that he would like one day to be successful enough to be like Mike Gundy. And I said, Coach, this county needs a Mike Gundy. Go ahead and do it. Obviously, he has not listened. But he is very secretive with what he will tell you. A lot of yes or no's, but we do appreciate all the information we can get from him. And one thing that he was very interested in seeing was their ability to pass the football. Of course, as we mentioned, Andrew Cloy was out. So, they've really had to look for different areas that they could go to. And one of those has been not so much Dawson Curry, but you've seen a lot of passes to Tristan Summers, number 8, the junior. So, they're getting the athletes where they can. And even on that last play, you saw that they even moved, some of the guys like Cale Williams out to the position. Tyler Stevens, thank you, out there playing as well. And listen, they have a lot of size, 6'1", 210 for him. When you got size, you use it where you can. So for Creekview, I'm really excited to see what they're able to do on the offensive side. Of course, they don't have any points yet. I think for most people, we didn't expect this defensive battle. Now, we knew that both defenses were good, but we thought that maybe the offenses would be a little bit better, especially this being, the third game for the Grizzlies, the fourth game for the Warriors. We thought maybe they'd have a little bit more of a stride, but it seems like the defense has done a good job of discombobulating them and forcing them into mistakes. Really the big one is that Cherokee so far has 2 turnovers, and they have one, turnover that they left on the field because Nathan Simmons was able to fall back on the ball for A.J. Swan.
So you've got, the 2 turnovers, which is uncharacteristic thus far. Last season we talked about Cherokee being a team that defensively that thrived on turning over their opponent. They have not been able to force any turnovers in this game. However, they have been able to take a special teams play and convert that into points immediately. And maybe that's a good thing. Had they fallen on that ball, we saw 2 or 3 guys kind of have a chance to pick it up, and then finally one of them, bend his knees and pick up the ball and ran for the touchdown. But if they don't get that, we don't know. The score might be 0-0 or 3-0 at this point.
Right, and that's the thing is that when Cherokee got down here, where they had the opportunity to kick the field goal the first time, I know that Dave was sitting there saying you got to try it for 4th down, and you saw me. I was shaking my head. No, kick the field goal. And now it's because I'm a big fan of kicking the field goal, and that's because you'd be up by 2 possessions. Now let's not forget Cherokee will get the ball to start the second half, so that's something to look forward to for the Warriors fans. But let's go over some stats real quick here for you. Cherokee, 29 plays, 122 total yards, 2 of 12 passing, 27 yards in the air, 13 rushes, 100 yards, only had the ball for 7 minutes and 51 seconds. Creekview, 39 plays, 149 total yards, a much better passing game, 7 of 16, 62 yards, 19 rushes, 87 yards, a time of possession of 16 minutes and 9 seconds over there. So for your individual stats, you're going to have Tyler Stevens with 9 attempts, 24 yards. He has 1 reception for 6 as well. Brody Rhodes is actually the leading rusher on the team right now, 9 attempts for 56 yards over there. And then Cherokee, you're going to have Keith Adams Jr. with 9 rushing attempts and 96 yards over there. So a very big difference over there. Not a lot in the receiving game. For the leader for them is Dawson Curry on the Creekview side, 2 receptions for 25 yards, still searching for some answers over there. And oddly enough, the leading receiver for the Cherokee Warriors is Keith Adams Jr. as well, 1 reception for 19 yards, that being the long screen play that was aided by the block in the back penalty. So not a lot, actually.
Not a lot. But thanks a lot to Ronnie on the spot for those stats. I mean, he is on the spot as usual this week.
I tell you, now listen, he might be my own, if anybody doesn't know, he's my dad. But if for anybody that doesn't know, he's got this system figured out where he looks over and sees what number it is, and then he computes it into this system, and he's got everybody that touched the ball. So I can tell you that 6 different Grizzlies have touched the ball, and only 4 different Warriors have touched the ball. So one of those being, A.J. Swan so far in this game, not doing so hot. As we mentioned, he's 2 of 12 passing for only 29 yards. So, I don't think anybody expected this coming into this game.
No, I know I did not. I think you might, Coach Shaw might take a look at the offensive coordinator and say, hey, we got to figure out another way to get Adarius Harshaw the ball. You might see some more intermediate routes or shorter routes and looking deep downfield. And to be honest with you, AJ has not had a ton of time not a really clean pocket to get those looks and to give Harshaw a chance. And when they have tried it, again, those Creekview DBs have been right there with them, stride for stride.
Right you are. We're going to take our first break on the Foundation Financial Halftime Show. When we come back, we'll preview what these teams need to do to adjust to win this game. And then we'll also take another break and take a look at the rest of the remaining scores as we get them to you and what we're looking for in the second half of this beautiful Friday night. The skies have finally parted. It is no longer rainy, just a beautiful night here in North Georgia for some football. You're listening to the Foundation Financial Halftime Show. 2 minutes, and we're back on WLJA 101.1 FM.
At Foundation Financial Insurance and Wealth Management, we believe that your insurance protection and wealth management plan go hand in hand. We start by shopping your insurance with highly rated companies to find you the best combination of price and protection. With that plan in place, we can then work with you to develop a tailored financial plan. Whether you need to save money on insurance or you need a full financial plan, call us at 678-880-9571 or come by 670 East Main Street in Canton for a no-obligation consultation today. Securities and advisory services offered through Packer Land Brokerage Services Incorporated, an unaffiliated entity, member FNIRA and SIPC.
Not every road is worthy of a postcard, but don't tell that to the new Michelin Cross Climate 2 tires. Where you see 8 hours of road trip torment with stop-and-go traffic, the Michelin Cross Climate 2 with a 60,000-mile warranty sees a Sunfield family safe drive.
The Michelin Cross Climate 2 tire is safer for longer than leading competitors. Discover more at Michelin.com.
Turn to the experts and get a premium tire with premium service. Only at Canton Tire and Wheel in Canton.
Based on resistance to gravel and severe wear testing, compared to Michelin LTX MS, the 70,000-mile warranty only applies to E-metric sizes.
There's been so much talk about distracted driving, you're probably sick of hearing about it. Well, we'd rather you be sick of hearing about it than lose your life doing it. The caring staff with Sosby Funeral Home in Canton reminds you that we all have to go sometime, but don't rush it. Wait your turn and don't drive distracted. Keep your hands on the wheel, your eyes on the road, and make sure you stay alert and arrive alive. Drive safely and help us protect our teens. They're the only future we've got. Brought to you by Sosby Funeral Home, honoring life from 191 Jarvis Street in Canton.
When you are the official sponsor of the comeback, adding a few feet to a drive matters.
First down.
So does shaving a tenth of a second off a lap. Top-rated surgery, physical therapy, and motion analysis by the sports medicine team at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta helps young athletes not only prevent injuries, but heal faster and return stronger, ready to win. Our more than 25 orthopedic and sports medicine locations are ready to assist your athlete's comeback. To learn more, visit choa.org/sportsmed.
Welcome back to the Foundation Financial Halftime Show. I'm your host, Will Cooper, joined alongside Arthur Mosley, Dave Garner over there doing nothing useful except keeping my audio up and down. Appreciate your partner. Hey, that's a nice gold chain he's got over there. Doesn't he look special? You know, actually, this is the same guy that went over to the McDonald's to get the Travis Scott meal. No, that wasn't an invitation for you to hop back on, sir.
No, if you're going to call me out like that, then you gotta. I'm back. I'm running the board tonight over here.
Well,
I've got all the controls.
Hey,
man.
By the way, for people that don't know, who set up the board?
Oh, you set the board up, but I'm running it.
So I just want people to know that Dave.
See, nobody out there can see us. We're socially distanced in the booth here tonight. So Will's like 8 feet away from me. So I've got all the controls right here in front of me, so I can tune them out whenever I want to.
I just wish that he did a better job of it, but it's okay. No, I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding. You know, that's the fun thing about these Friday night broadcasts is that people may not know this, but we actually, and we being me, Dave, Vaughn, Art, and O'Shea, we actually talk one amongst each other. We're not just here on Friday nights. We actually have a kind of a group chat that you got invited to this week. So
I sure hope they realize that, because if they don't know
they
that,
think we're really mean.
They probably think we hate each other.
Yeah, and we don't. We really do like each other, and we, I think as far as all of us go, it's important that we represent the kids effectively, and I think the best way to do that is for us to share information like we do. So really excited to have Art with us. Of course, Art, you've been doing this. How long have you been doing the Turd Ferguson Report now?
This will be the fourth year that the Turd Ferguson Report has been in print or in press, or however you want to put that. But ever evolving. This year partnering with a new podcast with First Down Brown in Cedarwood Tavern, Friday nights at the Tavern. And that's the last time I'm going to plug that podcast.
Okay.
But
I got one more I got to plug it in. I'm going to give you 3. But it is a good podcast, and they do a good job of getting the coaches on. A lot of times with the Cherokee County Coaches Show on our end, sometimes scheduling is an issue because I do the interviews in person, and most of the time, you guys have the technology with your podcasting system to get them on the phone. So really excited to have you and Vaughn, a team of that, because it makes my job a whole lot easier. Same thing with O'Shea. When O'Shea drops those tweets with the facts, man, it's like, all right, time to go plug in. He's the man on the spot. Of course, as we mentioned, he does a great job over at the Cherokee Tribune, the Cherokee Ledger. We appreciate that. We get the paper delivered to the station. We really like his stuff over there. And then, of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the golden voice, Dave Garner. Been doing this for 26 years now. And if you didn't know that, just ask him and he'll tell you. Even if you don't ask, he'll still tell you. 26 years, don't forget it. Man, I tell you, he's old. These guys are old around me. Not Art. Art's a young man. But Dave is old, and he looks it. Going to Travis Scott meal on McDonald's. I mean, I can't imagine. I just can't imagine. Is that what being an adult's like? Silence is beautiful, isn't it? Silence is beautiful. Hey, let's talk about some football. So, Art, what are you looking for in the second half here? What do the Grizzlies need to do, and what do the Warriors need to do to get this thing turned around?
I think the Grizzlies need to continue to establish that run game. I think in their previous 2 games, it was Tyler Stevens in the second half who really turned it on. So, kind of like we talked about Keith Adams earlier, he gets stronger and stronger. I think Tyler Stevens is a kid that can get stronger and stronger if they keep feeding him. Brody Rhodes had some success in the intermediate routes, and he's beat him. You mentioned the stats. He's the leading rusher for the team, so I think you might see him a little moving out of the pocket a little bit more. To Cherokee, excuse me.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think that's the thing, is that Brody Rhodes is an excellent quarterback on the move. A.J. Swan's much more of your prototypical stand-in-the-pocket kind of guy. And I'm not saying that A.J. can't run, because like Dave mentioned, he is a big, athletic young man, 6'3", 190 pounds. That's not an easy guy to bring down. And, you look around this team, there's a lot of size. Really the only guy that's undersized, in which we mentioned, is Darius Harshaw, 5'10", 155 pounds. but he's done a really good job of being controlled by this Grizzly secondary. Most of the time, he has been forced to one-on-one coverage, and that's been by a group of Owen Mello as well as sometimes Cale Williams and once in a while Nick Stewart, but they've kept him quiet tonight.
They have kept him quiet. I think you'll see Cherokee trying to go back to the run again, similar to what Creekview's game plan is. I think you find that Cherokee has had success with Adams Jr. on the ground, and the one mistake he made, he was fighting for an extra yard. He lays the ball on the ground or gets stripped away by Mr. Alexander over there on the Creekview sideline, but I really think you got to go with your workhorse, Keith Adams Jr., and just ride him until he seems like he's just one tackle away, one juke away from reaching pay dirt.
Right, you are, and you even see him come in on the defensive inside from time to time on third down, when they have obvious passing situations. Obviously, they don't want to use him too much. Want to keep him fresh. Of course, this is only the third game or the fourth game of the season. That was one of the issues that Coach Shaw addressed with you guys, is that after playing a team like Rome, you knew they were going to be physical, and Creekview's coming in physically, and then they have to play Cartersville right after this. So they've had this stretch of game after game after game. They haven't had the benefit of any bye weeks yet, so they're really stressing, and the next thing you know, the region schedule comes up just after that.
Yeah, there was really no breaks for Cherokee, and Coach Shaw wanted to get this schedule like this. He made a schedule to get his team ready and prepared for a postseason run. They made it a second round last year. Looks like they have all the tools to make another run, but you've got to get through this pre-region schedule first, healthy, and then it doesn't get any easier come region schedule time.
And I was thinking about this the other day when we were there at the Corky Kell. I remember you were there. I remember, A.J. Swan got hurt, and Keith Adams Jr. was cramping on every play. We were really worried that, Cherokee, really this preseason favorite to be the best in Cherokee County, we were really worried that they might be in trouble. But we're glad to see that everybody's out healthy. Even Riley Lyons, who was out last week, he's returned to the lineup. So good news for the Warriors, pretty much all the way healthy. The Grizzlies, also the same story. Andrew Cloy, the one outlier there, had a collarbone injury. He's listed out for at least the next 8 to 10 weeks for recovery. So we're going to have to pay attention to that young man and see what he can do. Of course, he's a big part of this offense as well. But Dawson Curry taking things over on the wide receiver side as well. So, real quick, let's run over the scores that we have on other games around the region. It's 21-0 North Forsyth over Etowah, and then Woodstock up 27-0 over Campbell. Coosa and Pickens 7-0, and that's Pickens is in lead on that one, and that is going into the half. And Gilmer put up 8 points. They're doing a good job putting up 8 points. They don't like to kick extra points. I'll have to ask Coach Saunders about that next time I talk to him. 8-0 over there. So those scores are at half right now, and our score here at the half is 7-0. Art, some quick final thoughts from you. What are you thinking about the rest of the schedule? What do you think about the rest of the game, partner?
Rest of the game this week, I can't see any situation where we get a ton of points. Now, I would have said the same thing a couple of weeks ago when Cherokee was down 14-20 against Sequoia, but it looks like Creekview's defense is just stingy, as stingy can be. Again, they're giving up no points and 7 points coming on special teams. I think if you love defense, this is your kind of game.
Right you are, my friend. We're excited to bring it to you. Dave, you got anything you want to add, partner?
Nope. I'm pretty good right now.
Are you sure?
No, I'm saving it for the second half, man. I'm saving it.
Saving what?
Oh, I've got a lot of stuff written down over here.
Why don't you start talking about it, my friend? We got, listen, the folks at Foundation Financial paid for a full halftime show. We're going to give them a full halftime show. We're looking at the Warriors right now doing some warm-ups. A.J. Swan throws a nice long ball. The Warriors coming back out. I'll tell you, we've talked about this before, and we've talked about it off air. We really like coming to Creekview for multiple reasons. One of those reasons being the atmosphere here is one of the best, not only in Cherokee County, but pretty much anywhere you can find in the state. And we also are big fans of going to Tommy Baker Field, and we had the opportunity to schedule Tommy Baker Field 4 times, and we had the opportunity to come to the Grizzly Den 4 times as well. We had to jump on that chance. So this is our first stop here, but we will be back because they'll be here. We'll go to them with Sequoia, and then we'll also join them as they go to River Ridge. And then, Dave, you and I, when we sat down and built the schedule, we added the infamous flex game, where the last week of the schedule, we can go wherever we want to go, partner.
Well, and the idea behind that is we want to make sure that we give all of our listeners out there the premier game and the game that has the most meaning. And, a lot of times when you're trying to set a schedule before the season starts, you just don't know how things are going to play out. So we wanted to kind of leave a little bit of flexibility later in the season to be able to go to a game that, maybe has playoff implications. We didn't want to, pigeonhole ourselves into being at a game that, that may not have anything, even as far as playoff implications were concerned. So we wanted to have the flexibility built in that we could do that. And I'm excited about the rest of the way. We've got a game next week. Obviously, Cherokee will see this same Warrior team against Cartersville. Then we'll have a rare bye week. I think that'll be a first since we've been on the air doing high school football here in this 4th year. But it just so happens that everybody is off or gone. And so it was the original week that was supposed to happen this week because of fall break.
And then they delayed the season.
So it just didn't happen. But, I'm excited about it, man, partner. We got some good ones coming up.
And we got another great half coming to you here at 7-0 in favor of the Warriors. 2 minutes, and we'll be back. Thank you for listening on the Foundation Financial Halftime Show. Back with us for the second half.
You're listening to WLJA FM 101.1 and WLJA HD1 LJ, Woodstock, Jasper, Canton, and all of North Georgia.
At Foundation Financial Insurance and Wealth Management, we believe that your insurance protection and wealth management plan go hand in hand. We start by shopping your insurance with highly rated companies to find you the best combination of price and protection. With that plan in place, we can then work with you to develop a tailored financial plan. Whether you need to...
Orthopedics is the team physician for Kennesaw State University, as well as for many other schools and teams. Using only the latest technologies, Pinnacle Orthopedics is dedicated to keeping you at the top of your game.
Game on! Football's back, and we're celebrating at the all-new Sutherland Nissan Cherokee County. Get game-winning offers right now. Drive the best-selling 2020 Nissan Rogue, or check out the redesigned 2020 Sentra. If you try it, you'll buy it. They're that good, fun, and affordable. Catch the savings now before they're gone. Only at the all-new Sutherland Nissan Cherokee County, across from the Holly Springs Walmart. Online at NissanNorthAtlanta.com. Remember, if it doesn't say Sutherland, you paid too much.
The #1 magazine to read is Enjoy Cherokee. This beautiful full-color seasonal publication keeps you in the know with articles about interesting people, fun events, hot restaurants, and cool ideas. Enjoy Cherokee is for busy people who enjoy a lifestyle magazine worth reading and keeping. You'll find Enjoy Cherokee available at most high-traffic locations and mailed free to homes throughout Cherokee County. Join the thousands who don't miss a single issue. Follow us on Facebook and find issues on EnjoyCherokee.com. Ask for a free publication and enjoy.
Welcome back to the WLJA Game of the Week. This is the WLJA Game of the Week, Cherokee County style. 7-0 in favor of the Cherokee Warriors facing the Creekview Grizzlies. I'm Will Cooper, joined alongside Diamond Dave Garner, the golden voice of the broadcast, and Arthur Mosley, our special guest for the day. Vaughn, as much as we poke fun at you, we hope you're doing good, buddy. Thank you for listening in to us. Thank you for everybody listening in. We are set here for kickoff as the last 2 seconds will expire on the clock, and the Grizzlies are set to kick off here.
Yeah, a couple things that stood out to me, guys, from that first half. Creekview doubled up Cherokee on time of possession. 16 minutes to 8 in that first half, but they have no points on the scoreboard. That just shows you how strong Cherokee's defense is, and when they've needed to stop, they've been able to come up with it. Conversely, though, just 22 passing yards for this Cherokee offense here. Very un-A.J. Swan-like. Adarius Harsaw getting quiet in the first half. I look to see these guys try to open things up a little bit more, but definitely not going to take the ball out of Adams' hands. He's just shy of 100 yards already in this ballgame.
Tyler Stevens set to kick to the Warriors. Toe meets leather, and the second half is underway. This one will be short enough for a return. Fielded at about the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And hard to see a number on there. It looks like Keith Adams the way he was running. And, it looks like it was Z Johnson, the backup running back.
Yep. Yeah, Zy Johnson, 5'9", 160 sophomore. Had the return there and pretty good field position for Cherokee. Let's see what they can do with it. I mean, we talked about Tyler Stevens coming into the game for Creekview. 24 rushing yards. They had to establish that run game there a little bit. But as you guys mentioned, Brody Rhodes was the leading rusher for Creekview in that first half. The defenses, though, have been outstanding. I mean, that's certainly been the story here tonight, obviously, in a 7-0 ball game now as we start the third quarter.
Here we go, third quarter. A.J. Swan, Keith Adams Jr., Adarius Hardshaw, Brady Botcher. You've heard the names. Let's see them perform. They send Harshaw in motion, but it's a handoff to Adams right up the middle. That one's going nowhere, and he's finally wrestled down for a gain of only about 2, 2nd and 8.
Yeah, Grant Anderson came shooting through to make the initial contact. We talked a lot about these Cherokee backers here tonight. Grant Anderson, 19 tackles coming in, 6 for a loss with 4 sacks. It's tied for first in the county with Hunter Dorizo of River Ridge, who, of course, we saw last week. Anderson has really been the anchor and the leader in the middle of that Creekview defense.
Right you are, my friend. Grant Anderson leading the team in tackles. That's 19 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 4 sacks. Wow. Here we go. A.J. Swan sent in motion with Keith Adams Jr. This time it's a fake handoff. They sling it out to the middle, and that's Darius Harshaw has his first reception of the game, but a good open field tackle. There we go. He's finally brought down. Cale Williams. Great open field tackle.
Yeah, Williams hanging on for dear life, was able to finally wrestle Harshaw to the ground. As we talked about, a quiet first half for Darius. But they're not going to go away from him. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, he's very dangerous in space. They want to try to get him into space. The problem is he just hasn't had any space to work with in this first half. Mello has been right there with him. They've doubled down on him at times. He just hasn't had a lot of open space.
Cale Williams will have the formation here. Grizzlies showing pressure. A.J. Swan makes a check at the line. Trevor Williams comes running over to make a check as well. Swapping a few bodies around, still the same pressure. Keith Adams Jr. will take it off to the left-hand side. Grant Anderson brings him down right at the first down marker. What a great tackle by Grant Anderson. And it's going to be close to right down to the original line of scrimmage. So that'll bring up a punting situation for the Warriors. Grant Anderson, as you mentioned at the beginning of this drive, Dave, coming up big.
Well, this is just such a good tackling defense. I mean, there's been a lot of plays tonight where Keith Adams, one-on-one, you like his chances, but great open field tackling tonight by this Creekview defense to keep Keith Adams to some short gains. Now, still right at 100 yards after that, last series there, but nonetheless, man, this Creekview defense showing up here tonight, forcing a fourth down.
So here we go. Once again, the place kicker Brady Boscherer. And that one's kind of a weird spiral, and it'll be fielded by Dawson Curry. And that will go down to the 28-yard line. So the Grizzlies will set up shop here, and Broads will come back out and see if he can get something done. It's okay. You guys made fun of me for the trainer comment, so
that's right.
It's only fair I give it back. And once again, I will apologize every game that I cover. I do apologize to Matthew Trainer. I know your name's not Megan. I don't know why I said it.
Just wait till we go back to Sequoia. I tell you what.
Lord.
But and here's Creekview offense going back to work. They moved the ball real well in the first half. They just couldn't finish drives. So opening drive here of the second half. Let's see how they adjust.
Trips to the bottom. One wide receiver to the top. Rhodes surveys the field. Screen pass slung out. Good reception. O.J. Vaccaro stiff arms a man, and he's finally forced out of bounds. Wow, a good open field run and a good stiff arm. He's put the stiff arm out there, so A.J. Vaccaro has his first reception of the game. And it looked like Tyler Goddard was finally the one that shoved him out, but Chase Goddard was the one with a stiff arm.
Yeah, Dawson Curry threw a great block to spring Vaccaro on that play. Now, he was lined up at receiver, but they threw a little screen to him out of the backfield, and Curry was able to hold up his man, and just a nice job right there by Vaccaro to turn the corner as the Warriors lost the edge on that play there, and Vaccaro was able to make a first down reception.
Here we go. So once again, Hayden Thompson checks back in, 6'1", 235-pound senior. Two tight ends, pistol formation. Rhodes hands off to Stevens, tries to make a couple men miss, and he's finally wrapped up. And Brayson Parker comes in to make the tackle for him. So once again, we call that young man's name. Also in to help, Riley Lyons came up from his safety position there. So gain of about 2, 2nd and 8.
Yeah, they really want to get Tyler Stevens a little bit more room to run in there. It's very uphill battle against this Warrior front. As we talk about, they've only really had 3 down linemen most of the night to allow those linebackers, of course, to kind of roam around here a little bit.
We have a Cade Radham sighting down there on the stands. Brody Rhodes hands off to Tyler Stevens, and he's wrapped up. That was Toby Thompson there on the tackle. For people that don't know, Cade Radham, one of the most prolific rushers not only in Creekview history, but also in all of Cherokee County. Started his freshman year, racked up 4 seasons of 1,000-yard rushing, and now he is at Kennesaw State. So a local product there. Of course, Kennesaw State trying to recruit Brody Rhodes right now. So Rhodes also has some offers from Army and the Citadel. Creekview also has a few kids at Army. Paxton Naiman, the tight end from 2018, comes to mind. The Citadel, Andy Davis from 2019 comes to mind. Here we go. Rhodes, 3 wide receivers, rolling out to the near side. And he's just going to have to throw that one away. And it was close to an attempted catch out there. Looks like it was number 8 attempting to catch that one, Tristan Summers, but it falls harmlessly to the turf, 4th down.
Yeah, that drive, it kind of started promising after the Vaccaro first down, but then after that, 3 straight plays, a net of just 2+ yards, and just like that, Creekview in a punting situation right here. That time they rolled Brody to his right to the near sideline and just didn't have anyone open downfield. They're doing a lot of sprint out stuff to try to create space, but the back end of this Warrior defense is just right there, and no one's really been able to break open.
Dawson Curry set to punt. Cherokee bringing pressure, but a good punt. Low, line drive, fielded, and he needed. So unintentionally need it, but had to go to a knee to field it cleanly. So they will take over at the 27-yard line, And we'll keep the action right here for you as the Warriors gather around to get their play call for the first play of this drive.
Yeah, Curry, it's one of those things. He hits a lot of low liners, and, sometimes you can hang your coverage team out a little bit right there, because you get the ball to the return guy so quick before those guys have a chance to really get down there. Fortunately for Creekview, Botcher again able to, he kind of went down, as you said, to field that ball, and his knee was on the ground when he picked it up. Otherwise, he had a little bit of room to the far side if he'd have gotten to the wedge there.
Once again, the special teams are being particularly special for the Cherokee Warriors. That's where their points came off a blocked punt in the first half. This is a handoff to Keith Adams. He was running up the middle, and he bounces it outside, makes a man miss, and a good open field tackle out there. I believe that was Cale Williams on the tackle once again, and it was.
Yeah, we've called Cale Williams' name a lot here tonight. He's had a lot of those open field tackles. Keith Adams was still 10 yards on the play there, and you can kind of see that this offensive line, late in ball games, is the one thing they've done over the first 3 games is they've kind of wore teams down, as the game's gone. And when you have a big offensive line like they do and you're leaning on those guys, you have the opportunity to really wear them down late.
North Forsyth up 28-0 over Etowah right now for a block punt. Keith Adams Jr. reverses his field, and he's got a little bit of room to run. Look out. And he's finally stopped, cut down out there by number 18, number 19 out there. And some whistles now. Oh, an injured player. Couldn't tell if that's a Grizzly or a Warrior.
That's let's see.
Looks like a Warrior, and it's Keith Adams Jr.
No, it's a Creekview player. Yeah, it's a Grizzly player down there. They're trying to catch a number, but we'll see if we can catch a number here in a second. But one thing I was going to say, Will, is the first half, you got Keith Adams, picking up, 2-3 yards, maybe 4 against this Creekview defense, doing a great job. But now here just on this series already, 10 yards, 8 yards. You start seeing those runs get a little bit longer, and that's kind of what they've done. They've been in a lot of close ball games, the Warriors have, over the first few weeks, but they've really been able to take advantage of teams in the second half. And, not saying that, there's still plenty of time in this game. 7.5 minutes here in the third quarter. A long way to go in a 7-0 ball game, but you're starting to see Cherokee starting to find their rhythm a little bit on the ground. Still haven't really been able to make a lot happen through the air. But, Adams now well over 100 yards on the night is kind of doing what Keith Adams Jr. does.
Yeah, we've talked about Keith Adams Jr.'s in some of the podcasts about how he just seems to get stronger and stronger as the game goes on. And you talked about a lot of that is because of that big offensive line that you just mentioned. They just kind of wear on you a little bit.
Right.
Which podcast is that?
Oh, that's Football Fridays at the Tavern for anyone who has not heard.
You've got an interesting uniform combination here tonight as well. You've got a Jacksonville Jaguar hat. You got a the U
Miami
pullover there.
Oh, and Mello down on the field, by the way. That was the injured
Mello,
Grizzly.
yeah.
Back to his feet. So a big loss for the Grizzlies, by the way.
Well, he's been huge tonight in the secondary. He's been the one matched up one-on-one with Darius Harshaw most of the evening, and he's done an excellent job in shutting down the big playmaker for Cherokee. So, again, he's hobbling off the field right now with some help, but not coming off on his own power. So that's not a good sign. It'll be interesting to see how they change the coverage now and how they try to match up, because maybe an opportunity right here for Darius to get his name called.
Sorry, boys, you can go back to talking about your outfits.
Let's get back to the game, and we'll talk about my Florida attire in just a minute.
It was a rough night for those Jags last night, as we know, but, still a long way to go here.
Claps coming from the home side here. O'Mell will be helped back to the bench. So a little bit of a break here for the Grizzly defense. A.J. Swan, Keith Adams Jr., 3 wide receivers. It's a handoff to Keith Adams, running right up the middle. And he breaks a few tackles, but it's still going to be a yard short of the first down marker, so call it 3rd and 1.
Yeah, there was a turnover in the first half. That's one blemish, I guess, for Adams, was they had a drive going in the first half, Cherokee did, and it looked like he was stopped, but somebody ripped the ball out. And so otherwise it was a pretty clean first half there, but that time just a yard or two. This, just when you think that these offenses are about to kind of open up a little bit, the defense makes a big stop.
Swan gets there, and I don't know if he got it. He did not. And the Grizzlies say they have the ball, but it looks like it'll be stopped just short of the 4th. So let's see what the Warriors decide to do on 4th and 1 again.
Wow. Well, just when you think, that Adams is going to get 8-9 yards of carry, and then all of a sudden, back-to-back plays right here, and the Warriors aren't able to pick up a yard, basically. So here's 4th down right here, 4th and a yard, and it looks like they're going to show punt here.
Looks like it, bringing on the package. The Grizzlies running people back in and back out, trying to get somebody off the field. There we go. And a lot of confusion here from the Grizzlies, but they finally get the formation they like. Dawson Curry back deep to punt, and it is a punt. Ooh, wow. A good attempt out there, but upended. And that will be fielded right at the 29-yard line. So Keith Adams Jr. had a good block out there on number 55 for the Grizzlies. That was a big play. Sam Minoja came to get the ball. But good punt. Ended up at the 24-yard line. I'll learn to count one of these days.
Well, yeah, they brought pressure that time on the punt, trying to go after it. I mean, we talked about special teams as the difference in the ball game so far. We talk about the 3 phases of football. Defense has been there tonight. The offense, they've been able to move the ball. No one's been able to finish drives, as we talked about. But the points again in this ball game, 7-0 in favor of Cherokee right now, coming off that first half block punt. And kicking game has been an adventure here tonight.
Right you are, my friend. Once again, this is Will Cooper, joined alongside Diamond Dave Garner, the golden voice of the broadcast, and Arthur Mosley. Guys, thank you for being with us. Of course, Ronnie Cooper, Ronnie on the spot, joining me as well. We appreciate you guys joining us here on this Friday night. Trips to the bottom. And Brody Rhodes is going to keep it here off to the left-hand side, and he dives forward, gained about a yard here. So Rhodes, once again, a very prolific rusher, but just having a little bit of tough sledding so far this game.
Certain situations, I think, a while ago, Cherokee might have went for it, in a different ball game. But up 7, and as well as your defense has played here tonight, you're not going to take any chances. You don't want to give Creekview a short field to work with and give them any chance or any confidence at all that they can just march all the way down the field and score against your defense. So good situation, good decision there, I think, by Coach Shaw to punt that football. And, they're going to try to get Creekview 3 and out here. Grizzlies just haven't been able to find their rhythm offensively yet.
2nd and 8. 3 wide receivers to the bottom. Rhodes rolls out to the left-hand side. And a flag comes in late. Watch the holding. But Rhodes will get out. And he gains about 5 yards, but it'll be coming back.
Yeah, hold there. Going to bring that one back. And remember, we saw this Creekview football team in Week 1 against Etowah, and they needed all 48 minutes of that game to win the football game. We know they scored with just seconds left there to win that ball game. And so, again, this is a Creekview team that even though their offense hadn't been there yet, they get there at the right time. They still know they've got well over a quarter to play. It's about finding that combination. They just haven't found it yet, but this is a very resilient football team, and I think the Cherokee Warriors know that as well, so they've got their ears pinned back, and they're coming after them.
Want to give a special shout-out to Emma down in Kennesaw giving us a listen. Appreciate you letting me know. Hope you're having a good night. So the Warriors backing the Grizzlies up deep in their own territory here. Do you guys want to get – so you didn't answer the question. What's up with all the Florida attire?
Well, Will, if you didn't know, I grew up in Jacksonville.
I did not.
And I can tell you November 30th, 1993 was when the Jacksonville Jaguars were awarded the NFL franchise. If you want to know, that's the beginning of my first basketball game of my senior year down in Jacksonville. But anyway, let's get back to the action. We're here in Cherokee County.
Talking about Jacksonville, Florida.
First and ball ground right now.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh. So Tyler Stevens, it looks like, carries the ball for about 4 yards. So third and about 21 to go now. So what's in the playbook for 21, guys?
Well, I don't know. It's one of those things where you don't necessarily want to get too aggressive here and take a shot downfield because, you give up a big interception around here. I wouldn't be surprised if we see another quick kick, here in this situation like we saw in the first half from Brody Rhodes, simply because, Cherokee doesn't necessarily have a man deep because you're really in a hole right here. And like I said, you don't want to just throw one up down the field because, you don't want to get anything picked off. The short kick that he had there a while ago was one of those that, went a good little ways. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him kick it here on 3rd down.
Let's see. It's a low snap. He handles it, and he's just going to fire it right in the ground, trying to get rid of it away from the pressure. And that'll bring up a 4th down here. So now they'll have to really punt. Bill Belichick was really the kind of guy that made that 3rd down punt famous with Tom Brady, where they'd be in 3rd and long after a personal foul or a holding, and they would just kind of drop kick it. And Brady has quite a few punting yards. Of course, Brady now at Tampa Bay.
Yeah. So. Well, to bring in a Larry Prather reference, general nailing, sometimes punt the ball on third down, But I was talking to Larry earlier in the week, and he was kind of disappointed that we hadn't worked in any general nailing references. So there you go, perfect one right there. And
listen, we would be remiss if we didn't mention any trickeration, but at least we know that hogs get fed or pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. This kick is up and deep, and it'll be fielded. Well, it lets it bounce, and the Grizzlies will pin it at the 45-yard line. So the Cherokee Warriors will have it in the Creekview territory here. Let's see if they can put some points on the board. Our score is still 7-0 on the Sutherland Nissan scoreboard update. Thank you guys for joining us on this beautiful Friday night.
Well, a very beautiful Friday night. 70 degrees or so, and hey, it's it's a beautiful night because we're here, like we've talked about. I mean, we didn't know we'd be here.
Blessing.
Yeah, absolutely. But very short field for Cherokee right now. They best starting field position of the night. They start from the Creekview 45. So a short field, and certainly if you're the Warriors right here, you want to make this a 2-score ball game. You don't want to come away with this drive without any points.
Well, if they had kicked the field goal in the first half, not saying who's called that, but.
Well, he may not have made it. That was an awfully long field goal. I think I don't want to say that you
Sorry, he's not
overestimate.
Well, what can I say? I have confidence in the young man. The 4 wide receivers. It's a handoff to Keith Adams right up the middle. Stutter steps, makes a man miss, and they're still driving. And now he's finally brought down. A good block out there on the end. Isaac Hubert and Nathan Simmons have been going back and forth all game. Of course, Nathan Simmons, 6'4", 290 pounds. Isaac Hubert, 6'1", 195 pounds. All-American Max Preps freshman for the Creekview Grizzlies. And, the Grizzlies had an amazing amount of sacks, about 40 sacks last year. They haven't had a ton of sacks today, but they've gotten to the quarterback a fair amount, and A.J. Swan has not looked comfortable today.
No, not at all. And that, Creekview credit their pressure. They haven't allowed A.J. to become comfortable. We've seen that pocket collapse a couple of times.
So it's going to be a reverse here. They get the ball to Adarius after faking the handoff to Keith Adams, and he's got blockers. 30, 20, makes a man miss. 15, 10. He's got one man to beat, and he's finally brought down by a group of Grizzlies. Wow, what a play call from the Warriors, and a flag comes in late at the 20-yard line. And Art, what do you think, son?
I got to say, that's probably a legal block in the back or a hole behind the plate.
Wow. Cherokee not happy about that one. Boy, a big number 65, Nathan Simmons, was 30 yards downfield blocking on that play right there. I don't think the penalty was on him, but you like to see those big linemen way downfield. But, yeah, somebody, as you said, Art, behind the play. We saw that in the first half that negated a Keith Adams, a little screen pass there that would have set up 1st and goal, but there was a block in the back behind the play that negated that play. Warriors come away empty from that drive with no points, and now here, same situation. They run the reverse to Harshaw. They've got 1st and goal from the 7-yard line, but somebody way back at the 30, another block from behind there negates the play, and so once again the Warriors just stay behind the chains.
Tough sledding right now. So it is a 1st down, but it definitely negates the big play, so the ball is spotted right at the 30-yard line. So take that red zone, and Adarius Harshaw finally had a big touch. That's his 2nd time he's had the ball in his hands today. Swan claps his hands, fakes the handoff to A.J. It's a slant right over the middle, completed to Botcher, makes a man miss, and now he's finally brought down by a group of Grizzlies. And more whistles come in here.
Yeah, flag back at the 32. I mean, that was just a quick slant right there, quick snap to Swan. Got the ball out of his hand quickly to Bacher again on a short little slant there for a 1st down, presumably. But, again, let's check that hanky.
Ronnie on the spot says it's going to be on the Grizzlies. The spot of it would make you think that it's a holding call. There's been listen, this is the thing, is our game's gone much more slowly than the other games in the area, but it's been really due to the referees.
Yeah.
Not saying they've done a good or bad job, just that they've had a lot of discussion, which you would rather let them have a lot of discussion than no discussion. And it's going to be an ineligible man downfield on the Warriors. An illegal touching is what it's labeled as.
Yeah.
Must have been covered up.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that might have been what it was there or something, I guess. I'm not. Yeah, it's illegal. Yeah, that's an interesting call right there. I'm not exactly
this game right here makes me feel really, really, really bad about not knowing some of these rules. Because I'll be honest with you, I've been watching football for as long as I can remember, never heard of ineligible touching before.
Well, normally you get that when an offensive lineman is the first one to touch a completed pass. In this instance, I think the wide receiver was covered up, and he couldn't have been the first one to touch the ball. So a lineman can make a reception. He can't be the first one to touch the ball, so that's where that illegal touching comes in.
Gotcha. Okay, all right. Well, there you go. Folks, hope you learned something like I did. That's why we keep Art around. He's proven himself useful. I just got to say, Vaughn, not so much. Art, a lot. Vaughn has still given us score updates. We appreciate that, Vaughn. We know that you're doing the Lord's work for us, partner. A.J. Swan loads up and fires one, and it would have been a hospital pass, but he dropped it. So, wow, probably good for him that he dropped it. That was a pass attempted out there for Brady Botcherer, and once again, Cale Williams on the coverage out there. So it'll bring up a third and extra long.
I think you heard footsteps right there. Williams was rolling there over into coverage. They tried to hit a little seam pattern there to get some of this yardage back, but the ball all the way back out at the 40 now. So, I mean, this drive has been everywhere from midfield to inside the 10 to back out to the 40. It's been a crazy drive, and the Warriors have ran a lot of clock, and they're right back where they started, basically.
Only about 15 minutes left here in this game. 7-0 Cherokee over Creekview. A.J. Swan gets a high snap, loads up, fires, looking down the field. Does he have him? And it's just out of the reach. If he had laid out and tried to grab it, he could have got it. And I believe that was intended for Harshaw, who's still on the ground, guys.
Yeah, he reached out, tried to one-hand that ball right at the goal line. That ball was on the money, but just a little bit too much in front of Harshaw, and he's still down, getting up slowly. I'm not sure if I hope he didn't pull. He might have pulled a muscle or cramped. I'm guessing it's probably a cramp over there because he is back up on his feet. But, yeah, that's just something. Larry Prather's texting me now. We got everybody texting us now here. You know, Larry, he's sharing stories now, but talking about some of the, gadget plays, hidden yardage, some of the terminology.
The trickeration for gadget plays,
Right,
special teams are special. You got to win all three phases of football. People think you have good offense, you have good defense. That's all you need. It's not, because there's special teams too.
That's right. But, yeah,
we love you, Larry.
He was telling me Coach Henderson over at Clark Central in their heyday had an offense based off of punting on third down. So had the whole package there back in the 1980s, and only someone like Larry would know that.
Only somebody like Larry would know that. The professor. So punting formation here. Bat snap. Brady fields it cleanly. Almost got to it. It was Cole Hasty, but that one's going to go out of bounds. Let's see where they spot it at.
Well, he shanked that off the side of his foot. They're going to mark this ball up at least the 20, if not more. And, they keep walking it up here. So very short punt off the foot of Bacher right there. That ball, as you said, one hop there on the snap and had to get rid of it because the pressure was coming.
24-yard line. Yeah. We do have a lot of text messages coming in. Vaughn, we appreciate you, buddy. We do appreciate you.
Well, a very disappointing drive for Cherokee, as we talked about coming into the game.
No, you're right. And listen, this is the thing, is that Cherokee's had a little bit of ability to get in and out. They just have these penalties that have kind of piled up. Now, I know that a lot of people over there on the Cherokee sideline aren't happy with that. And, some of them may be rightfully so, but that's how it works with officiating, unfortunately, is there is room for human error and room for disagreement, but it is what it is. Rhodes here on the outside. Designed carry for him, and he's finally forced out of bounds by Will Ross. First time we've called his name tonight, 6'1", 170-pound senior. 25 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. Add 1 to him right there. Bring up a 2nd and 7.
Yeah, Ross definitely a guy standing out since the first week. One of the newcomers that the coaching staff's really high on, has done an excellent job there. And, this is a big series right here in the ball game, and we're down to 2 minutes in the third quarter. This drive for Cherokee started on the 45. They just couldn't make anything happen. They 1 step forward, 2 steps back. So now Creekview from inside their 30, with a little bit of time to work with here, just have not been able to find continuity on offense.
Creekview, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end. That's A.J. Vaccaro. We've called his name quite a bit tonight. Tyler Stevens. Vaccaro sent out in motion, and it's a swing pass to Curry, who it's completed, but it's going to be a gain of only about 2, so they'll get it right out to the 30-yard line, and it'll set up a 3rd and 6 for the Grizzlies.
You guys may have thought that there were 3 phases to football, but actually there's 4.
Okay, let's hear it.
The 4th phase is emotion. So Cherokee's coming off a tough week, an emotional victory last week.
Right.
Okay.
And I'm waiting on Larry to text the next text so I can tell y'all how the story ends. But
I figured, wait a minute. If emotion's 1, isn't like momentum another?
It's offense, defense, special teams, and emotion.
And momentum. I got to add a 5th one there.
Well.
Is that lumped in with emotion?
It might be lumped in there.
Folks, we're going to start in a football class, I think. Trevor Williams wants to take a timeout and talk about it. We'll take a timeout with him. We'll take a 30-second one. We'll be back to listen to WLJA Game of the Week, 101.1 FM.
Welcome to Perk Up. What can I get you?
Can I have a large, skinny, non-fat macchiato with
My 15-year-old has the taste buds of a middle-aged woman, but she's no adult. That's why we took her to Children's for her scoliosis. Their pediatric orthopedic program is nationally ranked. Their specialists understand growing bones and how to treat them. My kid ordering an adult-style coffee? Okay. Going to an adult doctor? Not so much.
Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Orthopedics. Where you take them matters. Learn more at choa.org/ortho.
We're back here at the Grizzly Den. Jack Sims being recognized on the board with a 4.32 GPA. I think if you took the period out, that would be Dave Garner's weight. But other than that, it's all good. You know, I do
the
think
combined weight of this booth here,
Yes,
probably.
yes.
I mean, you know.
Speak for yourself, sir.
I mean, you would be the 32 of that 400.
I would rather be the 32 than the 400.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about that now.
Oh, good Lord.
But anyway.
Well, we really do want to thank everybody for reaching out. Of course, like we mentioned at the beginning of this, you know, first of all, I'm Will Cooper, doing alongside Arthur Mosley, Dave Garner, Ronnie Cooper. Want to thank Larry Prather for giving us some information. Vaughn Brown, in all seriousness, doing a great job keeping us updated on the scores. We appreciate Vaughn, everything he does for us. And Patrick O'Shea down on the sideline getting things worked out for his broadcast down there. He's going to try deep. That's Rhodes, and it was attempted outside to chase right, but just a little bit too far for him. So a little bit of an update for you. Owen Mello's still chilling out on the trainer's table, so it looks like that injury is maybe sustained a little bit. And we got an injured Grizzly. It looks like Brody Rhodes holding his throwing hand.
Yeah, you know, his hand was coming forward. That was a 3rd and 5, and he loaded up that time. They tried to break Chase out of a pack and try to catch this Warrior defense asleep, and he had a step on the defenders there, but just an overthrow by Rhodes. But I think as his arm was coming forward, it may have hit a helmet or made contact with somebody. So Rhodes comes off the sideline holding that right hand, and that'll be something to watch whenever Creekview goes back on offense for the next series. But right now, faced with another punt.
We've only got about 13 minutes left in this game. Mason Hicks is the backup listed, 6 foot, 185-pound junior. So not losing much size. Rhodes only 6 foot 1, 185 pounds, and I use only very sparingly. This is a deep punt. It was never signaled for a fair catch, and he's blown up right as soon as he catches it. A good pursuit and a good tackle out there in space by number 31 for the Grizzlies, and that is Nick Stewart.
Yeah.
Defensive back.
Riley Lyons he never signaled for the fair catch. He had Stewart right in his face, and as soon as he caught that ball, Stewart just laid it on him.
Laying the lumber, as they say. Speaking of laying the lumber, congratulations to the Atlanta Braves for clinching the NL East for back-to-back-to-back seasons. So very proud of them. Of course, WLJA is your home for Atlanta Braves baseball, except when we interrupt it on Friday nights. Now, important thing to note is that if we do play a wild card game, we will normally give away to them depending on the time. We've done that before. We did it at Sequoia last year. We're more than happy to do it again this year, but we will bring you Friday night football every chance that we can. Keith Adams Jr. bounces it out to the left-hand side, and he's brought down. Good open field tackle that time by Isaac Hubert, a gain of about 1. So that saved a good few yards for the Grizzlies.
Yeah, if he turns the corner, that's a big gain. Easily a first down right there, but a good open field tackle on the edge that time to drag Adams down right at the line of scrimmage, maybe a yard, but that's it.
So here we go. Once again, 7-0 is our score. Creekview looking for an answer, but Cherokee on offense right now. Been a very defensive game, very exciting game. Not a lot of scoring, but a lot of back and forth. Swan claps his hands, and it's a handoff to Keith Adams Jr., and he's met once again by Isaac Hubert in the backfield. Wow! And a group of other Grizzlies, Cole Hasty in there, Grant Anderson in there as well. My goodness, they are rallying to the ball right now, guys, and this Cherokee offense looks tired, and the Creekview defense looks refreshed.
Yeah, Taylor Coxyoung, the sophomore DB in there at a corner, with Mello out of the lineup, who's been so big here tonight. You thought that they might try to take some shots, against this Creekview secondary, but that just hasn't happened. They have really dedicated themselves to the run play, but here it just hadn't been here on this drive.
That's the end of the third quarter. We're going to the fourth in the Grizzly Den by a score of 7-0. You're listening to the WLJA Game of the Week. We'll take a 1-minute break, and we'll be back. WLJA 101.1 FM.
Hi, I'm Dave Garner.
And I'm Janet Mueller.
And we're your local Woodman Life representatives.
You know, Dave, it must be tough announcing games and still providing financial security through life insurance, retirement, and member benefits.
Well, Janet, it's an honor, but it means that I have a great partner when it comes to protecting families from financial hardship.
So come see us.
Or call us at 706-273-9347.
Or 770-894-7898.
And find out how Woodman Life can help you leave memories, not expenses. Woodman Life, standing strong for generations.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's Victoria speaking for Woodstock Furniture Outlet and Woodstock Mattress Stores.
Hey y'all, it's Victoria at Woodstock Furniture and Mattress Outlet. Now we know during post-COVID, everybody's raising their prices, not us. And at Woodstock Furniture and Mattress Outlet, we have the best 0% interest-free financing available. Come and see us at the Furniture Store in Akron, Hiram, and Rome, and come and see our mattress-only stores in Canton, Kennesaw, and Douglasville, and get the best savings.
Welcome back to the Cherokee County Game of the Week on WLJA 101.1 FM. I am Will Cooper for the final quarter, joined alongside Diamond Dave Garner, the golden voice of the broadcast, Arthur Mosley, the leader of the Turd Ferguson Report, and Ronnie on the spot, Ronnie Cooper, our spotter of the night. Patrick J. O'Shea has left us and is now down on the field. Follow him over on the Twitter webs, does a great job keeping you updated over there. Of course, want to wish a special thank you to Vaughn Brown, keeping us updated on all the other local scores, and Larry Prather providing us with all the football knowledge we could hope for and more. A.J. Swan here looks to his left. Keith Adams was the valve, nobody open, and finally finds him, and he's got a little bit of space, 40, 30, and he's finally brought down. Man, what a good catch and a good pass. One of the first times we've seen the Grizzlies allow a deep pass from the Cherokee Warriors, and Keith Adams Jr. is already the leading receiver for this game, and he's a little bit slow to get up, stretching out, but he looks like he'll be good for this play.
Yeah, doing everything here tonight. Even played defense a little bit more this week as we saw him do last week. That time they just flared him out of the backfield, kind of faked it to him, but no one went with him, and that play took a while to develop. None of the other receivers opened downfield, and Adams was able to kind of get lost about 15, 20 yards down the field there, and Swan put it on him right up against the Warriors sideline over there on the other side for a huge gain.
Swan, pistol formation. Hand off to Keith Adams, runs up the right-hand side and cut down, but a flag comes in right from the umpire position, most likely a hold given the position, but we'll wait and see the call.
Yeah, Coach Shaw not going to be happy with the penalties here tonight, that's for sure. The ninth-year head coach at Cherokee, second longest tenured coach at Cherokee behind Brian Dameron. And again, there have been a lot of huge penalties on the Warriors tonight offensively that have negated some drives. I mean, they would have had first and goal a couple of different times in this ball game had it not been for penalties.
Right, you are. Coach Shaw, 40 and 49 all-time. We don't talk about 2017 for a reason. That's an inside joke between him and Vaughn. Shouldn't have stepped in that one. Uh-oh. Yeah, that's going to come back to bite me. Sorry about that, Coach Shaw. Honestly, Coach Shaw is one of the best guys to interview. Very nice, very personable. Really, that's one of the unique things about Cherokee County is we feel like we get to be part of a family, not only with the broadcasting side and the, our ability, but also we get to know the coaches and the players, and we do feel like they're kind of our family a little bit. So we appreciate everything they do for us, of course. And Coach Williams on this sideline, a fantastic guy. We had the pleasure of working with him for quite a bit. Really just terrific programs, Cherokee and Creekview both. We're so excited to see them succeed, and we're excited to see how this one wraps up here. A.J. Swan claps his hands, 3 wide receivers. Fakes the handoff to Keith Adams, and it's a slant all the way, and Adarius was so busy trying to run into number 31 for the Grizzlies, Nick Stewart.
Yes.
Not totally sure what they're saying, but it looks like a flag comes in late.
Yeah, Swan took a big shot at the tail end of that play. There was just a quick slant, but it was well covered. I mean, Creekview in press coverage, man coverage as well up on the line there. So kind of hard to run those slants when you don't really have, the room to run them. Twins to each side. Now they're running trips back over here near side. 2nd and 19 after the incompletion. The penalty again got them behind the chains once again.
You're right about that. See if they go back to Keith Adams. So they've got 4 wide receivers. Keith Adams in the pistol right behind A.J. Swan. He's the valve again, and it's good pressure, but it's going to be a setup screen. Brady Botcher has all day. The 20, the 15, 10, 5. It's going to be real close. Did he get in? No. Yes, he is in. The Cherokee Warriors add another touchdown. It is 13-0. Brady Botcher from A.J. Swan. My goodness, and with 11 minutes left to play, we've got a ball game, folks.
Wow. And the Warriors, again, a situation right there, bringing Bacher back across the formation. They rolled everyone to the right, 2nd and 19. They rolled Swan to the right. The receivers went to the right, but Bacher kind of slipped out of the backside of that formation. They threw back across the field, really into the middle, and Bacher is wide open. There was no defender anywhere around that play, and he was just able to take it down the far side of the field.
Stahl on to attempt the point after, and it is up and good. You can line up the board. It's 14-0. 11 minutes left to play. We'll keep the action right here for you as we are winding down here for our game. Time for the Creekview Grizzlies offense to get something rolling, Art.
Yeah, they've got to get something going. We've seen them move the ball a little bit. Play calling got a little bit creative that time for Cherokee. I would imagine that we'll see Brody Rhodes maybe roll out a little bit more and take some shots. Still plenty of time left in the ball game, 11-19, the way your defense has been playing. But it's got to start now. You can't wait.
Well, situation right here, we saw what Creekview did against Etowah in the opening week, and it took, a long time to get the offense rolling, but they eventually did get rolling. But now, you find yourself down 2 full scores here. That's a position they haven't been in all night long, and this Cherokee defense hasn't shown any signs of letting up. So really an uphill battle here now with, 11-19 to play in this ball game. You got to feel like with drives being the way they are, you feel like Creekview's got to do something on this drive right here. They've got to come away with points in some way, shape, or form.
Owen Mello has been reported out for the rest of the game. So an important thing to note as you get deeper into this one. Joel Stahl, once again, the kicker. Does place kicking and field goal kicking. Toe meets leather, and the Grizzlies are set to return this one if they can. And it's just short of the end zone, and he muffs it right at the goal line. He turns around, picks it up. 10, 15, and he's drugged down right at about the 20-yard line anyway. So a very stressful 20 yards, and the Grizzlies will set up shop. 80 yards to go. They got to get something rolling here, guys.
Yeah, Dawson Curry fortunate to get back to the 20 that time. He kind of dropped the ball there around the 2-yard line, picked it back up, was able to tiptoe his way up to the 20. But, yeah, you're right, Will. I mean, they've got to make something happen right here. They've got to get a little creative. I think you can kind of sense the frustration a little bit from the fan base, even with this Creekview offense. There just hadn't been a lot for these guys to cheer about, and we've heard some of the folks over here on this side being at Creekview on the home side, kind of yelling like, come on, out of frustration, wanting them to open it up here a little bit. They're going to have to get creative.
Last drive, 6 plays, 72 yards, 71 yards passing, 1 minute 59 time of possession. Brody swings it out to A.J. Vaccaro. He's got a few blockers, turns it upfield, runs a man over, and is finally brought down. And it looks like the Goddard twins were in there to help make the stop.
Yep, Brazen Parker back there. Alonzo Upshaw, we've talked about it. Situation, I like that play right there on first down. Loosen up that Cherokee front a little bit. You've got Vaccaro coming out. He's a bruiser. You get a guy like him in space and he puts his shoulder down. He's hard to tackle.
Pickens has a final score, 10-0 over Coosa. They won that one. North Forsyth 28-0 over Etowah. Gilmer 14-12 with East Jackson out of Commerce, Georgia. Woodstock 48-7, and our score here is 14-0 in favor of the Cherokee Warriors. The Grizzlies have the ball at the 26-yard line, looking to make something happen. 2nd and 3. Rhodes turns around, fakes the handoff, looking deep. He's got a receiver out there, lays it open, and it's going to be a pass interference. Good call, great call. Number 17 out there was the intended target, and that is Chase Wright, 5'11", 185-pound senior. Got tangled up there with, it looks like, Chase Goddard out there in the secondary, 5'10",
Riley
165. Riley Lyons, yes, sir.
Yeah. Lions had him one-on-one down the sideline, just a little double move there, and a little pump fake from Brody Rhodes, and he just laid that ball up there, and the two got tangled up. And, if Lyons turns his head around, plays the ball, but never did, and just kind of stayed up there. A lot of hand fighting going on there, and just too much grabbing that time from Lyons.
Important thing to note, this is high school rules, so it's a 15-yard penalty and not a spot of the foul penalty. That's a change that you'll see in the NFL. So apparently we're doing a rules learning session today.
A little rules clinic, yeah, and it's not an automatic first down either in high school football.
Correct.
It's just a 15-yard penalty. So if it's
sometimes it makes sense to interfere.
Yeah.
Here we go. Brody Rhodes, shotgun, trips to the top. It's a pass all the way, and it's once again attempted to chase right, and he gets a few yards out of it, but he'll be brought down by a group of Warriors. Riley Lyons on the tackle that time. So looks like they'll give him about 6 yards, so at the 48-yard line. Once again, Grizzly fans getting impatient. You can hear them yelling tempo down towards the sideline.
Well, they're yelling tempo, but, we've seen 3 straight passes from Brody Rhodes. It looks like they are opening up the playbook a little bit.
Definitely the time to. Less than 10 minutes now, just a 9-minute section. Rhodes, this time, hands it off to Tyler Stevens right up the middle. Still fighting for some yards. That'll be enough for a first down. Move those chains. So they're finally into Cherokee Warrior territory, and it's spotted at the 47-yard line. So that does stop the clock.
with Andrew Cloy being out of the lineup tonight for Creekview, you kind of had to wonder who was going to step up in his place. And we've seen that Chase Wright, the senior receiver, has been a guy that's had several key catches here, particularly in the second half, and doing a nice job stepping up here tonight in that passing game and then mixing in with Tyler Stevens' run right there for a first down.
Brody communicating with Tyler Stevens, shifts him over from his left side to his right side. Now they got it. And it's going to be a draw, it looks like. Stevens setting up a block out there. He's got a few room, and he's barreled forward for a first down, lowers the shoulder, and that'll move those chains, and that stops the clock once again. 9 minutes and 8 seconds left, and the Grizzlies all of a sudden got something rolling.
Well, we've seen this story before. It's just neither teams just haven't been able to finish drives here tonight, particularly this Grizzly offense. They've moved the football. We've talked about that time, you felt like Rhodes was maybe a step away from taking that one to the house there, and big chunks of yardage right here down to the Cherokee 35.
Here we go, pistol formation, bunch formation on the left side, and it's Stevens on the carry, and he's bouncing it out. Another good gain of about 7 or 8 yards. Bring up second and short.
Yeah, getting big yards on the ground right now. That offensive line you talked about, DeBrowa, of course, Perez, Saladin, Doran Hartley, the tackles, and moving guys around a little bit there up front. And we talked about, Creekview had the ball twice as long as Cherokee in the first half. And so you got to think that maybe this Creekview, offense, if they can sustain some long drives and keep that Warrior defense out there a while, could wear them down a little bit.
Trips to the left side. A.J. Vaccaro moving in motion to set up as a tight end. Tyler Stevens in the backfield. Fakes the handoff. Brody Rhodes is going to keep it out to the outside. Has a foot race with Toby Thompson and can't win it. Finally forced out of bounds by Austin Trimble. A gain of nothing or one, depending on how you look at it.
And this is normally the time we've seen Cherokee's defense really kind of stiffen their neck and get tough down here all game long, all season long, absolutely. And
it's time for the Grizzlies to prove they can get a little offense working.
Yep.
Like we've said, they've had plenty of success within the 20s, or outside of the 20s, excuse me. It's been everything within the 20s, and they had that problem with Woodstock as well. They've relied heavily on the defense, and to be honest with you, keeping Cherokee's offense to 14 points is no easy task. So very impressed with the defense so far in this one. Rhodes will have the power formation here. Turns around, hands it to one of the upbacks, and that's going nowhere. Still fighting. He's still on his feet. A.J. Vaccaro was not going down without a fight, and he's going to be real close to a first down, maybe a yard short. Wow.
Yeah.
What a run. And we have an injured Warrior down on the field.
Yeah, 3rd down and 2 right there. They handed to Vaccaro, the up back in that formation. And, he was hit right at the line, but was still able to power forward and get a yard. I think the injured Warriors, Alonzo Upshaw, I think is who that is, the linebacker.
Correct. Yep. Senior, 5'8", 180 pounds, excuse me. That's a big difference. That's like the difference between me and Dave. But, yeah, I tell you, Alonzo Upshaw is one of those guys that we've heard about for the past couple of years. He's a really feisty guy, just a little bit undersized. And the problem is not really a problem. It's a good thing. But when you look at Cherokee's defense and the size that they have, going over some of these numbers, you're going to have Cody Butler, 5'11", 205 pounds. Tyler Goddard, 5'10", 180. Will Ross, 6'1", 170. Brayson Parker, 5'11", 205. There's not really a spot for him in there. Not saying that he's not a good player. He is, and that's why they use him and help alternate him. So on this 4th down play now, looks like they're going to go back to the power formation with about a half a yard to go. Big play here. 7 minutes to go. Rhodes turns around, hands it to the upback. A.J. Vaccaro again. He's got it. And that'll move the chains. So the Grizzlies are still alive in this one. And move those chains. Cole Hasty on the carry, actually. Excuse me. The linebacker comes in.
Wow, big play right there. Another bunch formation right into the middle of that Warrior defense and got right to the 25-yard line, which was the line to gain. The marker was right on the 25, so got it without a measurement right there. But now that clock's rolling, you got to have 2 scores here. There's still plenty of time at 7.5. You got your timeouts. But if you're Creekview, you can ill afford to waste any time right here.
Certainly not in any hurry. 15 seconds on the play clock, 7 minutes and 20 seconds on the game clock. And the ball is snapped by Rhodes. He's just going to have to fall and eat it. And that's a loss of about 9. Wow, so that's an unfortunate break for the Grizzlies. It'll set up 2nd and 19.
And Art, I don't know if that was a bad snapper, if he just kind of took his eyes off of it for a moment. It looked like it just kind of
could have been a little bit of both. Kind of looked like it was low and to the right of him, and he had to go down there and kind of backhand it before he knew it. It's like a greased pig out there. He kind of tough to get a handle on it.
Hey, greased pig out there. I like that one. We're going to have to remember that one.
And, guys, this is a 4-down territory right here. So, I mean, now you're back to 2nd and 19 all over again. And, field goal doesn't really do you good. I mean,
No.
this is 4-down territory for Creekview.
Yeah, especially with the miss Stevens earlier. You just got to go back. And Rhodes is going back to the air here. He surveys, got plenty of time, makes a man miss. He's going to try and make something happen, 30-yard line. And he's going to be dragged down by Will Ross out there on the outside. So a good open field tackle, but he works back, so it'll bring up about 3rd and about 14.
Yeah, very good open field tackle. Rhodes trying to slip out the back door there, kind of away from the trip side of the formation, and had a little bit of running room there, but Ross came out of nowhere and was able to put the clamps on him right at the 30. If otherwise, it's a big gain over there on the far sideline. But 3rd and 15 now, you've got 2 plays to pick it up right here, but you still got a long way to go.
Also, clock's running down here now. We started this drive with 7 minutes and 20 seconds when they got the first down back. Now it's 5 minutes and 50 seconds with 5 seconds left on the play clock. Rhodes surveys. Keith Adams Jr. is coming up from behind, but he gets it off, and it is completed to Tyler Stevens. What a catch. What a pass. Brody Rhodes could feel Keith Adams climbing up his back, had to roll out to the other side and complete it. Move those chains enough for a first down.
Yeah, Grizzlies boy overcoming the bad snap there, a 3rd and 15. Able to pick up the first down. They brought Stevens out of the backfield that time and just ran him down the sideline there. Just one a really great grab there. Caught the ball up at his highest point, just the way they teach it.
Once again, Tyler Stevens, the running back, but all-around athlete. 28-0, the final over in Woodstock. Etowah falls to North Forsyth. Surveys the field. Tyler Stevens again, easy pitch and catch. He's going to try and work inside and wrapped up by Brayson Parker out there on the outside.
Yeah, brought Stevens out of the backfield again that time and just lobbed it to him, and set up a manageable situation right here. This Cherokee defense on their heels a little bit right now, trying to keep everything in front of them. But if you're Creekview, you love this situation right here because at 5.5 minutes and the clock is stopped because he went out of bounds, you still got all 3 timeouts. You're not having to worry about onside kick if you score right here. You can still kick off, play defense.
And I think everybody in the state of Georgia now knows you don't have to let the ball roll 10 yards before you fall on it. Rhodes surveys. It's a pass again. Stevens a little flare out. And he's trying to run it, and he jumps, and a flag comes in late. But haven't seen a signal from the line.
Didn't quite get in there. Boy, he was upended hard over there on the far sideline. Rhodes left his feet, yeah.
A couple flags out there on the field.
Yep.
Number 67 coming off. That's Samuel Hartley. So it's going to be an ineligible man downfield, so that'll back him up 5 yards as well. So Samuel Hartley have to come out for a play. And Jalen, Thibault? T-I-B-O-D-A-U-X? Thibodeau,
yeah.
Sorry about that, folks.
You must not be from Louisiana.
No, I am not. Proud to say I'm not. I am a good old-fashioned Georgia boy, born and bred.
That was illegal participation there on that last play. We've seen that penalty now 3 times here tonight.
Seriously, I've never heard of it. But we're
going to have to get you a GHSA official rule book here.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. We can do that for my Christmas gift. Because I already got Dave's. I got him one of those diet books. I know you're a big Betty Crocker fan, but I'm afraid none of that's on there, partner. Maybe the Travis Scott meal?
That's right,
man. Can we get a real quick review of the Travis Scott meal?
Hey, it's great. I'm telling you. I mean, McDonald's is running out of, they're running out of ingredients because they're selling so many of them. Wow, this is a big penalty right here, though. I mean, this is on Creekview. And so, again, as we talked about the 15-yard penalty, so instead of it being, ball at the 1-yard line here, that penalty is going to take it all the way back outside the 20. And so, we've seen this tonight from both teams.
Once again, you're talking about these penalties and the illegal participation one. That one I don't understand because it's out there on the side where there's no sideline, where there was nobody out there on the goal line. So I'm not exactly sure what that means. Keith Adams Jr. will check back in at defensive end, it looks like. So keep an eye on that young man. He lines up on the near side, so he would be going head-to-head against, I believe that's Anthony Dorr, the left tackle, who most people feel like he's probably the best of the offensive linemen. Of course, if you read Patrick O'Shea's article on Braden DeBora and Samuel Hartley. Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you for that, Art. So apparently illegal participation is called when an offensive player goes out of bounds and then returns back into the field of play, which I don't necessarily understand that one, but
he can't be forced out of bounds. He has to be forced out of bounds.
Right, yeah, can't come back in.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what you're saying. We're going to educate yourself. Brody Rhodes takes the snap, rolls out to his left side now, surveying. He's got problems. Keith Adams Jr. is one of them. A good open field block by Anthony Dorr. And he's going to finally, that's going to be a horse collar. And a whole bunch, 3 flags come in at once. Looked like they were throwing rice at a wedding.
They didn't miss that one.
No, they did not.
I think every referee in the county threw a flag on that play.
So they will get a bunch of that back. And a really big part of that play was Anthony Dorr springing the block on Keith Adams Jr. for a second time. Laid out to do it. A lot of effort from that young man. Once again, 6'3", 255-pound senior, the biggest guy on that offensive line for them.
I'm not ever sure I've seen a ball game where both offenses, had a drive, say, at the 40-yard line, got down inside the 10, but then penalties backed them all the way back out to the 40.
And then they keep fighting back in.
And so that's what we're seeing right now is the penalties have really been kind of the equalizer, the great equalizer in this game for both sides now, because Creekview's been 1 step forward, 2 steps back, now 2 steps forward again, presumably with this horse collar penalty. When it's all said and done, it was what, 2nd down and 20, I guess. So now with this penalty, this is going to move the football back to just inside the original line of scrimmage, which started all this, plays and plays ago. So,
and by the way, there is 1 yard where they could get a first down and not be in the end zone. So it's not 1st and goal, and is a horse collar not an automatic first down?
What?
Okay, so 2nd down. Good Lord.
15-yard penalty. So 2nd and 8, they need the 1 yard line. I mean, the original.
And now we're going to have another conversation going on.
Yeah, I think they're talking about where to spot the football. I think there was some conversation there about where this ball needed to be put down at. So the ball, the original set of chains has been sitting from the 11-yard line. So the penalty put it down just inside the 10.
So Ronnie on the spot has information, because he always does. He says that it is a half the distance to the goal penalty, so it's not the full 15 yards. They are probably having a discussion about that right now, as you can hear the boos and the jeers coming from the Creekview sideline, saying, this is the longest 5 minutes of my life. Just hurry up and let's play the game. Because everybody else around us is finishing. As we mentioned, Von Brown putting us updates here, and really the only games that haven't finished are the high-scoring ones. So a game that's 14-0, you would kind of expect to be wrapped up here. But we have spent a lot of time discussing rules and rule books, and they have done the same. But here we go. 2nd and 8 from the 9-yard line. Rhodes rolls out to his left. He looks like he's going to run. A good block on the outside. He's got some room, and he is in. Touchdown, Creekview, Brody Rhodes. It is 6-14, and the Grizzlies have life, pinning the extra point on the Sutherland Nissan scoreboard update. What a run by Brody Rhodes, the senior.
You had Brody Rhodes kind of just leaking out and looking for a receiver, and just decided, hey, he's got a lot of open grass. He tucks it and runs. Very fleet of foot down there at quarterback, and Brody scoots into the end zone for the Creekview score.
Brody Rhodes. Many people thought that him and A.J. Swan would go back and forth as the two steadfast anchors of their offenses, and they have proven today to do just that, going up against two really tough defenses and pinning the extra point here. On to attempt is Dawson Curry. Hold is up, kick is up, and good. 7-14 in favor of the Warriors with 5 minutes and 2 seconds left. We'll keep the action right here for you. No reason to get away from this fun stuff. Guys, what a football game we got. Don't turn anywhere yet.
Yeah, I mean, Creekview trying to duplicate the magic from the first week against Etowah, where they were down in that game and really didn't do a whole lot offensively until the final drive. When they needed it, they got it and scored with 6 seconds left. And we may very well be staring at another crazy finish like that here tonight. The big run there by Rhodes, who's been the leading rusher for Creekview tonight. And, of course, Hubert adds the PAT. So, 14-7 ball game as they quickly cut that lead in half. Both teams with just one offensive touchdown tonight. And I think, looking at Cherokee situation where they came into the ball game averaging over 33 points a game, the fact that their offense has only put up 7 points tonight, the other 7, of course, coming off the block punt in the first half, I think that's a big surprise. I think a lot of folks felt like Cherokee certainly put up a lot more points offensively.
Right you are. Vaughn, thank you for the score update of our game. Appreciate that, partner. So the Grizzlies are going to talk about what they want to do here. Maybe they want to try an onside kick, maybe a little trickeration. Special teams have to be special if you're going to pull off an upset. Now, if you ask these Grizzlies, this isn't much of an upset at all. We're going to pause for 10 seconds for a station ID. You're listening to WLJA, the Cherokee County Game of the Week.
You're listening to WLJA FM 101.1 and WLJA HD1 LJ, Woodstock, Jasper, Canton, and all of North Georgia.
That last drive was 19 plays, 74 yards, 34 of it rushing, 40 of it passing. Took 6 minutes to complete that. When you are trying to put points on the board in a hurry, well, I guess that's a hurry for some people. But as I was saying, when you ask Creekview, they don't feel like an underdog coming into this game at all. They're undefeated, proven that they belong. They could beat 7A teams. They've done it back-to-back weeks. And if you ask Cherokee, they're certainly not underdogs. Obviously with wins against Carver, wins against Rome, and then a win against Sequoia, very handled win against Sequoia as well. Looking forward, they will be our Cherokee County Game of the Week next week. Cartersville and Cherokee will head over to Tommy Baker Field for our third time this year. We sure do love that stadium. And we promise we're going to get around to every stadium. Of course, the only one we have yet left to visit is Woodstock. Woodstock, we're coming for you as soon as you guys can host Etowah for the Battle of Town Lake. Dave Garner will have the play-by-play for you. I'll be helping him with the color commentary. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Friday night. And the kick is up. And it's a little bit of a liner, and it's caught, fielded cleanly. And he's just going to go out of bounds. It looks like that was fielded by number 9.
Hayden Shockley, actually.
Hayden Shockley,
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Shockley was the up back and just a line drive kick from Curry right at him. And he took it up across the 30 there. But, if you're Cherokee now, offensively you're feeling a little bit of pressure because Creekview just went down the field and scored. Now, granted, it took him 6 minutes like you said, so it took a lot of time off the clock there, but you got 5 minutes left. You've been sitting on the sideline a little while right here. The worst thing you want to do if you're Cherokee's offense is put your defense right back out there. So, first down right here, it's got to be the focus for this Warrior offense to try to put a little drive together right here to, if nothing else, to give your defense a little bit of a breather.
And you expect you'll get a heavy dose of Keith Adams Jr. coming in here. So the Grizzlies will get lined up here defensively, 2 wide receivers. And it is a handoff to Keith right up the middle. That's going nowhere. Stuffed by Grant Anderson. Wow. What a play by that young man. And a Warrior is a little slow to get up. See if he gets to his feet here. He does. So all is well. And the shaken up Warrior.
Yeah, Steve Hardison.
Yeah, the right guard, 6 foot, 270-pound senior. But he'll stay in, it looks like. Doing all right.
Yeah, not a lot of running room, though. I think, we said something about Adams having a little bit of room there, and ever since that comment, they have shut it down. The run has just not been there for the Warriors. So at some point, I think, Creekview cheating these guys up here a little bit. They're just going to try to make Swan throw a pass on him at some point here.
And it's a handoff to Keith once again. He makes a few people miss, but that's going nowhere again. Still fighting for yards, but it's only going to be a gain of 1. The Grizzlies defense answers once again. Bring up 3rd and 9. Clock rolling. We'll go under 4 minutes here. See if Grizzlies decide to use a timeout or if they want to hold it all for their offensive possession.
No need to use a timeout right here. The defense playing like this, you got to wonder if Cherokee's going to put the ball in the air. It's normally ill-advised, but on a 3rd and 9,
I think they're going to have to.
Yeah, maybe catch Creekview off guard. Who knows?
So let's see what they do here. 3 wide receivers to the top, 1 wide receiver to the bottom. Keith Adams Jr. will be alongside A.J. Swan, the quarterback, in the pistol formation. Claps his hands. And he's surveying pressure, and it's intercepted right over the middle at the 40-yard line. What a play! Oh, my goodness. The Creekview Grizzlies are doing everything they can to bring this back. Intercepted by number 31, Nick Stewart. Holy cow, guys.
A.J. Swan rolling out, throwing a back across his body, a classic no-no, and then Nick Stewart just cuts right in front of that pass. A great play for the second interception of the game for Creekview.
Yeah, Stewart just read his eyes all the way. Swan rolling to his right to the near side, and as you said, throwing it back there, and Stewart came off of his man, read his eyes, and just jumped in front of that route. One of the receivers sat down right at the first down marker. That ball gets through. It's a first down, but as it is now, Creekview takes back over again at the Warrior 40.
3 minutes and 26 seconds left to play. Ball at the 39-yard line. Brody Rhodes surveys the field. 3 wide receivers to the top. Turned around, fakes the handoff to Stevens. Looking, loading, rolls out. Pressure coming, dances around, and he fall forward for a gain of about 1.5.
All that for a short gain. But a nice job by the back end of this Cherokee Warrior defense. That time no one was open. Brody just had nowhere to go with the football there, so he did the right thing. Didn't force anything, just lived to play another down, as we said. Got out of bounds here on the near sideline at the 39. Stopping the clock at 3:19. Keep the timeout in your pocket.
We want to thank everyone who's tuning in with us. Of course, if you're joining us after one of your games that you've been visiting, thank you for being a part of it. We've got Cherokee and Creekview 14-7. Cherokee in the lead, but the Grizzlies knocking. Rhodes, 5 wide. Looks, fakes the run, but he's going to be brought down in the backfield, and he fumbled. But he gained it back. Number 52 came up on the tackle for the Warriors.
Yeah, Jared Sperling, again, 5'11", 185-pound senior. Called his name a couple times here tonight. Just crashed down on that play there, brought the pressure, and was able to, it was a design run all the way there, but Sperling shot a gap and was able to trip up Rhodes behind the line of scrimmage there, a loss of 3 yards.
Now clock is under 3 minutes. No timeout used, 3rd and 13, undoubtedly 4-down territory. Rhodes with Stevens, trips to the top, one lone receiver to the bottom. Surveys. Rushed by Keith Adams. He's got time, loads up, throws it deep, and it's intercepted the other way. Wow, by Riley Lyons, intercepts it the other way at the 5-yard line. Pass attempted outside for Chase Wright, and the Warriors answer back just like that. And with 2 minutes and 35 seconds left, we're back to square one.
Wow, what a play right there. I thought that ball was going to get over the Lions' head there for a moment. Chase Wright just one-on-one. They had trips to the other side of the field, and Brody kind of took a look over that way, but then came back to the near sideline. They decided to go for the one-on-one look right there with Lions. But boy, with Wright, but Lions going up the ladder and catching that ball at his highest point at the 5-yard line. Was able to corral that ball in there, and so now the Warriors with the ball at the 5. But look, Creekview still got their timeouts, 2:35 here to play. Still plenty of time left in this ball game.
Be time to use them on this one right here. See if they can get a 3 and out. Play clock at 10. A.J. Swan turns around, handoff to Keith Adams. He's got a little bit of room on the outside. Look out. And he's finally brought down. Good open field tackle. That was a tackle by number 19, Ty Hubert. And he stays in bounds, so to roll the clock. And the Grizzlies are letting it roll.
Yeah, heady run there by Adams. He knew he wasn't going to be able to get the edge, so he actually slid down, and Hubert was able to make sure that he went down there. But Adams stayed inbounds to make sure that clock kept rolling, or at least to force a timeout. But Creekview not calling a timeout right here in this situation, but I would think after this next play they will.
So after this, the clock will be about 1 minute and 45 seconds. Once again, Cherokee in no hurry. Keith Adams Jr. having a big game today. A.J. Swan a little quiet. Handoff to Keith Adams. He's got a little bit of a hole, but he's swallowed up in the backfield. Great tackle by Grant Anderson.
And now we see the timeout.
So Trevor Williams takes his first timeout. 2 more to go. Clock stops right at 1 minute 45. So let's see what they can do. We'll keep the action right here for you. My goodness, guys. What? Nothing's easy.
Well, you don't call the timeout for the first down, because if you roll through all 3 timeouts and they get the 3rd down, they let the clock roll down before they have to punt it. So, you wait till after the first down. Now you've got them in a 3rd down with 2 timeouts left. So, a situation right here where you call those last 2 timeouts, presumably if you hold them, even if they were to get the first down, you still have the 2 timeouts. You can still conceivably get the ball back with a little bit of time left here. So, again, no timeout at the first down, but they make the stop here on 2nd down. It's 3rd and 10. They're going to be conservative, Art, with the ball inside their own 10-yard line right here.
Right.
So, if you're Creekview, you can really pin your ears back.
Keith Adams Jr. having a little bit of trouble getting outside, getting around Hubert and Anderson. Their pursuit to the ball is so fast. Very impressed with those young men tonight.
PA announcer gets the crowd to its feet here in the Grizzly Den. 14-7, 1 minute 45 seconds left. 3rd and 10 from their own 6. The Warriors looking to get a first down and end it. The Grizzlies looking to hold them here and have their hopes alive. A.J. Swan turns around, hands it off to Keith Adams. He's got a little bit of room, but it's not enough. He's brought down a gain of about 4 out to the 11-yard line. Timeout called. Not yet. The clock is still running. They finally got it stopped. I imagine they'll give him a few seconds back on the clock.
Yeah, I think they'll put all the Creekview coaches were out on the field, turning around, looking at the press box, waving their arms like, stop the clock. It kept rolling there, so I would imagine.
I thought 1:35 was when he called it, so that's 1:32 on the clock. Now,
every second counts, so
they gave 1:39, so that was probably a little generous back, but it is a big deal, as you mentioned. So Creekview out of timeouts. It's 4th and 6. Which makes you believe that the Warriors will set up a punt and try to go and defend the return. Creekview probably content to field it, depending on how good the punt is. Once again, Brady Bosher, the punter. He has 8 punts coming into this game, 38-yard average, a 53-yard long. Boy, the Warriors would love that right now. Also returning it, Dawson Curry. Also doing the punting duties on the other side. Dawson, the only starting wide receiver who was listed. Of course, that is due to the injury to Andrew Cloy's collarbone. We wish him a speedy recovery. But in this one, 1:39 left.
And remember, they had that one snap that one hopped in there. So, Creekview may have thoughts right here of trying to come after it. You never know.
He'll field this punt from his own end zone. So hold on to your hats, folks.
Yeah, Curry's got his heels at the Cherokee 42. So they're staring at excellent field position.
Calling out the blocks. Keith Adams Jr. shifts over to his side. He is the up man. It's a low punt again. Brady's going to have to get there. He needs it. It's a safety for the Grizzlies. Oh, my goodness. It's a safety. It's 9-14, and the Grizzlies will get the ball back. Oh, my goodness, guys.
We've talked about special teams and how special. That's the second time there's been a snap that has kind of rolled to the punter back there, and he bends down to pick it up. That knee hits the turf. That's an automatic safety in the end zone. Creekview now down by 5 points with a chance to win it with just a touchdown.
Dave, you called it.
Well, there you go. We talked about the low snaps. We've seen it a time or two here tonight. Another low snap, had to go down and get that ball off the turf, and in doing so, the knee touch, 3 yards deep in the end zone right there. So, if anything, I will say the silver lining for Cherokee here is at least they're not putting out of their own end zone. It is a free kick right here because of the safety, but they're hitting it, you're hitting it out from your, 30-yard line or whatever. You can either kick this ball off or you can punt it, actually from the 20, and it looks like they are going to bring out a tee, and so this will be kind of a, basically a kickoff. But you're giving up, say, 20 yards here, and if Creekview gets any kind of a return, they've got this ball at midfield with, right around a minute and a half or maybe a little under to work with.
So do you squib it? Do you squib it?
I think you got to kick this one deep.
You got to kick it deep, yeah. You don't want to squib it and give up that yardage.
And Creekview out of timeouts when they come out of the huddle. Of course, with this short kick, they might not need it.
Little miscommunication from the kicking team. Joel Stahl. Toe meets leather, and it's a deep kick. And it's out of bounds, and it's going to be a flag. Oh, my goodness, it's going to go to the 40-yard line. The Grizzlies get a free 20 yards out of it. Have you guys ever seen anything like this?
Well, I think that they probably would have had the 40-yard line probably close to it anyway with the return. And it may have very well been that they meant
to do that, right?
Meant to do
by
that.
Design.
Yeah,
sure.
It may very well have done that by design.
Okay,
because,
so Ronnie on the spot has a good point. Because it was kicked from further, does that mean that it's pushed up 15 more yards? Because it's originally kicked from the 35. They kicked it from the 20. So instead of going to the 40, does it go to the now Creekview 45 or the Cherokee 45?
Well, I think that's what they're discussing right now. These officials over on the far side trying to figure out. It looks like they're looking around midfield. So it may be a situation where because of where they kicked it from, because of the placement of the ball being from the 20-yard line.
And there was a
penalty against.
So two offsetting personal fouls.
Yeah, there was a penalty against Creekview as well there. So that's something that changes the complexion of the call for sure right here. Man.
So was it offsetting? Or did you guys see?
I did not see them say offset. It looks like they'll mark one off and then mark the other one.
Okay, all right.
Wow. This crazy final
holy cow,
minute
guys.
and a half right here.
So it will be placed at the original 40-yard line. So to answer everybody's question, when it did go out of bounds, they were going to place it at the Cherokee 45. After the 15-yard personal foul, it was backed up to the original spot that it would have been backed up to if they kicked it at the 35. Questions, comments, concerns?
We're getting a rules clinic tonight, that's for sure.
Oh, my gosh. And Ronnie on the spot is the rules expert over there. I tell you. I mean, listen, we're going to have to – I'm going to have to sleep after this, guys. I mean, this has been a game and a half. And we got a minute 30 left, and with how things are going right now, this could take a lot longer.
Coach Williams out there trying to get an explanation of the goings-on right here as the officials huddle up. You figure the officials have had enough to talk about tonight. They've been
I mean, you know, that's one thing we've been talking about is that, yeah, we've had a lot of conversations about the rules, but so has the refs. Because everybody else in the county is wrapping things up. I mean, it's 10:20 right now. So Dave over there is thinking, man, I'm going to be late for the early bird in the morning.
Well, Will, I'm going to save Dave. It's almost past my bedtime here.
Uh-oh. Don't leave me, guys.
Yeah, I think Coach Williams, that's kind of what he was lobbying right here. The same thing that we were talking about is like, hey, you know, trying to get that ball moved up a little bit more, and now the officials they're back in a group together.
Well, and Coach Williams has something to talk about. I don't know if he's trying to get his players' attention. He's definitely staying on this side of the hash. And he's being told, get back, or that's going to be a flag. Keep in mind, they already had the sideline warning in the first quarter. So it's going to stay at the 40.
For now.
So if anybody has any more input, please let us know. Because apparently this is an open forum. I mean, my goodness, guys.
Yeah.
So let's see what they have in the playbook. Once again, it's 14-9. The safety, after Brady Bosher had to go to a knee to field the punt, and then they kicked it out of bounds, and then it was a 15-yard personal foul on top of that. So here we go. Brody Rhodes in the backfield with Tyler Stevens. 4 wide receivers split out. Flag comes in automatically. Most likely somebody lined up offside, so he'll gain just a few. Let's see what the flag is. 1:32 left on the clock.
Yeah, pushed out over here on the near side right at the line of scrimmage. But that flag came out immediately at the snap. So, yeah.
It's an illegal formation on the Grizzlies. So, the other way.
Yep.
So, a lot of boos coming from both sides. I think everybody's a little tired of the officiating tonight.
I think they felt like the officials have played enough of a part in this one here tonight.
Just let the kids play.
Yeah, let's let this final 132 roll out, you know.
A lot of people on their feet now, including all of us in the booth as well. We're excited to be bringing this one to you. Once again, Will Cooper, Dave Garner, Art Mosley, nailed it, almost called you Art Brown, and Ronnie Cooper. Rhodes surveys, has a lot of open room if he wants to run it, but he won't, and it's completed to Tyler Stevens right at the 47-yard line. Not going to be enough for a first down, after the penalty. Tyler Goddard on the tackle, stopped right a yard short, but he was out of bounds, so a minute 26 left.
Plenty of time for Creekview to continue to work the sidelines here as they approach midfield.
So 2nd and 1, you're exactly right. A.J. Vaccaro split out to one side. Chase Wright split out to another. Dawson Curry split out to the other. Trevor Williams trying to get his guys lined up. It's going to be an illegal formation if the wide receivers don't get on the line. He got him. Good save. Rhodes rolls out to his left side. Block against Brayson Parker. And it's incomplete. Dropped out there. So falls harmlessly to the turf. Sets up 3rd and 1. A minute 20 left.
Yeah, big pressure that time by the Warriors up front, trying to force Rhodes back further into that throw. Only had one receiver over in the area over on the far side and just short hopped it to him. But big 3rd down play right here. If you're Creekview, I mean, you've got a minute 20, which is not a lot of time here, especially with no timeouts. But the main thing you got to do is you got to get the first down. Even if you have to run the football right here, you got to at least get the first down. You don't want to be in a situation where you're 4th and 1, and then you got to make a play there either.
3rd and 1. Rhodes and Hasty. It's a run all the way. And he's going to be close. He got it just enough so the clock will stop for them to move. Rhodes going to hurry up, get a play call. Move the chains. Ball right at the 49-yard line. Now into Warrior territory. A minute, 16 seconds left. Clock starts. Rhodes drops it. A minute and 12 left. 2nd and 10.
Yeah, just spike that ball down to stop the clock right there. And they wanted to make sure that they had the right play call. And I think after the last play there, they got the first down. Not by much. I mean, he ran it. It was a run all the way there. He got just enough across the midfield stripe, which is what he needed. So the ball sitting just on the Cherokee side of midfield right now. But, a minute 12 left. And I'm not, I don't know if this defense will loosen up any. The safeties are playing just a little bit further back there. We've got a 3-deep safety look right here. 5 DBs in the ball game right now for this Warrior defense.
4 wide receivers. Cole Hasty in the block, and he's dropped in the backfield. Number 14 comes up with the sack, Tyler Goddard. And the Grizzlies got to hurry.
Big sack by Goddard, knifing in, kind of caught Rhodes as he reversed field to try to scramble.
Less than a minute left on the clock. Grizzlies line up, not in a hurry. 50 seconds now. Rhodes surveys. Finally gets the snap, looking over to and it's dropped by Stevens. Just a short throw. It'll bring up 4th and 16 after the sack with 46 seconds left to go.
Yeah, Tyler Stevens never had a chance at that ball. It was thrown too short by Rhodes. Didn't give him an opportunity to catch that ball, and even if he catches that ball, I mean, if he gets out of bounds, he might pick up, back to about the original line of scrimmage right there. But now here at the game, 4th and 16. They got to get down to the Cherokee 39-yard line. So obvious passing situation right here. Let's see if they run another play where maybe they roll Rhodes out to one side and throw back to the other. Who knows? Looks like they got twins to both sides here.
Keith Adams Jr. lined up on the defensive line.
And he's going up, and it's a pressure right over the middle, and it's dropped by Tyler Stevens. The Warriors will hold on to win it. Wow. So after all of that, the Cherokee Warriors will hold on to remain undefeated by a score of 14-9.
Wow. Just what a crazy sequence here over this last, 7 minutes or so of the ball game. 14-0. Creekview, of course, gets the touchdown there from Rhodes on the scramble at the 5:02 mark. They get the safety at the 1:36 mark. And we're still at 43 seconds. That 1:36 was about 30 minutes ago. So we hadn't even played a minute since that point, basically, in the ball game. And it's just a wild game right here between two very good football teams. I mean, I've been impressed with the way that these guys came in here tonight, particularly Creekview, and putting up the fight that they did.
Stay with us for the Sosby Funeral Home post-game show. That'll be coming up right after this kneel here. They'll have to do it one more time, I believe.
Yeah, boy, but what a win. I mean, if you're Cherokee, obviously you're fortunate. You feel good about getting out of here with the win tonight. Both these teams have a lot of things that they're going to have to work on, certainly over the next couple of weeks as they get into their region schedules a little bit. But I'll tell you what, I think both these teams are going to be fine here tonight. That's for sure. A lot of good things coming up for these two.
Well, as good of a game as we could have hoped for, gentlemen. That'll do it for this game. It is 14-9, your final score. What a hard-fought battle between the Creekview Grizzlies, who fall by 5 points, to the Cherokee Warriors. Stick with us. We'll take a 2-minute break and come back and bring you the Sosby Funeral Home post-game show, wrap up everything here, and wrap up all the county. We'll take another break, and then we'll give you a preview of Cherokee and Cartersville. Cherokee 4-0, Creekview 2-1. We'll be back. You're listening to WLJA 101.1 FM.
There's been so much talk about distracted driving, you're probably sick of hearing about it. Well, we'd rather you be sick of hearing about it than lose your life doing it. The caring staff with Sosby Funeral Home in Canton reminds you that we all have to go sometime, but don't rush it. Wait your turn and don't drive distracted. Keep your hands on the wheel, your eyes on the road, and make sure you stay alert and arrive alive. Drive safely and help us protect our teens. They're the only future we've got. Brought to you by Sosby Funeral Home, honoring life from 191 Jarvis Street in Canton.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's Victoria speaking for Woodstock Furniture Outlet and Woodstock Mattress Stores.
Hey y'all, it's Victoria at Woodstock Furniture and Mattress Outlet. Now we know during post-COVID everybody's raising their prices, not us. And at Woodstock Furniture and Mattress Outlet we have the best 0% interest-free financing available. Come and see us at the furniture store in Ackworth, Hiram, and Rome, and come and see our mattress-only stores in Canton, Kennesaw, and Douglasville, and get the best savings.
I want to make sure that your money outlives you and that you don't outlive your money. Hi, I'm Dave Garner, your local Woodman Life representative. When I'm not broadcasting, I'm doing my best as a poverty prevention specialist to help protect families from financial hardship. Call or visit me online today and see how I can help you and your family stay protected through needs-based life insurance and retirement options. Insurance protection, financial security. That's Woodman Life, standing strong for over 130 years.
Game on! Football's back, and we're celebrating at the all-new Sutherland Nissan Cherokee County. Get game-winning offers right now. Drive the best-selling 2020 Nissan Rogue, or check out the redesigned 2020 Sentra. If you try it, you'll buy it. They're that good, fun, and affordable. Catch the savings now before they're gone. Only at the all-new Sutherland Nissan Cherokee County, across from the Holly Springs Walmart. Online at NissanNorthAtlanta.com. Remember, if it doesn't say Sutherland, you paid too much.
101.1 FM. We were here after the Cherokee County Game of the Week brought us to the Grizzly Den in Canton, Georgia, as the Cherokee Warriors came into town and beat the Grizzlies 14-9. But, man, what a game it was. Cherokee, 54 plays, 247 yards, 29 rush for 150 yards, 6 of 18 passing, 97 yards, 18 minutes and 53 seconds time of possession. Creekview had a whopping 80 plays, 257 total yards, 38 rushes equal to 127 yards, 14 of 29 through the air, 130 yards, 29 minutes and 7 seconds time of possession for the Grizzlies. So a big difference there. And again, our final score here on the Nissan Sutherland scoreboard is 14-9 in favor of the Warriors. Other games around the area: North Forsyth beat Etowah 28-0. Campbell falls to Woodstock 48-7. Pickens beats Coosa 10-0. And Gilmer beats East Jackson 28-19 to go 2-1 for the first time in quite a long time. Welcoming back in Arthur Mosley. Art, thank you for being with us for this game, partner. It has been an absolute blast to be having you on the broadcast, but man, you picked a good game to start.
Man, I tell you what, we thought it would be when you normally you talk about a defensive struggle, you think, oh, this is going to be a snoozer. But this game had a lot of action, save for the referees and their million conferences they had to have. Defense is stepping up, offense is making plays, and then penalties, and then offense is making more plays and then more penalties. So very exciting action on the field despite the low-scoring game.
You're exactly right. And I'll tell you the one thing that's really exciting about all this was, off air, a lot of us felt like Creekview wasn't good enough to come out here and compete with Cherokee. They proved us wrong, and that's what we're excited about.
They did. I mean, Creekview's defense is as good as advertised. I think we talked about it earlier. Definitely a top 10 defense in the state. You got to wonder now, obviously, Cloy out with the injury. Had another couple injuries tonight, looks like. So they've got to go and heal up, and they've got to turn around, and region play starts next week. So no rest for the weary for the Creekview Grizzlies, but they've got a defense that can do it, and I tell you, I'm really impressed with Grant Anderson and Isaac Hubert.
I am too. One important note is they did lose Owen Mello in this game. We're not sure of his status for next week. We'll get you updated on that as soon as we know. But they do go down to play Cambridge next week in Forsyth County. So region play starts there. And then the Cherokee Warriors will play Cartersville next week. That'll be our Cherokee County Game of the Week. We'll talk about that a little bit later. We'll invite Dave back in for the second half of the Sosby Funeral Home postgame show. North Forsyth and Etowah, as we mentioned, 28-0 victory for North Forsyth. Etowah really struggling right now. You had them at a 10-point underdog to them, and Calapreps had them at a 15-point underdog, so a big difference there.
Yeah, Etowah is still struggling. We saw them last week struggling to get anything going on offense, and we talked about that senior quarterback over there in North Forsyth, Brady Metz, and don't have any stats over there, but 28-0. They've still got some work to do at Etowah. It doesn't get any easier next week as North Cobb comes to town, I believe, for the Warriors, and they're a good-looking team. We've got them ranked in the top 10. So still a long way to go before they get into region play, but Etowah's got some things to fix.
Lots of things to fix. And speaking of a team that has fixed some things, Campbell and Woodstock. Campbell had their first victory since 2018. Didn't get that victory tonight. Woodstock handled business 48-7. You had Woodstock by a field goal. I think people in Town Lake are going to be kind of mad at you for that one.
Well, they can be mad all they want. I told Coach Buddy one time, I said, you can use my previews as bulletin board material for your team, but Woodstock pulling out the whooping stick and taking Campbell to the woodshed over there off Town Lake Hills, man. And 48 points. They're putting up a couple games worth of points in a week. They've also got a big week. They travel up 75 next week to face Calhoun, who's a perennial power. We'll see if Woodstock can keep it rolling. It's great to see them get those points on the board because those were missing the last couple games.
Pickens wins 10-0 over them. That's a big win for them, moving to 2-2 before region play. Pickens was a 3-point favorite coming in, so they are now in lead of the series 3-2 over there. As you mentioned in the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta pregame show, C.J. Stryker's younger brother over there, the Stryker name carrying strong in Pickens, and Gilmer was able to pull out the win over East Jackson 28-19. Gilmer moves to 2-1, East Jackson to 1-1. East Jackson was a 1-point favorite according to Cal Preps, not according to us, and that was their first meeting. Gilmer will move to 1-0 on that meeting schedule. We're going to take our first break in the Sosby Funeral Home postgame show. When we come back, we'll invite Diamond Dave Garner back in to talk about next week's game, and we'll tell you where that is and what you can look forward to. You're listening to WLJA 101.1 FM.
There's been so much talk about distracted driving, you're probably sick of hearing about it. Well, we'd rather you be sick of hearing about it than lose your life doing it. The caring staff with Sosby Funeral Home in Canton reminds you that we all have to go sometime, but don't rush it. Wait your turn and don't drive distracted. Keep your hands on the wheel, your eyes on the road, and make sure you stay alert and arrive alive. Drive safely and help us protect our teens. They're the only future we've got. Brought to you by Sosby Funeral Home, honoring life from 191 Jarvis Street in Canton.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's Victoria speaking for Woodstock Furniture Outlet and Woodstock Mattress Stores.
Hey y'all, it's Victoria at Woodstock Furniture and Mattress Outlet. Now we know during post-COVID everybody's raising their prices, not us. And at Woodstock Furniture and Mattress Outlet we have the best 0% interest-free financing available. Come and see us at the Furniture Store in Akron, Hiram, Rome, and come and see our mattress-only stores in Canton, Kennesaw, and Douglasville and get the best savings.
As an athlete, you put it all on the line each and every day. Training, skill, and dedication. It's with these same characteristics that Pinnacle Orthopedics puts it all on the line for you, ensuring that you continue to play the game you love. With 5 locations and 16 physicians and surgeons, Pinnacle Orthopedics is the team physician for Kennesaw State University, as well as for many other schools and teams. Using only the latest technologies, Pinnacle Orthopedics is dedicated to keeping you at the top of your game.
When you read Enjoy Cherokee magazine, you'll find features about interesting people, pleasing places, and exciting events. Find out more about shopping in Canton, dining in Woodstock, living in Holly Springs, exploring in Ball Ground. There's always some new and refreshing ideas between the pages of Enjoy Cherokee. Enjoy Cherokee is available in most high-traffic locations and mailed free to thousands of homes throughout Cherokee County. For your free subscription, check us out on Facebook and find past issues on EnjoyCherokee.com. Enjoy Cherokee, Cherokee County's favorite magazine.
Thank you for joining us on the Sosby Funeral Home post-game show. I'm your host, Will Cooper, and I'm inviting back in Arthur Mosley and Diamond Dave Garner. Dave, what a game.
Wow.
Holy cow.
I mean, it's just
I'm just wore out.
Yeah, another inter-county matchup. I mean, the majority of our schedule this year, as folks know, is Cherokee teams versus Cherokee teams, and that's what makes it so special. We do have the occasional, team that comes in from out of the county. I know, later this year we've got Milton and, a couple of folks that will grace the airwaves a little bit, provide some good matchups. But, yeah, I mean, just another classic meeting, between these two, and they haven't played in a few years as we've talked about, but Creekview, the one team that's playing all 5 of the other Cherokee County schools, and so – man, just a crazy game, a crazy ending, a lot of penalties. It was kind of a weird, wacky sort of a game that saw a lot of interesting penalties and things that, changed field positions so much throughout the course of the game. Just a lot of drastic things that, kind of worked both ways against both teams. But, in the end, I think Cherokee getting that second score, which was really their only offensive touchdown tonight. They just had the one offensive touchdown to go along with that block punt for a return. Certainly was big because it kind of forced Creekview to have to be in that 2-score mode. And, when you get in a situation like that, you do things that you might not traditionally do. But, credit the Warriors because Creekview, again, looked like they were well on their way to create more magic like they did that first week against Etowah. And so, boy, it was just one of those that came down. You hated to see either team lose because both teams were undefeated coming in, but I tell you what, Creekview earned a lot of respect tonight from me. I think that we saw the way they struggled against Etowah in that first game, and we thought, well, they might struggle a little bit, but, boy, they've come a long way in just a couple of short weeks.
Well, I think the big thing, and we'll talk about the Cartersville game here in just a second, but I think the big thing for me was coming in is that River Ridge was so impressive in everything that they've done so far, and it's easy to buy into the short term, and it's man, we all bought into the short term with River Ridge because we were talking about it and we said, man, that Creekview River Ridge game, I don't know. Well, now I really don't know because, yeah, River Ridge is good, but Creekview just dealt with somebody who's possibly a top 10 team in the state.
That game just got a lot more interesting, and that's a game we're going to have for you on October 23rd right back here in this same spot.
Yep.
And so now all of a sudden, River Ridge, which – as we know, has been rolling over folks. Amir Morrison, was over 500 yards in just a couple of games. Now all of a sudden that matchup, because of what I saw from Creekview tonight, becomes a whole lot more interesting. And that may very well be a de facto, region championship type game. Now who knows what will play out over the next couple of weeks and what will play out beyond that. But, boy, I've got that one circled on the calendar now in addition to some of the other ones we already had.
You're exactly right about that. 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 You're exactly right about that.